ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
It's all on the line. Here we go.
The moment of truth has arrived.
What a matchup this is. What a game.
The umpire holds the footy up.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on earth.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Oh, there's a bit to get excited about.
The intensity and the pressure in the ball is unbelievable.
Take your moment. This is that moment of the game of footy.
This is just football at its best.
And that'll be it. From walking on thin ice to dancing on the mountaintop, the Brisbane Lions never stopped believing. And they are the champions.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. Don't get better than this.
He curled the through for a magnificent goal.
Comes out, gathers, snaps, goal.
An extra bit of class.
He smashed that through. What a kick. Goes bang with everything he's got.
They are leaving nothing out there.
Listen to the roar.
The drop punt. He's gone. And the building is jumping. We know he's a big shot taker. He's a big shot maker. Leans back on the kick. Game on.
Like camera action, baby. Countdown to contact.
From the right forward on it. Oh, he's a sharpshooter, all right.
Step up in the big moment.
Points to the man on the mark. Drop punt. He's there. Gathers, snaps. He'll bring the house down.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. Don't get better than this.
We'll put it on the boot. Kick up towards the logo.
You take a seat, cause it don't get better than
He
this.
defies the laws of gravity.
He runs onto it 50 from goal. He's in Dusty's pocket. He shoots. Oh, he's as bloody good as Dusty. Oh, yeah.
Rose snaps goal. The drop punt. It's good. And you can hear that body roar.
Walks one way and the next and the snap. There's the finish.
60 out. Oh, my goodness. That's a massive hit. Big time spot. Big time goal kicker.
That's why we love football.
Brilliant to watch.
From the centre wicket. Whacks it for six. Scores level. Running past. Throws it on the left. Could that be the sealer? Seconds ticking down. We're not done yet. What a finish.
Welcome to the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport. On radio, on digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
You take a seat, cause it don't get better than this.
Collingwood look to maintain a gap on top of the AFL ladder as they take on the Saints in round 15 of the AFL under the roof of Docklands. The Pies have a 2-game break over the Brisbane Lions, but can extend that to 6 tonight with a 6th straight victory for the Black and White as they welcome Pat Lipinski, who returns after concussion. While St Kilda in 14th spot on the AFL ladder, now brought back to reality with a 72-point thumping last week against the Western Bulldogs, their 4th loss in 5 weeks, and they make 3 changes, unveiling top 10 draft pick Alex Taru to play his first game for the Saints tonight. It's also Tim Membry's first clash against his former side, and Craig McRae is recognised with 300 games and qualifies for life membership as a player and now as a coach of Collingwood. It is first versus 14th Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. I'm Matt Clinch. The crowd is building. It is the first of 2 home games over the next fortnight for the Magpies here at Docklands. Lauren Borden to call the action alongside me. Welcome, Loz.
Thanks, Clinchy. It's great to be here. What are we going to get? I'm not sure tonight. It doesn't feel like that long ago that we were sitting here on Thursday last week watching St Kilda get beaten by 72 points and how disappointing that was. But given the bit of the roller coaster of a season that the Saints have had, I'm not sure what they're going to bring out today when it comes to rebounding off and coming up against the top of the table. But what a task to have to plan for when you're Ross Lyon and you're coming off an absolute belting, and in comes the competition leaders that you've got to face. Although it is at Docklands, so maybe they have a slight advantage there. They play here 13 times, I think, throughout the season, whereas for Collingwood, it'll just be one of 3 that they come all the way and play under the dome.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll find out tonight how big is the gap between 1st and 12th. And the interesting byplay in the coaches' press conference during the week is, what do you value in terms of a tag? If Marcus Windhager does go to Nick Dacos, which many expect will happen, well, of course, they tagged Marcus Bontempelli. Had a successful job, but they lost by 70 points. So Craig McRae making the point, what do you value when you are in the middle stages of a season? We are stacked as always on the back row. Great to have former Hawthorn Port Adelaide champion Chad Wingard with you. Chad, good to see you again.
Yes, great to have you guys. Great to be back. Like you guys said, I'm hoping for a close contest, and you just never know in this day and age of football. Is if you're 10% off, like Collingwood, if they're 10% off, it gives it a bit of a sniff for St Kilda, and they've got to be on their game to create a contest here.
Former Blue, former Hawk, AFLW coach with Carlton, but a man of the people. Daniel Harford is as popular as anyone out the back of the media area, and it is a joy to have him with you on a Saturday night. Welcome, Harf.
Flinchy, Loz, the Chad, and I'm sure we'll get to Lex at some stage. Great to be with you. Looking forward to this clash because a bit like you, we just don't know what we're going to get. I just don't know what to expect from St Kilda any given week. And last week they were ultra disappointing. What I do love, though, Jab, is they've brought some kids back in.
Yes.
You see Taru play his first game. Obviously, he's had some injury issues early and then a suspension yet to overcome in the VFL, but a seriously good talent. Some of the male coming out of St Kilda that is one of the great aerial attackers. Anything that's up there he wants and he's able to get. So that's exciting. You bring in Wilson and Filippo as well. So get the kids in. There's no point finishing in the bottom third of the ladder with a team full of 30-year-olds. It just doesn't make any sense. So this is good from the Saints.
And that was very much the dialogue after their loss to the Western Bulldogs. Play the kids, 10 games to go. Get a look and try and work out what the future does lie. There's some questions around whether Messiah Wanganeen Miller will be there at the end of the season. Will they acquire Tom de Koning? But they need to try and build for the second half of the season.
Yeah, you've got to show your fans you've got something to look forward to, but also your players. Because it's just been such a challenging year, and we know that they're in a bit of a rebuild phase, and they've been pretty open about that from the start of the season. But again, that's contrary to what they were being sold when Rossline came to take the job after Brett Ratton was released by the Saints. So it's been a frustrating time for Saints fans. So they want to see this next generation out there and impacting contest and melding and moulding themselves as a cohesive unit. But we haven't had that really happen all year. So maybe this back 10 games of the season is where we see it.
Chad, as we turn past the bye for Collingwood, they head to the business end of the season. We saw the Brisbane Lions with a statement win over Geelong down at Cardinia Park last week. What are we looking for in terms of Collingwood as they want to try and hold this buffer on the competition at the top of the ladder?
Yeah, it's a bit of a statement game, to be honest. These are the ones you can't afford to drop, especially if you want it to be finished on top, or especially top four. Obviously, that's what Collingwood are looking to be at the end of the season, especially when they're trying to obviously contend for the premiership again. But you got to just make sure you just don't give these teams a sniff. You see what happens where you had North Melbourne today and Carlton, or if you see what happened with I suppose, who was Richmond? Yeah, Richmond in round one against Carlton as well. I'm picking on Carlton. Jeez, poor, sorry, mate. But you see...
Hey, I'm a former great.
Sorry, mate.
9 games.
You just can't afford to give teams sniff, and this is where, just like finals, you can't afford to lose because it's win or die. So, good test for them tonight to make sure that they're, after a bye, that they're not still on holidays and they come back firing first quarter.
I'll tell you, it is one of the great joys of being a football fan these days. If you're able to be neutral and just watch games and enjoy footy, watching Collingwood play brings you joy.
Yeah.
Because of the way they play, how cohesive they are, the way they move as one across the field, their skill level, their energy, their commitment to each other. It's a great team to watch, and it's hard for me to say that as a Hawthorn Hawthorn player and a Carlton man in the old days. It's hard for me to say that about Collingwood, but they are just such a good football side. It's a great joy to see them live. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they go against the Saints tonight.
Marcus Windhager has been one of Ross Lyon's most reliable weapons. In the last 2 weeks, he's done the job on 6-time All-Australian Marcus Bontempelli, held to just 13 disposals after his streak of 106 games of 15 disposals or more. He did the job against Cozzy Pickett after he kicked 5 goals against the Swans. He had just the 9 disposals, while Windhager had 28 himself. There is a bit of breaking news.
Some drama, yeah.
Around the Saints. Lex Pesher is down on the boundary. Real concern. I don't know if you saw, but Mateus Filippo has made his way to the dugout. He looks like he's going to be a late out, Lex.
It does. He came to the bench really quickly and was talking to the doctor. He looked quite stressed and looked like he almost was crying, but I'm thinking he might be sick. So it looks like he'll be a late out. He's gone straight down, as you said, into the room. So we'll keep an eye on that and try and get an update from the club as soon as they can.
Well, looks like Ryan Burns has got the jumper on. He's down there on the bench at the moment. He was one of the emergencies for the Saints.
So what's that, 3 minutes before the bounce, he's got the tap, you're into the team.
What's the rule with that?
All the officials were down there. No, I don't know any rules.
He wasn't out there warming up, though. I was watching the final warm-up and he wasn't out there. So he was on the bench with the headset on, always talking to upstairs and having a chat to them about what was going on as well.
He did look emotional, though. Lex was right. We had some vision of him on the screen. There was some real emotion from Mateus. So there's something's happened down there. We'll find out as soon as we can. Go hunting, Lex.
Unfortunately, had that foot injury against the Demons in Alice Springs. So Filippo is out and Ryan Burns comes into the selected side for the Saints. So drama to the last couple of minutes before the opening bounce. It is the ladder leading Magpies under the roof of Docklands as the home side, looking to challenge the Saints, who are keen to try and show some sort of response.
Siren's gone. The umpire's looking back towards the bench with the ball in hand, waiting to bounce the ball. Something's not quite right down there at the moment.
So the players. They're all just waiting.
Have you said something you shouldn't have, Lex? Are they looking at you?
No, I'm trying to figure it out. But while we're here, I do have an update on Mateus Philippou. It's a calf.
Right.
A calf injury to him.
Looked like an injury.
Ryan Burns is getting strapped as we speak on the bench, so he's not even ready.
So I think the concern might be here is if Philippou was listed to be on field and Burns is on the bench, that the team sheets are all going to be incorrect. So the players that are starting on the bench are not actually the players they've registered. Unfortunately, he's getting his ankle strapped, so if he's meant to be on field, we're all going to wait for that to take place. And this is where it's a bit of madness, really, that we can't all agree that, you know what, let's just start the game, and I think we will. Collingwood taking on St Kilda. Here's Lauren Borden to get us underway.
A slight delay to the start, but Windhager gone straight to Dacos. They're already pushing and shoving off the ball as Cameron gets a little tap out. Pendlebury running straight through, pushes it forward to Lipinski. Back into the side. He's wrapped up by Webster and McRae, and it'll be another ball up, still in the centre square of Dockland Stadium.
That's going to be fascinating. Nick Dacos going to get a free kick. He's been whacked in the guts already by someone. Might have been Windhager. Yeah, he did. Give him a little clip in the guts, so he's got a free kick, the little champ.
The umpires were down at Collingwood during the week. They said they might have mentioned something about Nick Dacos being tagged as he kicks the ball inside the forward 50. Side bottom chasing after it. It'll be pushed out by Wilson of the Saints. He gets it out as far as Butler, who can't pick it up cleanly. And again, it's Houston that piles on top of the pack and locks up Hall for another ball up just forward of the centre square. Magpies kicking towards the Coventry end, to the right-hand side of your radio dial in this first quarter. As the ball's tossed up again, McRae shoves the ball on his boot. It's high, and it skies its way towards centre wing, outer side of the ground. But Josh Dacos is there to quickly collect and kick and put it out wide. It's too wide, in fact, and it bounces its way over the boundary at centre wing, and it'll be a free kick to the Saints and to Rowan Marshall. No score yet. It's a minute played in the opening term.
Mateus Philippou are laid out. Ryan Burns coming in for the Saints as Webster has it at right half back, opening 90 seconds of Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. He waits for the lead to come down the wing. Chips a kick into the path of Wilson. He takes the mark centre wing. Good to see him back, Darcy Wilson. As he looks long towards half forward and sends it in the direction of Rowan Marshall, who's there. Cooper Sharman trying to do the wrestling from behind, but Darcy Moore, the Collingwood captain, takes the mark for the Magpies. Around the back to Josh Dacos. Hand pass to Houston. Feeds a hand pass away to Howe. Tries to cut away from a lunging tackle from Higgins and got away. Takes a bounce through the middle of Docklands. Looks up to half forward. Kicks out towards McCreary, but Crisp comes in from the side and takes the mark for Collingwood. Jack Crisp chips it up towards Membry against his former side. He marks it right half forward. Still 2 kicks out from goal though. As Membry looks inside 50. He has Bobby Hill on the move. Gnaws the lead from Long and now looks into the pocket. Sends it long towards the teeth of goal. Bobby Hill sets himself. Can't get a fly at it. Brought down by Marshall. Hand pass from Webster. Back to Taru. He knows he's alive as he's tackled and brought down on Zaboo. And the umpire will ball it up just 35 metres out from Collingwood's goal. Now Santo presented him with his jumper.
Afters, Dacos in it again.
Wilkie tapped it down straight to Membry. There'll be a free kick and it will be going the Saints' way.
When Nick Dacos started that one, he was looking for a fight there just to maybe exert some level of authority on the tag, but other teammates got involved and he gave away a free kick.
Wilkie was a very short chip to Wanganeen Miller, but he was paid the mark and he'll kick it right to the top of the 50 where Sinclair marks. Game 200 for him last week on this ground, but it was a big loss to the Saints as he chips out towards Butler, who was subbed off in that game. And he holds on to the footy at right half back for the Saints.
So one of the things they're doing is trying not to kick long down the line to the big high-flying defenders that the Pies have got. They've ended up doing it, but it's not going to be a recipe for tonight, I wouldn't have thought.
It does work for Butler in the end, who kicks it down after taking a bounce, and Mitch Owens marks, and it's a free kick anyway to Rowan Marshall. So the Saints still have the footy, a few kicks out from goal. Just chips it forward to McRae. Again, barely 15 metres. But McRae can mark 55 metres out just ahead of Steele Sidebottom.
So this is now the challenge. This is when all the numbers are back. How do you find space? If you don't want to bomb it, how do you find space?
He tries to go with a direct kick right to the top of the square, but it's Darcy Cameron who stands up and is the tallest in the contest. Easily takes the intercept mark right on the last line of defence for Collingwood. No score yet. We've played 3.5 minutes. It's Collingwood v St Kilda, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
The Collingwood ruck out of defence, kicks up towards half-back. Taru had it spoiled away from him by Membry inside the attacking 50 for the Saints. Sharman, hand pass to Wood. His kick is across the face of goal. Didn't intend it, but it finds a target in Wilson.
How dare you say that?
Hard against the
Lace
right
out.
behind post.
Lace out.
Lace
Goal
out. Give him a
assist here.
chance. Clinch.
Hey, it goes down the books as a score assist.
At a couple of metres on Billy Frampton, and now we'll just have to work the angles from the right forward pocket. Darcy Wilson, the second-year Saint, looking to start them on a positive note tonight. He steps out, opens up the angle, snaps on his left, and they have the opener. St Kilda on the board first through the opening 4 minutes. They're 1 straight 6 to Collingwood yet to score. Get in touch with us tonight throughout the SMS 0437 774 774. The thoughts of Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport.
Yeah, perfect start for St Kilda. Obviously, with coming off the week that they've had, they would have had some tough conversations. And just from watching this game, you can see the energy straight away. Obviously, we talk about the tag of Windhager. What it sets is the tone for St Kilda, is that, yeah, we're coming in for a fight. So straight away, he gave away a free kick, but everyone around him, the second contest, everyone's up and about. So you think about, what's the point of tagging someone if you could potentially lose by 60 points? It actually is the mindset shift in every single player of St Kilda on this ground that we're in for a fight here and we're going to make this a tough game. So great start for St Kilda. Like I said, it's going to be whether they can maintain this kind of pressure and hunger long enough.
So it'll be back in the middle now. Windhager still giving some close attention on Nick Dacos as Cameron and Marshall tussle in the ruck. It's a tap out from Cameron, goes straight to Windhager, and Nick Dacos dives straight on top of him and holds him there. And now there's pushing and shoving in the centre of the Docklands. And it's a free kick to Windhager. Hand pass to Wanganeen Miller, running, has to quickly hand pass it to Steele. Recovers the ball beautifully and can put the kick inside 50 for the Saints. Bounces off Wood's knee, comes back to Hall. Hand pass to Brad Hill. He tries to centre the kick and Steele side bottom, reads it best. Chimes in steps for the Pies.
Good spot to kick to. Somebody should have been there for St Kilda.
He was able to just flare it out to the back pocket to Josh Dacos.
Josh Dacos looks to go short to Pendlebury. He takes the mark in the left back pocket for Collingwood. Of course, the Saints did win the last time these two sides clashed back in round 3. Saints booted 5 goals in the opening term to Collingwood's 3. Isaiah Wanganeen Miller had 32 and Jack Steele 26.
There you go. Got to get it in really quickly on these little turnovers in the forward half. Everyone set up long down the line. All the numbers are away.
Sidebottom's kick was chopped off by Butler. His kick looking for Steele is also intercepted. Pendlebury kicks Collingwood back up the wing. Membry in from the side. Can't take it. Wilkie's hand pass back. Tarouge is tackled and brought down in the end by Brody Myercheck. And the umpire will ball it up on the outer wing. St Kilda leading by 6 points. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Tossed up, brought down again. Steele has it, and he's brought to the turf. So Darcy Wilson scores the first goal. How good would it be for him? He's recalled into the side. He comes and he scores the first goal. It's a bit of confidence for him coming back in.
Absolutely, yeah. He was sent back to go and find some form or do something that Ross wanted him to do. Back into the team tonight, gets an early lick of the ice cream. So, yeah, absolutely, Loz, it's a good pickup.
Pressure completely taken off him for the rest of the game, honestly.
You wouldn't want to miss that.
That's a goal to the books. That's good. Great start. That's not a good start.
It's a free kick again in the marking contest at a 50, so Marshall spoke back to the umpire. And Darcy Cameron looks at the crowd a little bit as well, and he wants the ball coming back to him. But we marched 50 metres further out from about centre wing, so he should be brought just inside the 50.
Yeah. So it's worse, volleying it out of the ruck and kicking it on the full, then realising you've actually given away the free kick, then giving the umpire an earful and making it a 50.
Yeah. What a strange game this has been. I feel like the umpires have had a lot going on at the moment. Free kicks, 50s.
He did absolutely no rush either, Darcy Cameron, to move his way forward.
Late starts at the game. There's a lot going on here.
Burns been strapped yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing some run-throughs on the side last time I saw.
At least you know it's fresh tape. It's ready to go. It's going to last the game.
Yeah, it should be right.
So Darcy Cameron, after being marched 50 metres forward against Rowan Marshall, he'll line up 45-degree angle at about 45 metres out as well to put the Pies on the board tonight. It is perfectly straight. And Cameron locks things up. It's 1 straight 6 apiece. We played 8 minutes in this opening term. Let's head down to Lex Pesce on the boundary.
Can confirm Ryan Burns is warmed up. He's actually now doing arm swings. He's done every exercise possible.
Arm swings.
Arm swings.
Is that what you call them? You know, arm swings.
Probably.
We'll go with that.
I know what you mean.
You're the expert.
No, you are.
So Ryan Burns to come in after Mateus Philippou was laid out, as Lex mentioned, with a calf complaint, just running onto the field now. But it's all scores locked at 1 goal apiece, 8 minutes played first term.
Yeah, so it's an interesting start, Chad. You're right. I mean, there's no real flow to the game at this stage. It seems that St Kilda are going to be really patient with their ball use and try and keep it away from the intercept defenders of the Magpies, to the point where at the start of the game, trying to get Jeremy Howe out of the way, Jack Higgins became his opponent and dragged him back to the deepest position to limit his influence in the contest. So I think that's a symbol of what's going to happen here with St Kilda and the way they've moved the ball tonight offensively, but they still have to defend and be good at the contest as well, which is going to be the big challenge as we see a recalled bounce.
What's next?
You know what? I'm still adamant, you just play.
Yep.
Just play it.
Yep.
Why would we stop?
That would be a pretty rough one there.
Yeah, bad luck. Sometimes it happens. You get bad bounces.
Lockie Sullivan and Toby Trevelyan the sub tonight. Marshall went down the tap. Beautifully read, though, by McCrew for Collingwood. Inside 50. Membry had a fair piece of it, not paid the mark. His own teammate, Mychik, might have spoiled it in the end. A clearing kick by Stocker for the Saints. Up towards half-back. Nick Dacos runs onto it. Where's Winhager? Kicks inside 50, looking for Long. Can't take the mark. Lipinski rows it. Hand pass to the pocket, looking for Elliott. He's corralled in the end by Sinclair. Little topo to McCreary. Centering ball for Collingwood, and Membry's there. Hugs this one to his chest. Directly in front, 45 metres out. And a chance for the former Saint to strike against his old side.
And this is what I love about Collingwood. Craig McRae, as a forwards coach, we had him at Hawthorn. It's always about best goal mentality. So whoever gets the ball, if that's any other team, I reckon they're having a shot at goal there. He had every right to have a shot. He squared it up. Now it's directly in front, 30 metres out, and a set shot for Membry, who's almost a dead eye. So I don't want to jinx him, but that's the mentality of a team. Mentality of a team that finds the best shot available.
A three-time leading goal kicker for St Kilda. Tim Membry in the twilight of his career, looking for his first. He's celebrating as soon as it comes off the boot. It's all black and white now. And Collingwood take the lead with that goal from Tim Membry. The Magpies, 2 straight 12 after St Kilda kicked the opening goal. They're 1 straight 6. Daniel Hufford and Chad Wingard with you. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
And to your point before about Wilson, Loz, that's just a nice little moment for Tim Membry too, just to get that off his back now. He can focus on just doing his role for the team, which he does and has done really well so far for the Magpies this season. Just on that kick from, was it McCreary who got the ball back in?
Yep.
Yeah. Like most times that goes 15, 20 metres out max.
Yeah.
That went 30, 35 metres out.
That, yeah.
Caught all the Saints players who were in really good traditional spots to defend that ball. Just brought it back that little bit further to give these teammates a chance. Just a very, very clever.
It was like a shot on goal going the wrong way. Like it was a genuine snap. It was a 30-metre snap.
Very clever play. Look at Darcy Cameron here, not even going to bother jumping, just starting in almost the inner circle. He's just going to wrestle
Cop it
straight
in the
away.
face here.
He's just facing Marshall and then goes up to meet him and taps it behind him. Steele running through, can just soccer it along the ground slightly to Wilson. Hand passes it to Clark. He hand passes it back to Steele. He's caught in a bit of traffic. Can still hand pass it across to Clark, who just gets the ball on his boot and does well to do so, but it skews off it and it's intercepted by Houston. Just at half back for the Pies. He chips it into the centre of the ground to Allen, who can mark ahead of Clark. And he's happy to slow things down a little. Pies having kicked the last 2 goals of the game after St Kilda kicked the first. Loads up on the kick and he'll get it right to left half back where Membry was in a pack but he was outnumbered. It'll still be the Pies that went out by Hoskin Elliott. Hand pass to Steele's side bottom. It was touched off his boot and as Webster took it, he was tackled out of the boundary line. And we'll have a throw in about 52 metres out from Collingwood's goal. They're leading by 1 straight kick. 12 minutes played in the first term. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Great to see Will Hoskin Elliott's made it in between shows of Beetlejuice tonight.
I love it.
Collingwood's on long sleeve.
I love it.
Don't see too many of the long sleeve black and white, it's fair to say. Darcy Cameron wins down the tap. Winhager for St Kilda alongside Nick Dacos, turns it over to Nick Dacos, who's taken high. Darcy Wilson's tackle over the shoulder, then Ned Long came in and put in the bump. Dacos to take the free kick at left half forward.
His knees when he got whacked then, he dropped looking for the contact, Nick.
He goes to the short pass to Darcy Cameron, who marks just inside 50. And he is out to the left, but will shoot from about 50 metres out.
Has he got this in him half?
Yeah, he has. Yep. I really rate his goal kicking, Darcy Cameron. And it's seemingly, just watching the last couple of forays inside forward 50 when they've had time, he's a target they're sort of looking for. He comes in late slots.
Yeah.
And he's a target.
Almost a lateral lead sometimes too.
Yep.
Like he's running across it rather than leading directly at him.
Good pick up.
4 goals, 4 for the season as Nick Dacos comes to the bench. Marcus Winhager stays out there for half a moment, then comes to the bench. He's bumped into by Scott Pendlebury as he tries to make his way off. Meanwhile, Darcy Cameron for 2 goals. In the opening corner, he comes in and steers it through. Collingwood wrestle back control. They've kicked the last 3 goals of the match to lead by 12 points. 3 straight 18 to St Kilda, 1 straight 6. 13 minutes gone, opening terms, Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. What do you think about the bump from Scott Pendlebury on Marcus Winhager as he came to the bench? Just making a bit of a statement as he's following Nick Dacos all night tonight.
I'm not sure the AFL are overly happy with that sort of stuff. I wouldn't mind betting that there'll be a little bit of please don't do that again.
Well, the bumping.
Players are coming on and off the field. I don't think they like that in recent history. Lex, what was going on down there?
It was mean. He's just letting him know. You can't do that. But you're probably right. The AFL might give them a little please explain. They like handing those out.
Yeah, I don't think they like that look.
I liked it.
I like it. If he's tagging someone,
I
whacking
think
someone in the
so.
guts.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not the
Pendlebury, I
AFL.
reckon's copped a fair few tags back in his day, so I was thinking, yep.
I think it's fantastic.
Back in the middle, it's McStay that's in the ruck for the Pies. Palms it down. It's McRae that picks it up. It's a long kick from the centre of the ground. He'll get it just inside 50 for the Saints. No mark taken. In comes Keeler. It can pick it up. Hand pass it to Brad Hill. 45 metres out from goal. Tried to snap. Kicked it straight into Darcy Moore. Keeler's back to pick it up and hand passes it away. And it's Keeler with the footy now, who just dabs it inside. And he finds Higgins on the lead.
That's impressive, isn't it? That's a ruckman tall forward there, and he's had a great handball before that to open up someone, to Bradley Hill actually. Yeah. Oh, Higgins, here he goes.
Higgins snaps, falls over as he's snapping. He was off balance, and he's missed it to the left-hand side for a point.
Sorry, as I was saying, as Higgins played on from about 40 metres out. Keeler, that was a great touch. Like, that's a bit of a touch. Like, he's had half a second to look at that, and he's hit a lead in about a half-metre split from Higgins.
Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport. Josh Dacos and Pendlebury combining with the kicking duties, but the kick is chopped off and turned over, and Sharman takes the intercepting mark from the kick of the older of the two Dacos boys. So a shot on goal coming up for the Saints. An uncharacteristic turnover out of defence by the Magpies.
Bad turnover from a player of Josh Dacos' quality. 18 goals for Coop so far this season. He's been a very impressive player forward the ball for them.
From outside 50, St Kilda would love a response here. It's not a bad effort. He's able to steer it through. After Collingwood had kicked the last 3 goals in the match, Cooper Sharman comes up with an answer, and the margin is back to 5 points. Collingwood 3 straight 18, St Kilda 2-1-13. Your thoughts on the SMS, 0437 774 774. Mark says, great coverage as always. Pies supporter enjoying what's going on tonight. And John in Kalgoorlie enjoying the call. No free-to-air coverage here, so keep up the work. Good call. Go Pies.
Go Pies indeed. They've started pretty well, but that was a nice little finish. What they've seen, or what we've seen a couple of times, Chad, is that the Saints have been able to really stay focused when the ball's inside their forward 50, but Collingwood have possession. They've intercepted the ball a couple of times inside the arc or just outside the arc. So that's positive for Ross to say that his players forward of the ball are not just letting the ball go when the Collingwood boys get their hands on the footy. They're going to defend it and try and keep it inside their forward half.
Keeler and McStay moving to the ruck for each of their respective sides. And it's Keeler unopposed who can just get the tap down right to McRae. He's taken in a tackle by by Chris, rather, not McRae, who locks him down in the centre of the field. Secondary stoppage. This time McStay tries to pull it out himself. He can get a hand pass across to side bottom. It'll be turned over though. And it's Stocker who intercepts the hurried kick from side bottom. It's centre half back for his side. He can go backwards to Wilkie, which he almost looks like he's going to do. He runs into defensive 50, then flares it right out to the city side of the ground where Jimmy Webster can mark. In front of a bay of Collingwood fans. There's just a lot of black and white around when you look around the stadium. There's not a whole lot of red peeking through. The Collingwood home game tonight as Webster puts plenty on the kick towards Owens, can tap it down. Wilson gets a hand pass across to Burns, hand pass to McRae, hand pass across to Wanganeen Miller, scrubs the kick forward. Nick Dacos can pick it up. And hand passes over the top of his head. Pendlebury takes it. He has to run backwards under all sorts of pressure. And in the end, he kicks completely defensively towards Frampton. So forced to retreat the Pies here as Frampton flares it out wide to Quainer.
Quainer just chips it up the wing. Finds Hoskinelli in the long sleeves tonight. Collingwood leading by 5 points. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford in the back row. Down Alex Peshier on the boundary.
You just love footy fans. Marcus Winhager took a little bit longer to get onto the field than Nick Dacos, and the fans behind me are screaming, "You got to get out there, Marcus. You got to get out there. What are you doing?"
Oscar Elliott and Lipinski wax the footy on the wing. Oscar Elliott comes inboard to Pendlebury. Collingwood leading by 5 points. The Saints kick the opening goal of the match. Collingwood with the next 3. Cooper Sharman with the last goal in the match. Inboard to Perryman on the AFL logo on the broadcast side. So Collingwood happy to play a chip mark game for the moment. Back out wide to Pendlebury. Inboard to Josh Dacos. Averaging over 27 disposals a game this season. Here alongside Messiah Wanganeen Miller, 2 of the more attacking half-backers in the game. Josh Dacos inside 50, looking for Myercheck, spoiled away from him. Bouncing ball for Elliott, can't gather it. Wanganeen Miller can. He bangs it up the wing, looking for Butler. He tangles with Josh Dacos, got it down to the front. Slick hand pass by Pendlebury, who was taken high. He'll take the free kick on the wing for Collingwood.
Moves the ball on quickly with Allen leading. Takes the mark, hand passes it away, looking for Perryman. It was a hospital hand pass and Sharman caught him. It's play on and it's the Saints that'll move the footy via a string of hand passes through the ground. Hill hand pass to Butler, kicked inside 50. Howe got a fingertip to it and it meant that Frampton could collect and hand pass it off to Sidebottom, who shoves the ball on his boot, kicking down the dockside wing. It'll be a turnover though. Burns takes it for the Saints. Can hand pass back to Wilkie and he'll chip to McRae, who's standing right in front of the Collingwood bench, urging all his Saints teammates to get to his side of the ground. Again, he looks backwards and then decides to put plenty on the kick and get it to left half forward. Howe at the back couldn't take the mark. Butler had a go, might have been held off the footy. Play on. It comes down to Butler, who's lying on the turf, and then everyone dives on top of him. And the ball will be locked up at left half forward for the Saints. It's Collingwood leading by 5 points. Nearly 20 minutes played in this opening term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Lockie Sullivan and Toby Trevally are the subs for their respective sides tonight. Jack McRae tries to charge his way through. Ned Long with some tackle, and they're tangling at ground level. Jack Steele comes in almost to try and separate them. Neither were taking a backward step. There's a bit of feel in this game.
Yeah, there is, absolutely.
With the Windhager tag on Nick Dacos. And he's done the job on Marcus Bontempelli and Cozzy Pickett in recent weeks. Ball at ground level. Free kick going Collingwood's way, and Scott Pendlebury is going to win it. And the tackle on Marcus
Windhager's
Windhager.
caught there, so Dacos just takes off, and then Brad Hill's the one that I think has been assigned the secondary role. If Windhager can't get there for any particular reason, Brad Hill runs with Nick Dacos, who's going all the way to the forward 50 at the moment.
Of course, we saw Ed Langdon do it to Nick Dacos on King's birthday. Darcy Cameron thought he was pushed in the back. The whistle came late, and it will be a Collingwood free kick on the wing. So Cameron to take it. Collingwood leading by 5 points. 20 minutes gone. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Still Sidebottom's all in space and collects the kick from Darcy Cameron. And he'll put the Pies inside 50. A pack right in the middle of the 50. McState leaps up and takes it unopposed in the end. And he'll have a set shot from directly in front for the Pies.
That was too easy. There was a big long ball into the middle of the corridor inside forward 50, 45, 50 metre kick. And the Saints couldn't lay a glove on McStay. That's just poor positioning, poor aggression at the ball.
And I tell you what, because every single eye of St Kilda players out there, we're looking at Dacos. Because he ran forward and they're like, oh, who's on him? They're switching over. Little they know the tallest player out there gets a free run at it.
Dan McStay had a couple of goals in that last quarter of the win against Melbourne. He lines this one up and he goes. Dan McStay gets on the board for the Pies. It's their fourth goal of the quarter. They lead 4 straight 24, St Kilda 2-1-13. It's nearly 22 minutes ticked over in the opening term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford.
And what I'm seeing from St Kilda is that they've got a lot of numbers ready to go in their corridor off turnovers.
Right.
And they're just not using their numbers. Every time they've got the ball, they're actually looking for the boundary. It's almost like who can we kick to the widest player so we can set up safely on offense.
Yeah.
It sounds strange, but watching this game, every time St Kilda's got the ball, they have not even looked to go corridor. They haven't run there. They haven't asked for a handball receive. They're asking for marks on the boundary and then kicking long. It's a very strange way. They're getting very skinny as a whole team. And Collingwood, when they get the ball, everyone bursts. So they spread the defence as far as they can. So it's a very strange mindset for St Kilda at the moment.
It's great to have the insights of Chad Wingard back in the middle of the ground. Pendlebury gets a soccer forward. That's 9 first quarter disposals for him. Up towards Membry. Hand pass looking for Nick Dacos. He becomes the tackler on Jack McRae. It was over the shoulder. The Saints will take the free kick at centre half back.
That's a great opportunity for Nick to really impose himself in the game. He's not racking them up at the moment as we go wide again, Chad, to your point. But he can really impact the game physically, particularly if he gets Windhager in a tackle. Gets a real strong tackle on him. He can get involved and feel good about himself in those moments. So that's a couple of layers he can use tonight, Nick Dacos.
Out to Caminiti at half-back for the Saints. To Darcy Wilson to kick the opening goal of the match. Up towards Rowan Marshall. It's scored away by Darcy Cameron, and a boundary throw in front of the two benches. Collingwood by 11 points. 4 straight 24 to the Saints 2-1-13.
So that's what I don't think is going to work, Chad.
Yeah, it's not.
That long ball down the line to the interceptors of Collingwood. It's not going to work.
Cameron gets a tap out in the ruck, straight to Nick Dacos, tries to hand pass back to Cameron. It's almost picked off by Marshall. Nick Dacos goes in after it. It'll be taken by Windhager. Hand pass to McRae, hand pass to Clark, and it'll be an inside 50 coming the way of the Saints. In comes Quaynor flying over the top to bring it to ground. Butler has a go, can't get it out cleanly. Then Sharman tries to hand pass it. The umpire blows the whistle. Free kick going the way of St Kilda.
No way.
Bad free kick. Held without the ball is what he's paid to Dan Butler.
Oh, wow.
That's a bad free
I've
kick.
never seen almost a worse free kick.
And Butler knows it too. He's having
Yeah.
a chat to Isaac Quainer saying, I think I might have got one here.
If I know the footy gods, and I know them pretty well,
And do you know them?
I've got a few free kicks that I didn't deserve in my time. And, I mean, if he kicks this, you thank the gods, but, Jesus, a tough call.
So Dan Butler wins the free kick, about 45-degree angle, 35 metres out. To make the most of his good fortune, he squeezes it through.
The gods.
On his side.
The gods are on his side, and he
Buy
brings
the
the
lotto
margin back to single digits. It's 5 points Collingwood's lead. St Kilda 3-1-19, Collingwood 4 straight 24, 25 minutes gone in the first term.
No, it's just a bad free kick.
Yeah.
Lucky to get the goal, but you're still got to make the most of the opportunities. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't, so maximise them. So well done to Dan Butler, but Isaac Quainer can sit there and quite rightly.
He probably should have marked the ball, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. He had a free run at it, and he just dropped the mark, and then obviously go away for a kick which wasn't there. But if I'm saying Kilda, this is where they can win the game. They're going to have to get it off turnover. So they're going to have to put the pressure on, get it inside their forward 50, and try to win it off of turnovers. Because, yes, they've had 2 turnovers. Dan Butler's turned one over. They should have scored off of. They had one here, and then they just didn't connect inside forward 50.
Yep.
So if they can actually make them hurt off their kicking, but that relies on pressure and consistency. So, like I said, very lucky there, but you've got to take them when you get them.
And lasting the minutes too, because we know Collingwood will go to the very end.
Chad Wingun and Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport. In the middle, McCreary gets the clearance at Collingwood inside 50. Membry just shoved out to Rue. It gets to the back. Running onto it is Elliott with speed. Hand pass to Chris. Fends off the tackle of Steele. Turns towards goal on his left. Incredible show of strength. He's a hard man to stop. The consecutive games record in the AFL as he burns onto his left and answers for the Magpies immediately. Back to an 11-point lead. 5 straight 30 to St Kilda 3-1-19. 26 minutes gone opening term. Shot of Ross Lyon on the monitor in the box, shaking his head. Got to make your tackle stick. Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard with you.
I tell you what, McCleary is making a massive impact. He's just gone into the bench, but he's just won the last 2 centre bounces, and he looks explosive. That's off of Windhager. And for me, Windhager's going to have the same mindset, whether he's on Dacos or whether he's on anyone else, because that was a free run of the ball. Ran around the ruckman. It was almost like a 6 o'clock hit from the ruckman. And he just ran around the contest, at the front of the contest, and just booted it long. Gives him a chance at goal, but he looks explosive in there. What a centre bounce.
Why do you reckon Windhager's not going with Dacos, who's gone to half forward now? That centre bounce he wasn't in, now he's at half forward again. Why wouldn't Windhager go with him?
It's a great question. It's obviously a plan that they would have had.
So
doesn't follow him everywhere. It must just be centre bounces or around the ground.
Wanganeen Miller has got him now. That's not a great matchup, I don't reckon. Just 2 attacking.
Both attacking.
Free kick in the centre of the field. Darcy Cameron goes directly inside 50 for the Pies. Punched away. Tracking it back his haul for St Kilda. Nick Dacos digs it out in the end and just hand passes it almost out of 50. Allen chasing after it. Overruns it, then does the tackling. Plenty of players surrounding the footy. It's McStay that can pull it out. Hand pass to side bottom. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. A couple of kicks from goal. Will line it up right to the top of the goal square, hoping for a mark from Membry. Can't take it. Lipinski's in there trying to have a go at it. Brad Hill takes it and hand passes it across to Wanganeen Miller, who runs through the goal square, takes a bounce and puts the kick out very wide. But the mark is able to be taken by Jack Sinclair. Right half back for the Saints. We'll share it back with Wanganeen Miller. It wasn't 15. It wasn't 15. He didn't know Wanganeen Miller, so he was taken in the tackle. And now the ball will be locked up. So Wanganeen Miller didn't realise it wasn't 15. Taken
Played
the
on,
tackle.
No, he took a step.
He played on. The umpire's called, you're off.
But it almost looked like he was protected, or he thought he might have been protected. It was McStay. Taps it out towards side bottom, who's taken in a tackle and swirled to the ground. Plays it diving on top of the 50, on top of the pack, and there'll be a ball up. No, it'll be a holding the ball footy. Free.
So Steele jumped on it and then couldn't get it out in time. The umpire said, well, he dived on it, made no attempt. Give it a free kick against it. Probably there, that one.
So free kick to Steele side bottom.
This is the wrong side for Steele. He likes the right half forward flank. 52. Mind you, that's at the gym. Maybe it's...
Might travel further here.
Yeah, maybe it's the left-hand side of Docklands.
Little arc and he'll get there.
It's almost from the position where Darcy Cameron kicked his first goal tonight. It's a long kick to make. Probably right on 50. Steele will have to kick it from.
Little arc like that, Bush.
He'll give it a good roost. He'll get the distance. He won't get the accuracy. It's just a behind. It's Collingwood's first tonight. So their lead out to 12 points. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Let's check in with Lex Pesce on the boundary.
Bo McCreary's gone down into the rooms. I'm not sure exactly what for, but the doctors have called him straight down there, so I'll keep an eye on that.
Thanks, Lex. Lockie Sullivan, the sub for the Magpies tonight. As Jack Sinclair brings St Kilda back into play, kicks to the back pocket. And Hunter Clark takes the mark. He can chip it over the top to Winhager. At half-back, he looks up towards the wing. Ryan Burns the target. The late in for Mateus Filippo. When we say late, we literally mean 3 minutes before the opening bounce. Up towards half-forward. Mitch Owens takes a good contested mark at right half-forward. The Saints are on the break here. He looks into the pocket. Kicks wide of Higgins, and it's in the direction of Butler. It bounced off his chest in the end. He gathers in front of Quainer. Hand pass to Keilor. Inside kick is chopped off by side bottom, not 15. Hand pass almost pinched by Hall. Knocked out by Higgins on the bottom of the pack. And that's where play comes to a hold as Keilor is locked up by Frampton.
They've been good in those areas. When the ball's inside their forward 50, the Saints, they've been able to have a couple of occasions where they've locked it in. They put a heap of pressure on and got some turnovers or got resets. They just need it in there more often.
Josh Dacos with the footy in the left back pocket, hand passes to Howe. He sends a long kick right down the wing, looking for Elliott, but it was Wilkie who stood in front of him and took the intercept mark. Collingwood ahead by 12 points, late stages of this first quarter. Still probably just enough time for the Saints to get a goal as he kicks backwards towards Caminiti. He'll then share it back with Wilkie. He'll just chip it forward very close to the boundary, like you mentioned, Chad, towards Sinclair. And Sinclair's just centimetres in from the white line.
There's no dare in this, is there, from the Saints?
We've got a last shot at scoring a goal, and Sinclair this time will put it inside to the forward 50 to the pocket, and Keilor rises to take the mark.
I like him.
Good grab.
The tallest in the pack and used his body.
In Alice Springs, he had 3 goals in the first quarter, had 7 touches. He only had about 4 touches for the rest of the game, but he's showing signs. He looks very exciting kind of player.
He's got something, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he played back. He played back a defensive role in one of his first games. I thought, not sure about this young fella, but ever since he's gone forward, he's shown heaps.
So it was the 4th player to debut this season for St Kilda. There's been a few as he lines up. It's a tough shot to make. It's across the face, and it'll be punched away for no score to end the quarter. So a quarter where there were 8 goals scored, an entertaining opening term, but it's Collingwood leading by 12 points. 5-1-31, St Kilda 3-1-19. There was the late out of Mateus Filippo, who came out with a calf injury a couple of minutes before the bounce, and Ryan Burns quickly warmed up and was the player coming on for Filippo in the end. So a couple of goals in the first term to Darcy Cameron, Dan McStay with 1 and Jack Crisp with another. Well, for St Kilda, it's Dan Butler, Darcy Wilson and Cooper Sharman with a single each.
So quarter time here at Docklands. Earlier a breakthrough win for the Kangaroos, their 4th win of the season, down in the Blues by 11 points. Carlton kicked 5 goals to none in the final term, but North were able to hang on 13-6-84 to the Blues 10-13-73. Where does that leave the Blues? We'll no doubt talk about that in the post-game. And Sydney 19-point winners over Port Adelaide. That's despite the Swans kicking 9 goals, 17-71 to the Power, 7-10-52. Will Hayward put it 3 goals. Joel Amati kicked 6 behinds from his 9 shot on goal. But the Power unfortunately going down at home to the Sydney Swans. Some of your thoughts still to come. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Ben Cameron and Corbin Middlemash from ABC Sport here.
Alongside Paul Roos, Brett Delidio and Poppy Penny, we bring you all the latest AFL news from both on and off the field on the ABC AFL Daily podcast.
You can hear it all on the ABC Listen app.
Up to steady and pull the trigger.
Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast. It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
But while we're here, I do have an update on Mateus Filippo. It's a calf.
Right.
A calf injury to him.
Looked like an injury.
Ryan Burns is getting strapped as we speak on the bench, so he's not even ready.
So I think the concern might be here is if Filippo was listed to be on field and Burns is on the bench, that the team sheets are all going to be incorrect. So the players that are starting on the bench and not the players that have registered. Unfortunately, he's getting his ankle strapped, so if he's meant to be on field, we're all going to wait for that to take place.
A slight delay to the start, but Windhager gone straight to Dacos. They're already pushing and shoving off the ball as Cameron gets a little tap out. Pendlebury running straight through, pushes it forward to Lipinski.
Sharman hand pass to Wood. His kick is across the face of goal. Didn't intend it, but it finds a target in Wilson. He steps out, opens up the angle, snaps on his left, and they have the opener. St Kilda on the board first through the opening 4 minutes.
So Darcy Cameron, after being marched 50 metres forward against Rowan Marshall, he'll line up 45-degree angle at about 45 metres out as well to put the Pies on the board tonight. It is perfectly straight.
Tim Membry in the twilight of his career looking for his first. He's celebrating as soon as it comes off the boot. It's all black and white now. Meanwhile, Darcy Cameron for 2 goals. In the opening corner, he comes in and steers it through. From outside 50, St Kilda would love a response here. It's not a bad effort. He's able to steer it through.
Butler has a go. Can't get it out cleanly. Then Sharman tries to hand pass it. The umpire goes whistle. Free kick going the way of St Kilda.
No way.
Bad free kick.
So Dan Butler wins the free kick. About 45-degree angle. 35 metres out. To make the most of his good fortune, he squeezes it through.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Quarter time at Docklands. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. It's the Pies who lead by 12 points. 5-1-31. To St Kilda 3-1-19. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard are your experts on the SMS. 0437 774 774. Still find it hard to see our Saints players in different colours, like Membry. Also thinking of Ball, Goddard, Hamill. So there's some former Saints players that were hard to see in different colours. Richard from Geelong says, loving the call. Chad Wingard is always great value. I know this, as it's a Pies home game, but I'm surprised at the lack of noise when St Kilda kick a goal. And thank you for the call. Neutral for tonight's game, but listening to the Pies, they're a bloody good footy team. That's from Betty as well. 0437 774 774. The thoughts of Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard. The Saints laid just 4 tackles in that opening quarter. Yep. And Nick Dacos finished with 6 disposals, while Marcus Winhager had 4.
Yeah, so, but then Penderbury gets off the chain, doesn't he? He's had 10, side bottoms had 10. Josh Dacos, who was electric the other day when Langdon tagged Nick against Melbourne, he was the one that set the game up with 40-odd. He's had 7. So they're the ones that are controlling the middle third of the ground for the Magpies. And it's on McRae and Wanganeen Miller to try and create things from the back half. Interesting tackle count you brought up before, Clinchy. Just the 4-19, though, for the Magpies. So their pressure, their ability to get the ball back, and they're the best transition team in footy. They'll get the ball back in their back half much easier and probably by design a bit more than a lot of teams because they can move the ball so fluently through their forward half. So 19 tackles, only 12 inside 50s, and they had 5 goals won. So it's a really high efficiency rate once they get the ball inside their forward arc. So they're not a team that dominates through territory and through inside 50 numbers more often than not because their ball movement is so good. And in possession of the ball, the other opposition teams can't stop them. And that's effectively what we've seen so far in this first term.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Collingwood had a couple turnovers, which they wouldn't normally kick. So they almost shot themselves in the foot with a couple shots that St Kilda have had. And it's as well that free kick that was definitely not a free kick from Quaynar that gave Dan Butler his goal. So I think Collingwood are playing a lot better than what the score suggests. They're obviously only out by 12 points, but they're doing a lot right. They're moving the ball well. I don't think St Kilda is built for success in this game where they're playing unless they change up pretty quickly because their ball movement's not going to get a score.
Agreed.
Ahead of the second quarter, Lex, can you see Bo McCreary on the bench?
I cannot. I think Collingwood will make their sub, so Lockie Sullivan will come on. I'm still trying to get an update on Bo. I'll have that quickly.
So we had a couple of centre bounce clearances for Collingwood in the opening quarter, but his night might be done. Second quarter underway. Winhager gets the kick for St Kilda inside 50. Cooper Sharman is tackled by Jeremy Howe. Got a hand pass forward in the pocket. Wood, Higgins somehow got it forward to Owens, who's tackled, and his shot goes out on the full. Spraying it out to the right-hand side. Free kick for Collingwood in the back pocket. So Bo McCreary.
He's out. Sullivan's out there.
So such a tempo setter for Collingwood with his forward half pressure.
Yep, jogged off as well. Like he didn't look like he was hobbling at all.
Been activated, that Collingwood sub.
Josh Dacos kicks the free kick out of defence up towards Myercheck. Taru flew from behind, brought it down to the front. Wanganeen Miller's kick hugs the boundary line. And he's touched off hands. Jack Higgins had one leg on one side of the boundary and one on the other, and the umpire says throw it.
Didn't Jack Higgins kick the goal from outside the boundary last time these two played?
Very good memory, Loz.
It was a metre outside the boundary.
Yeah. And Collingwood fans probably still remember that. That's tossed back inside the forward 50. It'll be taken by Allen, who hand passes it to Josh Dacos, runs it slightly backwards before flaring the kick outside 50, right-hand side of the defensive 50, across to Sharman, though, who'll pick it up for the Saints. Darts the kick back forward. It gets as far as Wood, but he couldn't pick it up cleanly. Keeler had a go, but it's taken by Chris. Hand pass to side bottom. He flicks it across in the end to Long, who finally can kick it out wide. And the Pies will move the ball right down the wing. But it'll be chopped off by Wilkie of the Saints. It's Collingwood by 12 points. Lex Pesce with an update on the boundary.
Bo McCreary has been subbed off with hamstring awareness.
Right. So his night is done. Lockie Sullivan comes in. Toby Travalia is the sub for the Saints tonight. The late change with Mateus Filippo out following the warm-up.
I reckon that's a pain for the Pies because he's gone in the centre bounce a couple of times, McCreary, in that first term and had a real influence. 2 clearances from centre bounce and just a foil for Dacos. So they can play with the Dacos magnet then with his heavy tags. That's just another little lever that Craig McRae doesn't have to pull tonight.
Caminiti's kick up the wing is spoiled out of play by Darcy Moore. Collingwood leading by 12 points through the opening 2 minutes of the second quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Marshall wins down the tap against Cameron, but a whistle for a free kick. It's going Collingwood's way.
We take a holding Dacos off the ball.
So Craig McRae did make reference that the umpires have been down during the week.
Very tactical.
He hadn't raised it. Some of his assistant coaches had with them. The kick into the middle of the ground looking for Long. He'll get a free kick this time against Darcy Wilson.
So Long in the centre of Docklands almost goes to send the hand pass away.
Did it twice.
Yeah.
And then he goes back on his mark. Ends up just kicking it out wide towards Josh Dacos, who racks up his 10th disposal of tonight. And it's just a chip where he finds Houston. Still about 75 metres out from Collingwood's goal. He finds something he likes inside 50, puts it into the pocket. But it's Taru who gets a hand onto it to push it out of bounds for a throw-in. And the young player on debut from the Warrigal Blues gets a few hand passes, high fives rather, from his teammates.
You'd like a few hand passes?
Hand passes. They might come to him eventually.
He hasn't touched it yet. Officially hasn't had possession yet, so he'd like just one.
Well, it was a good effort there, though. So it'll be tossed in, and Marshall just scrubs the kick as far as he can away. Gets the top of defensive 50 until McRae hand passes it back to Wilkie, who puts it on his boot very close to the boundary line. And in fact, goes out of bounds. It'll be kept in the end. It was kept in by the Pies. So a chip will come across to Howe, and Howe will load up on the kick right at centre wing. Puts it into the pocket, punch down. Taken by Wilson, hand pass across to Sinclair, and he tries to feed the ball out. But again, it'll be coming back by Houston.
This will be a shot for sure.
Yeah. This is probably within Dan Houston's range. Former All-Australian. He's got forward and looking to absolutely hit his straps in his new colours. As he pushes back, man on the mark stands right on the paint of 50. So Dan Houston has kicked just the 3 goals so far this season. Gathers a bit of momentum and sets flight. From 52, it won't quite have the journey, and off hands it's rushed through. As Taru rises in the pack and spoils it through. You mentioned hasn't had a touch yet. He's not alone. Bobby Hill, Brody Myercheck and Allen all haven't touched it so far as we're into the second quarter. Chad, you were a top 10 draft pick. Do you feel that pressure on debut, wanting to get your first touch?
I'm wondering where that was going. Haven't had a touch. So hang on. Are you going to bring up a game having had a touch in the first half?
You had many a touches.
That's fantastic.
So Darcy Cameron can rebound the footy, intercept it and kick right down to Myercheck.
So, Chad, tell us how crap you were.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Just one game in 2020.
I've gone through your stats. And
I'm going to check that now.
Oh, that's funny.
I think Myercheck here, though, he'll have to kick it from 55 metres out.
He's not getting this, is he?
He's lining up as if he's having a shot at goal. He's got Elliott in the goal square. He's having a go at the end at goal, and he just sneaks it through to the left-hand side. So just for a point, hits the post in the end.
It's a casual shot too, wasn't it? Like he got that very easy.
Bloody oath.
So it's Collingwood's lead back out to 14 points after they've scored the first 2 behinds. The only scores in this third term. St Kilda 3-1, Collingwood 5-3.
Cal Wilkie across half-back, kicks up to the wing, but Jeremy Howe read it best, takes the intercepting mark for Collingwood. Lace out to Hoskin Elliott, had to wait a long time underneath it. Sinclair with a push in the back. And Hoskin Elliott has it right half forward. He's still 55 to 60 metres out from goal. At the right half forward line, Collingwood leading by 14 points. He turns it, comes inboard to Josh Dacos. Possession number 11 coming up for him. Into the pocket for Cameron. In front, he holds on to it. The battle between he and Rowan Marshall has been intriguing. Cameron kicked 2 goals in the first quarter, making a statement going forward here.
And I'll tell you what, that was the most central kick that St Kilda have had, and it was still outside the logos. Like, it's unbelievable. That kick there from Dacos, Josh Dacos, that is, to Cameron, it's just put it in a space where he can run and jump at it, where only he could get it. You see a lot of the guys kick inside 450, you just air it out. There's actually not kicking to anyone. That was specific where he wanted to kick that. Let's see if he can kick his third, because that's a beautiful mark there. Deserving of another goal.
He'd only kicked 3 goals of the season coming into tonight. Darcy Cameron out to the right, 35 metres out for 3 goals in the first half. He misses to the right-hand side, a minor score. 15-point lead Collingwood's way. Chad made his debut in 2012.
Here
Had a
we
beautiful
go.
16 disposals against the Saints in round one. Top 10 draft pick, but obviously never felt the pressure.
Oh, I did. I remember it was against St Kilda, and I remember one thing specifically from my first game is that I had a really good patch there. I got sidestepped Lenny Hayes, and I thought I was on. Went for a kick, and I kicked the turf. So that was one of my first touches in AFL. That's what I thought you were bringing up. That's what I thought you were going to bring up. So I'm glad that I had it all.
Taru did get his first kick and all that too, and he kicked it down to a pack. So there we go. For the Flying Viking. Alex Taru. So Swedish, he's got the nickname the Flying Viking.
Yeah, love it.
Flying Dutchman's been taken, so he's got the Flying Viking. He gets his first touch in the second quarter. Ball will be tossed in front of the St Kilda bench. Steele running through there, can pick it up, collect. Hand pass to Brad Hill, who hand passes it to Marshall. Puts it on his boot very quickly, trying to curl it towards centre half forward. It does well and gets to Hall, who can spin around and kick it to the top of the goal square. A mark can be taken by Mason Wood running back. Got into some space, Mason Wood. Doesn't wait for the player on the mark to get there. Slams it through the goals. And Mason Wood in the end scores the first goal of the second quarter. It's 3 behinds to Collingwood, but it's Mason Wood with the first goal of the term. Cuts back the lead to single digits again. It's Collingwood leading by 9 points. The Pies 5-4-34, St Kilda 4-1-25. And Mason Wood gets his name on the scoreboard.
Well, it was a clearance winner, just defensive side of centre wing here. It got the ball forward. It was a nice little tap to the front. Jack Steele was involved there. They were able to get it back out on the outside to the runners. And Marshall, once Marshall got that ball forward, Sharman reads it really well off the boot. He's got the job on trying to nullify Howe at the moment. Read the ball really well, reacted first, got back to the footy, and as that was happening, Mason Wood just jumped out the back. He could see what was going to happen, and an easy little walk in there for Mason Wood. But hats off to the guys around the contest there from the Saints. They did a good job after being defeated 10-5 at clearances in the first quarter. They're on their mettle early here.
Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard, your experts on ABC Sport. Cameron misses at one end. Wood kicks at the other. Cameron wins down the tap, back in the middle. Pendlebury gathers. Tackle by Steele. Gets a hand pass forward. Bouncing ball, which Bobby Hill can't gather. Later, good tackle, though, on Hunter Clark. Somehow got the footy clear. Cameron takes it for Collingwood. Hand pass away to Nick Dacos. Chips it to Ed Allen at left half forward. He looks inside the attacking 50. Has Membry and McStay as the deepest targets. Ed Allen decides to send it in that direction. Myercheck sets himself. Elliott comes crashing through the pack. Long tries to tap it down to Bobby Hill. Can't take possession. Stocker put his head down. Cannon into Lipinski. And the umpire will ball it up in the back pocket.
I think there's some good reconnaissance done on Taru from the Magpies forwards. Every time he goes to run and jump, there's just a little nudge on his body as he is about to launch, just to take him offline.
Sinclair takes the ball from the stoppage and just kicks it right out of bounds on the full. So it'll be easily coming back to Ed Allen.
Hey.
Backwards, the boundary umpire falls over. Right onto his back and gets some cheers from the crowd, I guess, as the ball comes down right to the top of the 50 for the Saints. It'll be taken by Nick Dacos to help the Pies clear here. Hand pass to Long, hand pass to Lipinski, gets into some space, and he goals on his comeback into the side. Very quick movement from the Pies, and Pat Lipinski finishes it off. It's Collingwood now out to a 15-point advantage. 6-4-40, St Kilda 4-1-25. They get the quick reply to Mason Wood's goal down the other end. 10 minutes played in the second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
And geez, Collingwood love to reply. I mean, that's just class there. But again, St Kilda, where they're kicking it, that's obviously out in the full there, but they're kicking very
pretty wide.
That's as wide as you can get. They're kicking to the fan. They must have a guy in the seats and the stands here because they're kicking to him every time. But like I said, just their pressure that they're able to bring inside their 450. You brought it up half with in terms of their contest in the air.
Yep.
That they don't allow intercept marks. Wilkie's one of the best in the game at the moment. He hasn't had much of an impact in terms of oppo ball. Yep. He's having an impact of marks when they've got the ball, but he's not intercepting a lot. You think about guys who are making. You haven't seen Wangan and Malira run off at all.
No Sinclair action tonight. He's been really quiet as well. Their real key drivers aren't having a huge impact at the moment.
Darcy Cameron takes out of the ruck for Collingwood, kicks up towards half forward. Bobby Hill went back with a fly, but it's Brad Hill for St Kilda. Hand pass out towards Stocker. Tries to slap it forward. Lipinski comes over the top of Hunter Clark. The umpire will ball it up at left half forward. Saints yet to keep back-to-back goals in the match so far. Collingwood hold a 15-point advantage. Thrown up the air. Cameron up against Keeler. Keeler wins down the tap. Umpire goes down again.
I can't believe this game.
You're not the most sympathetic crowd, the Collingwood fans, but a free kick going the way of Jack McRae here, who was held when not in possession at right half back.
Someone forgot to mow the lawns here in Marvel. It's too long. Have you seen an umpire change boots at half time?
No.
Again, wide half.
Yeah, there's no ambition or energy in this ball movement at all, is
Jack McRae's kick up the wing. Jeremy Howe makes the spoil and goes out of play. We thought Perth Stadium would be the one on watch after the State of Origin into the Thursday night footy, but that passed the test. They left the sprinkles on pre-game here because everyone's slipping over, mainly the umpires.
It's funny how amusing it is, isn't it, when an umpire slips over? Nice ball in here from the boundary umpire. Cameron overruns it. Wanganeen Miller picks it up and hand passes it to McRae. Spins around and puts the ball inside 50 to St Kilda. It comes out the back of the pack. Perryman's there to collect and hand pass to Houston for the Pies, who was hand passing it to Chris, but was hard up against the boundary line. His hand pass goes out of bounds for a boundary throw, about 40 metres around from St Kilda's attacking goal.
25 to 5 tackles at the moment in favour of the Magpies. They're dominating the physicality of this contest. No Higgins impact, no Owens impact, no Webster impact. It's been a rough night for a few Saints out there.
Pies leading by 15 points as well in all that as McRae puts the kick inside 50. Owen's got a hand to it. Josh Dacos picks it up and hand passes it away to Houston, who's taken to the turf. And it'll be a ball up 40 metres outside from St Kilda's goal. 15 points the margin. 13 minutes played in the second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Warren Borden and Matt Clinch calling the action. Lex Pesce down the boundary. Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford, your experts. Pendlebury's hand pass out of the congestion. Chopped off by Stocker. Long kick inside 50. Wood the target. Can't take the mark. Higgins crumbed it superbly. Hand pass to Butler on his right. Swings back on his left. That is a classy finish. Dan Butler with his second. He sold all the Collingwood defenders a merry dance and finished with absolute class. The Saints close the gap once more. 9-point lead Collingwood's way. 6-4-40 to the Saints 5-1-31. Dan Butler with his second. Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford, your experts.
I don't know if I've seen a candy sold that high. If you think about the old school waitresses, he's almost had it like he's holding a platter. He sold candy on a platter.
He's on the roller skates.
And then he's turned around and just chucked it on his left. I've never seen such a high sales candy in my life. Geez, that's a great finish on his opposite for Butler. Look where he holds it.
He got Quainer.
No.
It was.
And he got Houston. He got both of them.
Sort of happy days, the roller skates.
The Fonz.
Little headband out to the car window and then just took it to the other car next door.
He's the Fonz, hey?
If I see the Tuscadero out there, I'm going home.
Oh, we've lost it.
And we're 15 minutes into the second quarter. Collingwood by 9. Marshall out of the ruck, just picks it out, clears it himself, and gets the kick directly inside forward 50. Burns can get it off his boot. Josh Dacos again goes in to collect it for the Pies. Hand pass to Perryman. Locks it in. Clark locks him down.
Someone's down.
And the umpire will throw the ball up inside the forward 50. Might be Butler as well there. It's just on his haunches a little at the back of the pack.
Yeah, he might have had some contact in the region. You probably don't want it.
So he's standing up now, but there was a free kick before the ball was even bounced to Dan McStay in the ruck contest. And he'll have it defensive 50 for the Pies. Flares it out wide towards the dock side of the stadium. Kicks it out towards a pack and Burns. He's just happy to see it over the boundary line for a throw-in.
It's interesting for St Kilda. They're not winning the clearances by any means, and they're going wide to get more stoppages. It's just a real strange way of attacking. And Royal Marshall, again, giving away another free kick. And he's given up 3 goals or 3 shots on goal of his direct opponent. And he's given up 2 clearance free kicks. He needs to just clean up a little bit with his, approach to the clearances.
And the throwing, Crisp goes after it, almost falls over the footy, and then plenty of players converge on it. Sidebottom tries to pick it off the back of the pack. McStay can grab it, has a go at it. Long has it now, and can just dab it inside forward 50. Mycheck can't quite take the mark, can take it on the volley, then darts left and right, hand passes it in the Elliott direction. He couldn't take it cleanly, so Wilkie's there to pick it up. Hand pass to Wilson, and it's Wilson that can find the safe hands of Brad Hill, top of defensive 50 for the St Kilda.
Handball to Winhager, hand pass to Sinclair to McRae, tackled by Sidebottom from behind. I said he didn't stick the tackle originally, and now says it is holding the ball. Jack Crisp will take the free kick for Collingwood. Chips it out to Sidebottom at left half forward, looks up. Almost comes to a complete stop as he tries to find the right avenue. Kicks down low for Membry. Desperate defending by Wilkie. Got a hand in there. Long picks it up one way, then the other. Kicks around his body, looking for Perryman. On the bounce he gathers. Swings onto his right. He fires on goal and gets it.
Good finish.
Collingwood once more wrestle back a 15-point advantage. 7-4-46 to St Kilda 5-1-31. 2 goals apiece so far in this second quarter. through 17 minutes. Thoughts of Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford, your experts on ABC Sport.
And that just sets the tone there. Bradley Hill should have pressed side bottom. You can't give side bottom that much space and time. He probably had 5 or 6 seconds without a mark, mind you. This is free play. You can tackle him, put pressure on. And then Ned Long, he's not the most agile player. Yes, he's strong. There was 4 St Kilda players around him not laying a tackle. So he didn't actually fend anyone off.
Yep.
No one was actually stepping forward to actually lay the tackle. And eventually he gets it out to the space. But you just can't... You've got to actually put some physical pressure on. You see what happened with Collingwood. They got that turnover. They tackled McRae. But they're just not putting that physical pressure on.
Well, we saw that tackle stat before, didn't we? 25-5. It's 7-6 in favour of the Magpies this quarter. It's just not good enough. Not Ross Lyon, is it? Ross Lyon loves that sort of stuff. We're not seeing it from the Saints tonight.
Marshall taps it towards Steele. He's taken it in a tackle, but can just get a hand pass it back to Marshall. His kick, though, will be taken by Allen. He can stream along half back and kick out wide to Will Hoskin-Elliott in the long sleeves. Marks right on the logo, out of sight of the ground, and indicates he's going to go long, and then just darts it short in front of him towards Lipinski. He can take the mark 20 minutes ahead of Hoskin-Elliott, or 20 metres rather, and then he'll
That's a long time in front. There's a bit of traffic.
The international date line.
Long time.
The chip comes to Josh Dacos, and then he'll kick to Brody Myercheck. He'll mark just right at the top of the 50. So that was about 4 chip kicks in a row.
Again, not stepping in. Like, you've got to step up and put some pressure on him. Go on the back foot a little bit, playing behind, not putting the pressure on.
How many goals for Pendles this year?
Not many. 1 goal 4.
How many outside 50?
Not many.
Less than 1.
So it is Pendlebury that's marked. He just kicks it from 48 metres out, and he absolutely nails the goal. A beautiful finish from Scott Pendlebury. And it's a game-high lead Collingwood push out to 21 points the margin. 8-4-52 the Pies. St Kilda 5-1-31. 19 minutes played in the second term. It's Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Well, we sort of sound like a broken record a little bit, but the ways the Pies move to the way the Saints move is so contrasting. We're getting very different results at the moment. The Pies win that ball on the broadcast side of the centre square and immediately look open side. They get the ball to Hoskin-Elliott and they're able to work it up to there and find Pendlebury just at the top of the arc. The Saints had have got that ball. They would have gone narrow side out to the boundary, and good luck trying to find
space.
Yeah, find space inside your forward 50. So it's just not a system at the moment, I don't think, that the Saints are going to find sustainable to score against this Collingwood outfit, because every time they go inside their arc at the moment, the Pies, they're able to hit the scoreboard.
6-6 warning against St Kilda. Collingwood leading by 21 points. They did do that game style successfully, St Kilda against Geelong, where they denied them the ball, and you wonder sometimes whether they've taken that game plan just a little too literally. Because the lack of pressure around the ball has been surprising. Cameron wins down the tap. Here's Nick Dacos. He burns away from Windhager. 2 bounces, a third bounce as he gets to half forward. Looks up inside 50. Kicks towards McStay. It won't reach him.
Boy.
And here he is, Taru on debut. Rises in the pack and takes the first of hopefully what will be many intercept marks for St Kilda fans. Switches inside defensive 50. Caminiti works it out to Wanganeen Miller. Right half back. Kicks the Saints close to the boundary line. Too close. Mitch Owens took the mark. That looked over the line. And Harry Perriman's making that point. Umpire says no.
Oh, that's another metre and a half out.
Very much flipped out. But Mitch Owens has the kick in. Will go right down to right half forward. Frampton got the hands on it, but just pushed it down towards Hall of the Saints. Hand pass to Higgins, who darts the kick inside 50. Marshall marks. Collingwood fans don't like it, but Rowan Marshall will have a shot at goal from 35 metres out. Just a slight angle to the right, stemming from that Mitch Owens mark that was a metre or so out of the boundary line.
So Rowan Marshall's gone forward. So how do you like these apples, Darcy Cameron?
What I love about Darcy, though, he didn't stand the mark. That wasn't me.
Exactly
I was down back, I was somewhere else.
He's on the goal line. That's where he is.
Kick it to me.
So he's been spending some time forward this year, and Rowan Marshall now with the chance to get one back for the Saints. Kicks towards goals and just misses to the right-hand side.
So not ideal, clearly, but we saw Owens involved, despite the fact he marked it in row 2, and then Higgins as well. So players that haven't had a real impact on this contest tonight for the Saints starting to get a little bit involved. So that's a good sign if you're a St Kilda supporter watching or listening tonight.
Collingwood by 20 points. Magpie fans still haven't got over the Wayne Harms. As Howe into the back pocket for Isaac Quainer. He kicks Collingwood up towards the wing. Cameron and McStay there. Wanganeen Miller flew in the pack, almost held onto the bar. Elliott's been quiet, tries to knock it forward for Collingwood. Clark knocks it out to Hall. Howard pass away to Marshall inside 50. Butler gave a shove on Howe. Umpire calls play on. Races back after it. Leaves it for Mason Wood, who gathers and jags it on his left. That's his second. Wasn't a lot in it and was able to make the most of his chance inside forward 50. St Kilda cut it back to a 14-point margin Collingwood's way. 8-4-52 for the Saints, 6-2-38. 3 goals apiece so far in this second quarter. Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard, your experts.
And again, St Kilda looked the best and looked like they're going to score off of turnovers. So whether that's off a contest or whether it's off like a neutral ball in terms of a stoppage or a clearance, they look best when they're getting repeat entries or when they're actually getting, because their first entry is normally wide and it's not like very slowed down. Collingwood have got all their numbers back in D50, but when it's a turnover, it's almost even numbers, and they're actually competing well there. They're not getting tackles, but that's almost a free kick again by Dan Butler. But to be able to keep that in, obviously then Wood to get that snap-on goal, it's a great finish. But again, they just need to get it in there and defend hard and just keep it in there.
So back in the middle now, Marshall and Cameron both get a hand to it, and it's Pendlebury who just runs in, grabs the footy, hand passes it to Nick Dacos, who again puts the afterburners on and will kick Collingwood right to the top of its 50, but it's turned over by Wilkie again. So Cal Wilkie on the end of it for the Saints, just marks at the top of defensive 50, chips it across to Stocker, who kicks it out towards Caminiti, still kicking across the 50. Hand passes to Wanganeen Miller. He's taken in the tackle, has to try and hand pass it back to Caminiti, close to the boundary line. He's happy to see the safety of it with Bobby Hill following on after him. And it'll be a boundary throw in now between wing and half forward.
Shout out to Daniel who's listening from the Sheraton Miami en route to Barbados.
Oh,
how do you like them apples?
Wow.
Sheraton Miami en route to Barbados, listening to us.
Loud and clear on the ABC Listen app. Also a cheerio. Scroll down, our listener in Portugal as well.
Oh, wow.
All around the world on the ABC Listen app. Steele's able to get the hand pass away. Links up with Rowan Marshall. Kicks up to Hall at right half forward. Saints all of a sudden lifting. Kicks into the pocket. Up towards Mason Wood. Couldn't hang on to the mark, but he will get a free kick in the right forward pocket. Saints still chasing back-to-back goals for the first time. Steve on 0437 774 774. Lobbing the call here in Portugal.
One day.
From where else you'd
rather be.
Could be. It's Mason Wood who's trying to work the angle here. Hemmed into the right forward pocket. He opens up the angle, snaps on his left. Got the fat part of the foot. He goes straight up in the air. Flying in the pack was Higgins. Can't take the mark. It's gathered by Perryman. Hand pass was too sharp for Hoskin Elliott. Ryan Burns a late in. Kicked it straight into Jack Crisp. It rounces back to him. He centres it looking for Butler. He missed him as well. And Nick Dacos sacks the intercepting mark. Collingwood on an attack here as he swings it out to Hoskin Elliott, right half back. Looks up. Only really has McStay. Tries to thread the needle looking for Elliott. It's chopped off by Wanganeen Miller. The Saints look to attack.
He plays on quickly and chips it forward towards Butler. Then Wanganeen Miller gets it back.
Oh, good read.
Chips forward towards Burns.
All the way.
Stocker. It's stolen though by the Pies. Nick Dacos is getting into this game in the second term. He chips it inside forward 50. And Caminiti stands in front of Elliott and comes into mark and intercept it for the Saints. Trying to kick across to Wilson though.
What is this game?
Intercept straight back as Myercheck steals it.
It's a bizarre game of footy at times. It's almost calamity.
The Saints had the footy, and then Nick Dacos had the footy, turned it over, then the Saints have turned it over through defence to Myercheck.
No one in front of him lost, Nick Dacos, even to the point when he kicked it was intercepted. Josh, who was running alongside him, had his head in his hands going, "What are you doing, mate?" Even Josh is into him.
So what can Brodie Myercheck take of this? It's a tight angle. He puts it towards goal. It goes across the face, and it's just a minor score for the Pies. That lead extends to 15 points. 8-5 playing St Kilda 6-2. 26 minutes played second term Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Let's head down to Lex Pesher on the boundary.
Why do we always go global when you're on the call?
I'm very popular.
I've heard.
If I say
Friends
so
in high
myself.
places, eh?
Sinclair into Wanganeen Miller. Kicks up towards Taru, who sends St Kilda to half forward. Keeler had hands to it, couldn't hang on to the mark. Bursting through his hole. Centering kick to Mason Wood. That's as good as the Saints have looked tonight. And Mason Wood marks pretty much directly in front. 35 metres out from goal. It's a second shot on goal in a matter of minutes. A chance once more to close the gap for Saints fans.
Well, he's looked dangerous, hasn't he? 2 goals. He missed that shot before when he bellied the ball, and now he's going to kick from 30 metres out directly in front effectively. Tell you who I like Max Hall.
Yeah.
He's a good ball user, around the arc, getting the ball in. I think he's a clever little player.
Good season pick up last year
Box Hill.
for Max Hall. And here's the footy in the hands of Mason Wood, and he's dragged this one right. So 4 shots on goal. He's kicked 2 goals, but 2 shots most recently. He wished he had been able to finish. Collingwood leading by 14 points.
He's played every game this year too, Max Hall. So got the debut, and then Ross Lyons kept him in it. It'll be Josh Dacos to take the footy in for the Pies. Long kick outside of defensive 50, close to the boundary line. Cameron pushes it down and side bottom. Just sees it over the boundary for a throw in.
His old man's a legend of the Eastern Footy League. Max Hall, his old man Brad from the Vermont Footy Club.
Yep. Very successful footy club, Vermont.
Oh, trophies everywhere.
They had that best run ever of wins, of consecutive wins, didn't they? Like 60 or something. They held a record there for a while.
I'll back you in on that.
Thanks.
They've been incredibly successful through the journey.
Toss back in. Cameron palms it down. Running onto it, though, is Clark of the Saints. He can spin around and curve the ball right inside the middle of 50 for the Saints. It's pushed out towards McRae. Hall gets a hand onto it, but can't control it. Long can take it. Hand pass to Allen. Quickly fires off a pass towards Quainer. Left half back for the Pies, and he can kick the footy to centre wing. Mycheck might have been held onto by Caminiti. Umpire says play on, and it's Wanganeen Miller who picks it up for the Saints. Kicks towards Wood.
Wood swings onto his left, into the pocket, looking for Mitch Owens, trying to fend off Billy Frampton. Front on contact, the Saints will get a shot on goal. Deep in the right forward pocket. Mitch Owens, a little fortunate there. Was able to hold off Billy Frampton, who never really had eyes on the ball, to be fair.
Let's see if he's doing the same approach as Mason Wood. Let's see if he has a better job of it.
Can the Saints take one of these chances? Owens opens up the angle, curls it right across the face of goal. Going back is Cameron. It stays in play. A chance for Higgins, gets down low. He's tackled by Houston. Cooper Sharman picks it up.
It's rugby scrum.
For the try line, he's tackled in the goal square, and it'll be a ball up. St Kilda metres out from goal. Collingwood by 14.
Balled up. Clark grabs it, tries to have a go at the goal. His kick is smothered. It comes back to him, and he spins around in a complete 360 and then just chips it to where he can. Higgins holds onto the footy, but was touched off the boot. And he is wrapped up by Howe. So another ball up, about 12 metres out from St Kilda's goal. They're trailing by 14 points late in this second term. They could go into the half in a single-digit deficit as the ball's tossed up. Windhager takes it. Hand passes it across to Sharman. Hand passes back to McRae. He'll have a kick towards goal and can squeeze it through. No, it was close. But it's just a minor score. So another point for St Kilda. It's 13 points the margin. 29 minutes played in this second term.
Good clarification for you, Loz. Pete off the SMS 0437 774 774 said 64 games for the Eagles, for the Mighty Vermont Eagles.
Wow. It's a few seasons in a row not losing a game.
It's a good streak, isn't it?
It certainly is. You'd like to be coach of that team. Nick Dacos brings Collingwood back into play, taking the kick-ins as Boomer Harvey used to always make reference. Not bad when you have the tag. It's a good option to do. Out to Quainer. Kicks up towards the wing. Mycheck can't take the mark. Brings it down to the front. Goes out of play in front of Wanganeen Miller and Nick Dacos. The two tangle. The ball goes over the boundary line. Collingwood by 13 points. The Magpies with 3 goals forward, and the Saints 3-3 in his second quarter. Collingwood led by 12 points at quarter time. There's a late out, unfortunately, with Mateus Filippo. Suffering, what are we hearing there? A calf tightness. And Ryan Burns coming into the lineup. Sullivan the sub into the action at quarter time for Collingwood. Bo McCreary subbed out as Windhager gathers it half forward for St Kilda. Hand pass to McRae down low into the forward pocket. It's marked by Mitch Owens.
I think that's what you've got to do coming inside forward 50 against the Pies. You've got to come back at the kicker. Otherwise, they'll just intercept those balls that are covering distance and hanging in the air. They've got too many good players who read the ball and too capable in the air. So come back up at the kicker. We've seen it a few times with Mason Wood. Some good delivery inside their forward arc. This is a positive outcome, I reckon, for the Saints.
Saints need to land a blow here. They're doing a lot of in work. Need to put it on the scoreboard. Mitch Owens comes in, out to the right. His kick is on line and misses to the right-hand side. And a minor score. Collingwood by 12 points. Closing in on half-time, 31 minutes gone. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
So they've sorted out their clearance issue from the first quarter, Chad. They're 15-7 up. They were 10-5 down at quarter time. They're 15-7 up in their second term. Inside 50s, 15 apiece. So they're getting enough ball. They're winning the contest, and that's why we're seeing a better situation for them in this. That's the second team.
So Mychek's marked and Wanganeen Miller has tackled him late. So he'll get a 50-metre penalty.
Just stupid.
I thought Mitch Owens actually deserved a 50 after Billy Frampton brought him to the deck, so that's a bit stiff if you're a St Kilda fan watching both those.
He's turned around Mychek too to find out how long's on the clock and looked at his bench. It's about 25 seconds, so he'll go long and try and get a mark inside 50 from one of his teammates. Hoskin Elliott's on the end of it. After it's touched, Tauru has a go for the Saints and goes in after it, and ball will be locked up here. Inside forward 50 for the Pies, about 30 metres out, but a stoppage. So St Kilda just trying to stop that score from extending late in this second term as Cameron taps it down. It'll be taken by McRae, who picks it up, dodges around and wins the free kick as well. It's Burns, rather, who wins the free kick for the Saints right on the stroke of half-time, where it'll be Collingwood leading by 12 points. It got out to as much as 21 points in that second term and then dwindled back to 12 points by the main break. It's Collingwood 8-5-53, St Kilda 6-5-41. The goal kickers so far tonight, Darcy Cameron with a couple for the Pies, Perryman, McStay, Pendlebury, Lipinski and Crisp, each with singles. Well, for St Kilda, it's Dan Butler who's got the multiples for his side, Darcy Cameron and Cooper Sharman with singles, and Mason Wood as well with a couple.
So both sides kicking 3 goals for in that second quarter, and the Pies, who led by 12 points at quarter time, lead by 12 points at half-time. The thoughts of Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard with you on Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, even Stevens for the quarter. I think Ross Lyon would be much more pleased with the way they structured up and worked from contest in that second term as opposed to that first term. I just reckon they got bullied around the ball a bit in that first term, Chad, and were able to match it a bit better in the second quarter against the Pies. And as a result, we're able to get better looks because they got turnovers. They get some more fluent play. They didn't have to hold the ball up and stop and go wide as we talked about at quarter time. They're able to use a bit more of the opportunities through the inner edges of the ground as opposed to the outer edges of the ground. And we saw a half-decent performance. Had they kicked more accurately in front of goal, it could have been a much better result for them at half-time.
Yeah, I think if you're St Kilda, you probably just shot you had a few punches there.
Yep.
You just needed to land a few. Like you said, you had a lot of them were kickable shots as well, and the fact that some of them didn't even register as a point. You think about, it's actually frustrating me. I think St Kilda's one of the teams I've watched a little bit this year. They actually, more often than other teams, they do snap from set shots. Higgins is a fiend for it.
Yep.
Yes.
And I don't believe some of them should be snapshots. I think if it's on your opposite and you're snapping from over 30 metres, you shouldn't do it. You should just a drop punt. I think, and Mason Wood there, Owens especially, again, Owens is on his opposite. He should have really just had a set shot. And Mason Wood and Owens both had another chance at it directly after their miss after a snap, and then they had a set shot. And you just think about their confidence after missing a shot like that. So for me, St Kilda, they need to. You can't leave scores on the board against this kind of team because Collingwood are going to come out now in the third quarter, and you're going to, they didn't. I thought they just kind of let the pedal off the gas a little bit with their intensity, their work around stoppage. I think their balance is a bit out. So it's actually the stoppages around the ground that they're losing was like 16-9. So their centre bounce clearances, they look very strong. They're obviously winning that, but they just need to fix their balance a little bit. They're getting outside. Ron Marshall again giving away a few free kicks. But I think you're pretty happy if you're St Kilda fans to seeing this. I think we were wondering how they would, I suppose, come out of the gates this week. They kick a couple of those. It's almost an even contest. But again, third quarter, they've got to come out stronger again because they know I think they left a few scores on the board just then.
So the shots on goal, as you made reference to, Chad, was 15-13 for the game. But in that second quarter, it was 10-7 the way of the Saints. So 3 goals for. So 7 shots, 3 that didn't score. Have you seen the battle between Nick Dacos and Marcus Winhager half? And no surprise, it's Josh Dacos with 17 disposals and Nasiah Wanganeen Millera with 18. The two running half-backs, which is very much the way the game's played at the moment.
Yeah, the modern game, very much. You want to be a half-back these days if we come back, Chad. I think we'll take that role up. But, I think it's been... Nick's had 15 or so, and he's going to get the ball. And what I would love to be, if I was a young superstar, I'd love to be riding shotgun with Scott Pendlebury because he's looking for Nick Dacos every time he gets the footy to get him in the game because he knows how important he is for the Magpies, but also provides great foil for with his capacity to get the ball and take some pressure off and look for other players to come and shut him down, which frees up Nick Dacos along the way. So I think it's been an even Stevens type battle. Nick Dacos hasn't really impacted the game too much. He's broken out a couple of times, had a great opportunity centre forward in that second term, which he made a bit of a blue on, just trying to be too unselfish, I think, was the reason it happened. So I don't think he's setting the game alight. Windhager's doing a fair role. He's had 10 disposals himself. It's a bit of a nothing battle at the moment, that one, to be honest with you.
Norm Smith medalist Bobby Hill hasn't had a disposal at half-time. He's had 3 tackles. Dusty Moore's just had the 1 for Collingwood and Jamie Elliott 3. So their small forwards haven't had much of a role in this game.
No, you're right. At both ends too. I mean, Jack Higgins hasn't had a huge role in a couple of positions that quarter, but the Smalls haven't had an influence at all. And we were talking before the game, chat about Jamie Elliott and what a year he's had. I mean, we're not the only ones talking about that, but his lack of impact on this contest is quite fascinating, to be honest, because it doesn't seem like it's a lockdown defensive role. It's just a roll-on, roll-off type situation, but he just hasn't been able to find any space or any avenues to the ball at this stage, which is a bit of a problem for the Saints, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because he could come out and go bananas in the second half and put a real dent in the scoreline.
On the SMS, 0437774774. Marcus in South Melbourne says, Vermont being the home of the great Paul Vanderhaar.
Oh, there we go, the Flying Dutchman.
Flying Dutchman, there we go.
Flying Viking out there tonight.
Right on cue. This would be similar to my old man. 0437774774. Heading south on a France wine tasting. But listening to the call, go Pies. So, keep in touch with the ABC call wherever you are in the world. And Stephen Ballarat says, as a young fella, Rowan Marshall was a beautiful set shot for goal. The poor fella can't buy a goal these days. The stats would back that up. Yep, for the season, he's booted 3 goals, 7 before today, so a couple of behinds to add to that.
Yeah, you're right. I remember him being quite a talented goal kicker, but doesn't get the opportunities much these days, but certainly not taking the chances when he gets those looks. That's the problem for the Saints as well. Maybe this is why they are so desperate to get that second big bloke into the system. And Tom De Koning, obviously, they're chasing really hard. So they can maybe put him back into that role and regenerate this talent that we don't quite see enough of at the moment.
Or it's in the back of Rowan Marshall's mind that there might be someone else coming to take his spot. He is contracted till the end of next season, Rowan Marshall. Collingwood leading by 12 points at half-time. Let's pause from Docklands and bring in the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. The Israel-Iran war has entered its second week with more strikes from both sides as talks go on in Geneva between European ministers and Iran's top diplomat that failed to achieve a breakthrough. The latest strikes include an Israeli attack on a key nuclear site near the city of Isfahan, but Iraq says no nuclear leakage has been detected. Israel's defence minister says its military has also killed a veteran commander of the overseas arm of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, but there's no confirmation yet from Iran. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump continues to weigh possibly direct American military involvement, despite increasing international concerns that the conflict could spiral out of control. The chair of the Productivity Commission says there's scope to reform the GST, but it could come at a cost to the federal budget. Treasurer Jim Chalmers has opened the door to potential changes on taxation policy as he looks to lift productivity in the economy. Danielle Wood says people might work less if they're facing higher income tax rates, resulting in less human capital in the economy. She says the federal budget could rely more on consumption taxes.
The challenge in doing that is you also have to, on equity grounds, I think, offer compensation to other groups, such as people on welfare payments. It's not something we've looked at specifically at the Productivity Commission, but I've done work in a past life that showed you can do such a package.
Pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil has been released on bail from an immigration detention facility in the US state of Louisiana. The Columbia University graduate had been detained for 104 days as part of US President Donald Trump's crackdown on student protests. The Syrian-born Mr. Khalil is a legal US resident and has not been charged with any crime. Speaking after his release, he says once you enter immigration detention, you cease to have any rights.
So once you enter there, you see a different reality. Just a different reality about this country that supposedly champions human rights and liberty and justice. But once you cross literally that door, you see the opposite side of what's actually happening.
Cold weather is expected to continue across southeastern Australia tomorrow after a number of places in New South Wales reported their coldest June morning in years today. Large parts of Victoria, New South Wales and the ACT will all see below average temperatures before a series of cold fronts moves over much of southern Australia later in the week, bringing rain and strong winds. Sarah Scully from the Bureau of Meteorology says clear skies are causing chilly weather.
Tomorrow it's expected to be another very cold start again, but not quite as cold as what we saw this morning. We've had a high pressure system that's been sitting over eastern Australia, and that has brought clear skies and light winds, and it's under those conditions that temperatures can really plummet overnight, resulting in these really frosty and cold mornings.
Italian fashion designer Giorgio Armani is to miss his first two shows at Men's Fashion Week in Milan for the first time in more than half a century. The company says the 91-year-old is recovering at home after being admitted to hospital. His chief assistant will greet the audience at the shows. Mr. Armani is still expected to attend shows in Paris to present his haute couture collection. More than half of Australian women are experiencing depression, while almost half are suffering from anxiety, according to a new report on the status of women's mental health. Joshua Allen has the details.
The September Foundation's latest annual report surveyed more than 7,000 women across the country this year. It's found more than 1 in 2 women experience mental health issues and almost 1 in 4 have a severe condition. The Foundation says it's alarming given these figures have persisted since 2022. It's urging the Australian government to improve women's mental health through gender-responsive care, improved training for healthcare professionals, more affordable support, and by integrating mental health into general health services.
And if you or someone you know needs help, please call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Turning to sport, and Sydney has picked up an important win for its AFL campaign, defeating Port Adelaide by 19 points at the Adelaide Oval. Swans midfielder Isaac Henney finished with a game-high 29 disposals as well as 2 goals in the 9-17-71 to 7-10-52 victory. The result means both teams are 2 wins and percentage points outside of the top 8. Henney has told ABC Sport that with players returning from injury, last season's grand finalists are getting back to their best.
I think it's a good step forward down here. First win in 10 years. We knew it was going to be a big challenge. They're in good form again. So to do that down here is pretty impressive, and we'll take a lot of confidence out of that. And now we'll obviously see how we go next week against a quality side, especially an unbelievable midfield.
On the ABC Listen app, hear the latest true crime podcasts. Binge the full investigation on Someone Knows Something, Unravel and Mushroom Case Daily. True crime on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Bob McCreary has been subbed off with hamstring awareness.
Taru rises in the pack and spoils it through. You mentioned hasn't had a touch yet. He's not alone. Bobby Hill, Brody Myercheck and Allen all haven't touched it so far as we're into the second quarter. Chad, you were a top 10 draft pick. Do you feel that pressure on Deboo wanting to get your first touch?
I'm wondering where that was going. Haven't had a touch. So hang on. You can bring up a game over and a touch in the first half.
Does well and gets to Hall, who can spin around and kick it to the top of the goal square. A mark can be taken by Mason Wood running back. Got into some space, Mason Wood. Doesn't wait for the player on the mark to get there. Slams it through the goals. Ed Allen backwards. The boundary umpire falls over. Right onto his back. Gets some cheers from the crowd, I guess. Hand pass to Long. Hand pass to Lipinski. Gets into some space. And he goals on his comeback into the side.
Right up the air. Cameron up against Keeler. Keeler wins down the tap. Umpire goes down again.
I can't believe this go.
Hand pass to Butler on his right. Swings back on his left. That is a classy finish. Dan Butler with his second.
I don't know if I've seen a candy sold that high. If you think about the old school waitresses, he's almost had it like he's holding a platter. He sold candy on a platter.
He's got the roller skates.
And then he's turned around and just chucked it on his left. I've never seen such a high sales candy in my life. Jeez, that's a great finish on his opposite for Butler. Look where he holds it.
He got
there.
No. It was. And he got Houston. He got both of them.
But it's Pendlebury that's marked. He just kicks it from 48 metres out. And he absolutely nails the goal.
Kicks the Saints close to the boundary line. Too close. Mitch Owens took the mark. That looked over the line. And Harry Perryman's making that point. Umpire says no. Races back after it. Leaves it for Mason Wood, who gathers and jags it on his left. That's his second.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at Toplands, it's Collingwood who lead by 12 points. We've had some fun. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard, your experts. So much fun. I'm choking on my words. The Magpies, who lead by 12 points at quarter time, lead by 12 points at half-time. Mateus Filippo was a late out. Ryan Burns came in. That was just 2 minutes before the opening bounce. And Lockie Sullivan came in at quarter time, as you heard there in the highlights. Bro McCreary, who had been one of the shining lights in centre bounce attendance. Unfortunately, his night was done. Collingwood lead by 12 points. Earlier today, it was the Kangaroos who recorded their 4th win. They've now won 3 of their last 5 matches to defeat the Blues by 11 points. They didn't score in the final term. Carlton booted 5 goals, 5. North Melbourne 13-6-84 to the Blues 10-13-73. Cam Zurhaar finished with 3 goals. Mitch McGovern booted 4. In front of 52,000 at the MCG. Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard. What does it say firstly about the Roos? Starting to build a bit of traction, and in the past couple of seasons have managed just the 3 wins under Alistair Clarkson. They've now started to break that shackle, and it starts to open up the possibilities to build some momentum in the second half of the season.
Yeah, and North Melbourne have been a disappointing team for me because I think they actually have a lot more talent than the bottom 6 teams. I believe that North Melbourne actually have more chance than... They're saying Essendon's going to have the biggest bounce back next year, right? Mm-hmm. I think North Melbourne are going to have more of a bounce back than Essendon. I think they're going to be the team that's going to jump the most positions. I think they're the team that's showing the most promise, and mainly because they've got guys that are in the high tier. I think about Jiri as their ruckman, is the number 1 ruckman in the competition at the moment. You got Sheasel, Larky's just playing okay. Paul Curtis is one of my favourites.
He is one of your favourites.
Bench press Paul.
Yeah, best. But they've got talent around them. I think, like I said, I believe that they can jump next season. I think it starts now, though. Like they've had their losses that have been pretty close. Games that they should have won, especially that Brisbane draw down in Hobart. I thought they should have won. Everyone knew they should have won that game. So I think it shows more about North Melbourne, if I'm being honest. I think they're any given week, I think they can win.
And then the flip side of that is, where does that leave the Blues, given that most people didn't have them as a bottom 4, bottom 6 team? They are running out of runway in this season, and Graham Wright is taking over as the CEO at season's end. There will be some, no doubt, conversations about what happens with their list, what happens with Tom de Koning, what do they do to try and rebound back up the ladder?
What happens with their football department too? Graham Wright is a key player in all of this. He's just sitting back watching it all unfold at the moment. Cookie's in charge still as the CEO, but no doubt Wrighty is positioning his vision of what the future looks like for the Baggers, and I don't think there'll be too much change throughout this home and away season, but I've got a theory that he'll be active in the off-season. Yeah, he'll be active. Now, I didn't tip Carlton to be a finals team, so I'm not sure how many people did, but certainly I wasn't expecting too many losses to teams like the Kangaroos, who I do agree with Chad that they are certainly evolving, and for the last month in particular, they're evolving in front of our eyes, and I reckon there's enough good signs, and McKirch is one who's really standing up at the moment, 29-2 for him today. That's a pretty good day for Colby.
Yeah.
Tom Powell's having a real influence around the contest and around on ball,
Barker,
which is enabling Davies Uniacke and Sheasel to actually just play a little bit more outside, a bit more line-breaking roles. So there's a lot to like there, but yeah, Carlton fans will be devastated with that today. They've been hanging on for years. It's 30 years. 30 years since they won a flag, and I hang around with them during the week, these Carlton supporters, and they are just hanging on by a thread at the moment, and this is not going to help. This is not going to help.
The cameras on the TV broadcast was looking for the Carlton fan that was crying. They eventually found a young kid who was bawling his eyes out.
Which row are you going to go to?
Yeah, exactly. I think there was parents and kids that were crying by the end, having sat through a bit of that. The Sydney Swans prevailed by 19 points over Port Adelaide. They kicked 9 goals, 17-71, and despite their inaccuracies in front of goal, they prevailed over Port Adelaide 7-10-52. Will Hayward booted 3 goals. Isaac Heaney had 28 disposals and 2 goals. Cal Mills was back to his best as well. Cholamati kicked 6 behinds from his 9 shots on goal, so could have been a far more comfortable win for the Sydney Swans. And Port Adelaide 7 individual goal kickers. Mitch Georgiades booted 1 goal, 3. So the Swans are sort of 2 games outside the top 8. It seems a bridge too far, Chad, but they are one of those sides that if they could get on a run, they could certainly shape the 8.
Well, you could tell the story that they haven't had a full-sided team this year, and now they're slowly getting their players and star players back, and maybe they could make a run of it. I think out of anyone outside the 8, they're probably the one that I'm looking at the moment that are looking like they potentially could, but it depends on their run home. And you think about it depends what happens with the Gold Coast GWS game. I think they're starting to worry me, GWS as well. Like their worst is pretty bad. But their best is very good. So they're
Yeah.
a team out in the top 8 at the moment that I don't quite trust.
Well, the Gold Coast haven't instilled great confidence back half of seasons previous years gone by. Now, this is hopefully, for them, a different generation of Gold Coast Sun, but they've still got to prove their capacity to play the full season too. So there's a bit of a watch on them, I would have thought. And Sydney, I think Sydney are going to have to win 8 of 9.
Yeah.
The way it's going to unfold, so it's going to be brutal.
Big ask.
Way back through.
Yeah.
As the players head back out into position, there's no shortage of cricket taking place. So there's plenty to keep you across in terms of the ABC Listen app. But in the test between England and India, India are 3 for 412, I should say. That's at Drinks on day 2 from Headingley. So England won the toss and decided to send India in. So that hasn't exactly worked according to plan. But the big news is that Australia and the West Indies, the 3-test series, we will have coverage for you on the ABC Listen app. So every ball will be available as you try to go to sleep or maybe stay up through the middle hours of the morning. So just look for the red cricket ball and, of course, on the ABC Sport digital platforms for the first test from the Kensington Oval getting underway from Barbados. And you will hear it all with the ABC Sport team on Wednesday night. Collingwood leading by 12 points. Players are back out in position. What will we see here? St Kilda are able to make inroads in that second quarter. Their last 5 to 8 minutes of the quarter, but couldn't capitalise on the scoreboard. Nick Dacos once more has Marcus Winhager to start this second quarter as the umpire holds the ball off. Third quarter about to get underway. Here's Lauren Borden.
Rowan Marshall and Darcy Cameron standing alongside each other as the umpire does a little dance before putting the ball down in the centre of the Docklands turf. Pushed down towards Steele, who takes it, and he's taken by Pendlebury and wrapped up. And it'll be a secondary ball up just outside the 2 centre circles. Marshall with front position, palms it down to Steele. He's spun around and brought to the ground again. Pendlebury waiting for the umpire to come in and stop things and throw the ball up yet again. So not moving very far in the opening stages of this third term as Windhager goes after it. And just pushes it as far as Allen of the Pies, who gets a hand pass into some space. Cameron goes after it, but he's beaten to the footy by McRae, who hand passes it to Marshall. Shoves the ball on his boot towards Sharman. And the Saints can move it along here through the broadcast wing. Hand pass to Wood. And just a little chip kick towards Brad Hill, who marks it left half forward. Decides to play on and puts the kick inside 54. St Kilda, he wants a mark from Wilson. In the end, front position came to Allen. He couldn't take the mark though for the Pies. Still a chance here for the Saints. Goal square. Owens on the line. Goals for the Saints. Took his opportunity a metre out from goals, and Mitch Owen puts the Saints within 6 points of Collingwood a minute into this third term. It's St Kilda 7-5-47, creeping towards Collingwood 8-5-53. Just a minute and 15 seconds played in this third term.
Well, it's a real bad defensive error from the Magpies. Ed Allen drops the mark, but should have had better support at ground level. They are normally a really good goal line defensive team, but just allowing Owens to pick that ball up and slam it on his boot. Josh Dacos was on the goal line as the goalkeeper, but just didn't come back at the ball. That's a bad error from the Magpies. But well done to the Saints. They've made this very, very interesting very early. Got the ball out of the contest. Rowan Marshall involved here in the centre of the ground, and they just drew the extra number out. They ran at the extra number and drew that out, which created more opportunity, one-on-one forward of the ball. And as a result, they get a pretty handy goal early doors.
And had 4 shots on goal for 1-1, so wasn't able to capitalise in the second quarter. Opening goal there of the third, back in the middle of the ground. Ball spills out Collingwood's way. Elliott is crashed into by Rowan Marshall. It's picked up by Wilkie, kicks up towards half forward. Mason Wood down low marks. Keep an eye on Jamie Elliott. He got heavy treatment there. Saints work it up to half forward. Brad Hill swings onto his left, kicks high, looking for Owens. Bumped off it by Darcy Moore. At the back, Jeremy Howe for Collingwood. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. High kick to Lipinski. Wilkie works his way to the front. Can't take the one-hander mark. Spills out underneath he and Lipinski. Spills out Collingwood's way. Merriman had it for a moment. Wanganeen Miller gives it back to Wilkie inside 50. Frampton comes out. Can't hang on to the chest mark. Spills out to Hall. Front and centre. Fires on goal. The perfect spot for a crummer. And would you believe it? Scores are level. St Kilda kicked the first 2 goals of the third quarter inside 3 minutes. And we're locked at 53 apiece. 8-5-53. Saints with 2 goals on the trot for the first time in the match. They've now kicked 3 consecutive goals either side at half-time. Daniel Hufford and Chad Wingard.
Wilkie and Wood are the players that have really turned it around for the Saints from that second quarter onwards. Both involved in that passage of play there. Wilkie off half-back. Just reads the ball so well, knows when to come forward. And Wood's the other one. He's had a couple of shots at goal. We've talked about his wayward goal kicking, but he's the one that presents back up at the footy across half forward, draws that defender out. He's becoming a really important cog in this St Kilda team tonight. Good to see my man Maxie Hall get one through the big sticks.
Yeah, and
well
talking
done.
about Collingwood players, Darcy Moore's only had the one touch. And you think about that, I didn't realise he was out there until he was on the screen. No spoils as well, going for marks. 2 drop marks by Collingwood equals in 2 goals for St Kilda.
And the clearance here for the Saints.
Scores level, and the Saints want to go again via McRae, who puts them inside 50. Windhager takes it, hand passes it, stolen by Nick Dacos. Bounces inside defensive 50, and then hand passes to brother Josh, who goes back to Nick, who tracks back, then moves forward. Just dabs the kick out towards Allen. That's hit the turf. No, he's claimed the mark. Hand passes it across to Nick Dacos, and he'll put a little bit more on this kick. And chip down to centre wing, outer side of the ground to Elliott, who marks, spins, and then puts the kick to left half forward, where it's Caminiti who comes in and intercepts the mark for St Kilda.
They've defended that area of the ground pretty well in transition, the Saints.
Caminiti at half back, high ball around the city wing, in the direction of Cooper Sharman. It won't get to him. And Jamie Elliott takes the mark for Collingwood. Centre wing hugged in against the boundary line as there's not a lot of movement further afield. So sends it in the direction of Myercheck and Membry. Membry from the back, spoils it down. Sullivan trying to spin out of traffic. He's tackled by Jack Steele. That's prior opportunity. Free kick holding the ball going St Kilda's way. Taru was the player who initially laid the tackle. We'll get the free kick at right half back. Alex Taru on to boot. Big 10. Flying Viking, as he's become known from his underage footy. He kicks up towards the wing, and Mitch Owens works his way to the front and takes the mark. Owens to half forward. High ball in the direction of Rowan Marshall. Darcy Moore comes charging through, and the Collingwood captain pounds out of defence. Hand pass over the top to Sullivan. Turns sidewards, hand pass to Pendlebury. Feeds it out to Lipinski. Between wing and half forward on the broadcast side. Looks into the pocket, chips it to Nick Dacos. Just inside 50 out to the right. Around the back, hand pass to Dan Houston on the run, fires towards goal, working it right to left, and misses from behind on the right-hand side.
Dacos conscious the Pies going forward. Ned Long was in the corridor 30 metres out all by himself, and they went wide to Dacos. They took it even wider to get to Houston for that running shot at goal, but they just opened their vision up a little bit. Look for better opportunities, they'll get better looks.
Lead now Collingwood by just 1 point though. As Wanganeen Miller brings it in and kicks out towards Stock up. He'll go further, long down the wing. The dockside wing, Mason Wood marks, and then the hand passes it to Wilson, who'll kick to right half forward for the Saints over the top of Sharman's head. Howe was at the back, couldn't control it. So it'll be a throw in on the outer side of the ground, about 55 metres out from the Saints' goal. They've kicked the first and only 2 goals of this term so far. And it's now Collingwood leading by just 1 point after they led by 12 at half time. Cameron takes the footy unopposed, but pushes it right down to McRae, who spins around, puts the kick inside 50 for the Saints. Hall's on the end of it. Hand passes it to Wilson, being tackled by Perryman in the end, has to get rid of it. And it's Pendlebury that picks it off and then kicks it towards Elliott, who has Sinclair close checking him, and it's pushed over the boundary line. Will be a throw in on the city side ground of Docklands Stadium. It's Collingwood leading by 1 point. 8-6 playing 8-5. 6 minutes played in the third term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
On the SMS 0437 774 774. Matt from Clifton Springs says, are we allowed to mention currently experiencing a streaming issue with KO? No issue on the ABC Listen app as we bring you this match. Collingwood by a point. Jamie Elliott through the middle of the ground. Spots up Lipinski. He marks to the right of the centre circles. Plays on trying to draw Brad Hill. Wanted to hand pass over the top to Nick Dacos. Kicks in the pocket. And Membry was on the lead. It was a good kick as he marks in front of Caminiti.
That was great ball movement. I mean, they're gone from one side into the corridor, and he just had that patience. Just took an extra couple seconds to choose where he went through, and Bobby Hill and Membry just switched over. They swapped sides and actually confused the defenders. So Membry got a free run at it, but that's a great lead. It would have been a long lead, 40-metre lead for him.
Gets a goal in the first quarter. Tim Membry playing against his former side for the first time. Out to the right. Membry to extend Collingwood's lead. He fires it at the left goalpost. It doesn't quite have the journey. Taru spoils it through for a minor score. Collingwood lead by 2 points. 8 minutes gone. Third term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Wanganeen Miller brings the footy in. And again just chips it out to the back pocket to Wilson. Kick doesn't come off his boot well, but it does make its way to Stocker, who puts a long kick right down the wing. Up high went Sharman, doesn't take the mark. Higgins was at the drop. Hand passes it across to Steele, who takes a bounce very close to the boundary line, can get the kick away and put the Saints inside 50. Wood at the front, pushes it down to Owens. Umpire blows his whistle and there'll be a free kick going the way of the Saints. It'll be Mitch Owens that'll have it for St Kilda. And he'll take the free kick from a tougher than 45-degree angle, about 35 metres out.
Where they're winning at the moment, Chad, is in that middle third of the ground between the arcs. When they kick long, they're getting numbers to the fall. And they're getting crumb opportunities, which the Magpies aren't able to deal with. They don't have the representation or aren't in the right positions. The Saints are really swooping on that.
So Mitch Owens just dabs the kick towards goals. It goes completely across the face and out of bounds on the full. He had the chance to put St Kilda in front and missed everything. So St Kilda's, Collingwood's lead stays at 2 points, 9 minutes in the third term.
10 shots on goal to 7, St Kilda in the second quarter. It's more, they've been on top early here. Darcy Moore out of defence, up towards half-back. Caminiti reaches over the back of the pack, spoils it down. Jack Crisp runs onto it for Collingwood. Half pass to Lipinski, shoved out of play by Hunter Clark. Just lands amongst the St Kilda bench where Keeler is getting some massage work done. Umpire to throw it back in.
Interesting watching and just listening to the noise in the stadium tonight. There's not a lot of atmosphere, and the fact of being a Collingwood home game, there's not really great energy, and the Pies are so good when there's real vibrancy in the crowd. And maybe that's a factor in all this as well at the moment. They're just off their tucker a little bit.
Steele's hand pass straight to Lipinski, who tries to get it forward for Collingwood. Sullivan becomes the tackler. And the umpire will ball it up with Webster on the bottom. Collingwood played 2 home games at Docklands this season. They play the West Coast Eagles next week. It's their second one. They don't play a lot here. Darcy Cameron kicks up towards half forward for Collingwood. Bounces off Caminiti's chest. He regathers it after Lipinski tried to get it going forward. Clark gets down low for St Kilda. Jams a kick on the right boot in the middle of the ground. Cooper Sharman caught behind and Darcy Moore. It's the intercepting mark for Collingwood looking to get involved.
And that's what you usually see. I mean, him and Howe have only had 5 marks between them, and that's the first intercept. And that's what maybe will get him into the game. Maybe stopping them there, which, like you said, half they've been winning those contests, St Kilda.
More directly inside 50. Membry tries to gather. Sullivan has a go at it for the Pies. And in the end, it's Wilkie that collects and clears for the Saints. It was a 2-on-1 Marshall against Cameron and Crisp. And Marshall wanted the free kick, but Crisp wins out with the mark.
Cameron.
Cameron.
Sorry, Cameron's going to get it. I was just watching him. Sorry, Loz.
Lipinski.
That was not me. I was just watching him. I talked out loud. That was an inside voice. I think it came outside.
You predicted what was going to happen.
I was just watching him
moving.
moving.
And your microphone goes on and off half.
101.
Yeah, cop that half, Ed.
Bit of feedback.
My inside voice.
But you did foresee everything, and Darcy Cameron does have the footy. He's 50 metres up, hard up against the boundary, and he'll just chip backwards towards Moore, who had to reach with everything and go backtracking to mark.
He demanded that footy, Darcy Moore. He was using his outside voice, his captain's voice.
That's good.
Sorry for being right, Bill, by the way.
But he had to take the mark more, and that's what he does. Puts it inside 50.
Well,
turns it over to Marshall, but it'll be a free kick going the Pies' way. And McStay wins out.
It's Taru.
So a push in the back sees Dan McStay have a chance to push out Collingwood's lead. He'll go the snap as well from about 30 metres out.
I don't like this.
So Dan McStay already has a goal tonight.
I like that.
He has a second.
Settle down, dinosaur. That's what McStay said to you. You dinosaur, Wingard.
There's no issue with the snap when you have the finish. And Collingwood's lead goes back out to 8 points. It's Dan McStay's second goal of the night. 9-7-61. St Kilda 8-5-53. Your ABC sport experts Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford.
Yeah, and it hasn't been, like you said, the crowd is in a lull because it hasn't been too many exciting moments. Hasn't been too many back-to-back goals. Hasn't been much flow. We talk about the small forwards that haven't had much impact of Bobby Hill, the Higgins, of the likes, Hall. These players haven't been involved because small forwards, geez, I'm being a little bit biased here.
Yes.
But we rely on ball movement. We rely on quick turnovers. We rely on, I suppose, everything that happens up the field, and then where the finished result. We're the ones that get the mark. We put the pressure on. But at the moment, neither team are really having flow. It's been on back of stoppage scores. It's been back of turnovers. Hasn't been much, I suppose, ball movement or transition kind of play for the small forwards to get involved.
Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport. Keeler one down the tap. Clark was too slow. Tackled by Sidebottom. Collingwood through McStay. Hand pass to Nick Dacos. Inside 50. Bobby Hill in the lead. the perfect pass to the small forward. And Collingwood, plenty of high fives in the middle of the ground. That was predictable as they burst out of the centre square.
There's that flow you were looking for, Chad. As you see, Bobby set it to go around the corner from 40 metres.
Has not touched the ball until now.
This is a big snap. This is a 40 to 45 metre snap.
This is when you really belly it, because you try and kick it really hard because you have to cover the distance.
There's only one person I see would do this every time. I'll talk about after the shot.
13th minute of the third quarter. Bobby Hill with his first touch, curls it on the right and misses the left-hand side. So got the distance but couldn't quite control the accuracy. Collingwood by 10 points, Chad.
The best snap shot from outside 40, Paddy Ryder. Never seen him miss.
He was good.
Never seen him miss a snapshot from outside 40.
That's a good shout.
Nice work. I put Jeremy Cameron on the podium.
On his left, yes.
Yep.
So Wangani Miller has been standing in the goal square for a fair while. And then he gets the cheers of the crowd before finally moving it on just to the back pocket to Stocker, who again will go with the long kick right down the city side of Dockland Stadium. Moore at the front, pushes it down for the Pies. But Gray does enough just to get it across to Wilson, who'll go with a long kick himself, almost out of bounds on the full. And it'll be Perryman who might have marked it. No, it'll be out of bounds. Oh, it must have bounced, or it must have been touched over the line.
Yeah, juggled over the line, I think it was.
So I think Perryman wanted the mark.
Their ability to kick it right on the line is actually quite admirable.
Should be golfers. They're hitting the spot. That's
45-metre kicks long down the line, just on the boundary line. It's quite remarkable.
McStay just takes it out from the boundary throw in, puts it on his boot to get some distance down. And it'll be a push going the way of St Kilda. And it's Stocker to take it just backwards of the centre circles at Docklands.
Bobby Hill right in the middle of the 11s of Hunter Clark as he kicks it back inside defensive 50. Miss Wilkie, but has enough time to gather and chips it out to Webster. 0437 774 774. Looking nominees for the best snap across their body for goal. Certainly Paddy Ryder was up there, Chad's nominee, as the Saints through Taru. Kicks up towards Hunter Clark on the wing. He plays on, sends it inside 50. Sharman tries to clear it for Wood, can't take the mark. Racing out of it, Perryman's outnumbered. Burns keeps it alive. Hand pass away to Mitch Owens, who fires on goal and across the face. He's had one of those sort of games, Mitch Owens. Collingwood by 8 points. A number of shots on goal, but hasn't been able to capitalise. He had 6 shots on goal for 1 goal, 2.
Josh Dacos brings it in, tries to go right up the line. Wangani Miller was there to meet it, just couldn't control the footy, so had to kick it along the ground to Elliott in the end, who picked it up for the Pies. Hand pass to Nick Dacos, hand pass to Hoskin Elliott. Put a long kick down. Bobby Hill will mark this one over Stocker, and he'll keep going and play on. Hand passes it across to Hoskin Elliott, who's standing there at left half forward. Inside 50 he'll go, and it's Keeler who sits back there for the Saints to intercept the mark.
They're just a bit off the Pies. They had runners inside then. They would normally feed the ball to it. They're just feeling different, it looks like.
Of course, coming off the bye, so I think Craig McRae was up in Port Douglas, whereas the Saints have come off a 72-point loss here at Docklands last Thursday night as they try and work the footy along the broadcast wing towards Owens. Sharman will take it. He's being held, can just get a hand pass out to Owens. Hand passes to Clark.
Hand pass inboard to McRae. Keel or tackle. Trying to fend off Nick Dacos. No whistle initially. Hill kicks inside 50. It is a late whistle.
If the out of zone inside defensive 50, the Magpies called it.
Noise of affirmation. The Collingwood fans are cheering there, and Dan Butler's just gone, no, you can get your own footy. So Ed Allen has to go and get it from the back pocket. And Nick Dacos will take the free kick in the middle of the ground.
It's the right outcome. It was a dead set throw. You see the replay. He just launches it out with his left hand. Keeler.
Nick Dacos, position number 22 coming up. Just Isaiah Wangani Miller has more with 23. So Marcus Winhager for company. Had the tight tag on him for most of the first half, but when Dacos went to half forward, he didn't follow him. Kicks up towards Ed Allen, who marks it right half forward. Western Australian son of Ben, of course. Marks it to Lipinski. Has it between the wing and half forward. Ignores the Membry lead initially, comes inboard, turns it straight over, looking for side bottom. Cooper Sharman gets a fist in there. Ricochets back out to Lipinski, has another go at it. Into the pocket, looking for Elliott. It's wide of him and Bobby Hill. And off the bottom part of the knee comes off Stocker, out for a boundary throw in the right forward pocket for Collingwood. The Pies leading by 8 points, 17 minutes gone, third quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Did you play with Ben?
No, Ben was the reason I got to Hawthorn.
Oh.
He went to the Dockers.
Yep.
And he and Andy Gowers went, and with that pick, they picked me.
Oh, there you go. Nice little tie in there. St Kilda again, try and use the footy and work
number
it down.
15.
The broadcast side.
Got his number.
So you took his number as well. There you go.
No worries, mate.
And his locker.
Well, if he's not going to be there, somebody has to use it.
So St Kilda work the footy inside 50. Sharman kicks it down towards Wilson, juggles the mark. And the Saints will have a kick at goal almost directly in front. And it's in the hands of the youngster in Darcy Wilson.
Yeah.
Wide ball use again from the Saints. It takes all the energy out of the game for the Pies. That's what you can unfold a bit more through the night, Chad. Seemingly that's the plan. Just take all the energy out of the game when you're moving the ball forward, so the Pies don't have any real spring in their step on the way back through. They're such a good counter-attacking team. They haven't had much of that outside that first term.
So Darcy Wilson lines up for his second goal of the night, and he puts it through, and he puts Collingwood back within 2 points. He puts St Kilda back within 2 points. So it's 9-8-62 Collingwood, St Kilda 9-6-60, and Darcy Wilson's second brings St Kilda just back within 2 points again. They're staying in touch with the ladder leaders at the moment. It's 19 minutes played in the third term.
Wanganeen Miller getting it out of the back half. It's number 26, 24 for him.
Yep.
Out to Marshall, who's had a bit of an impact too in this last quarter and a bit for the Saints. Working around the outer boundary and a little bit more flow and release handball opportunities there. Wilson on that outer wing pushing back in. That's what you want your outside wingers to do. Run that outside pattern to push inside the forward arc so you can be that overlap outside player. And he's done that really well tonight on a few occasions. On that occasion, he got a snag as a result. It's a reward for effort. It's 2 for the night, as you said. Was a good night for him.
Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport. Both rucks have had 7 score involvements. Darcy Cameron's kicked a couple of goals back in the middle of the ground. Cameron wins down the tap to side bottom. He's tackled by Jack McRae. The umpire will ball it up. Collingwood by 2 points. Thrown in the air. Marshall tries to throw a boot at it. Can't do so. Cameron gets a hand pass forward. Running on orders, Wilkie. Hand pass to Sinclair. Chopped off. Spills into the path of Lipinski, who goes for home from 50. Pat Lipinski puts his second of the night. Collingwood once more find a way to answer back. The Magpies by 8 points. 10-8-68 to St Kilda. 9-6-60. 21 minutes gone, third quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford.
Tell you what, Collingwood won't love bomb you. They won't leave you on red. They're definitely replying after every goal. They are the one that you're chasing. I tell you what, they were always replied. And again, centre bounce, they look dangerous in there. I know we had that's a big shot for Lipinski. I just think about him. The last 2 kicks he had prior to that shot were horrible. Inside forward 50. Just give him the 2 sticks, aim for those ones, and it's straight through. But again, that's a quick goal. That's 3 seconds and it's a snag. So let's see how if they can get 2 in a row.
9-7 centre bounce clearance numbers in favour of the Pies tonight. It's 4-2 at quarter time. So they've done a good job to hold that lead all the way through.
Back in the middle, McRae runs onto it. Saints and puts the Saints inside 50. Sharman with a fingertip to it. Tries to battle against Frampton. To Quaynor, who falls over the top of the footy. Then Frampton does, and then it's all locked in. Forward pocket for St Kilda. Will have a ball up.
There's a few Collingwood defenders that I'm not think that they're on their game. Quaynor's not one. Darcy's having a quiet one. Howe hasn't had an impact in the air. It's probably 3 or 4 defenders that I would say are not on their game. Almost still on holiday mode if I'm Collingwood. They're not playing up to standard.
High bottom handballed it to Josh Dacos, who kicked it out, and it's Wilkie who's come up the ground and has intercepted the footy for the Saints. So left half forward now for his side, and he'll dab the kick back inside the pocket. He wanted the mark to come from Marshall. It didn't. Leaves room for Long to come in for the Pies and hand pass it to side bottom, who's taken in a tackle. Can just get a hand pass away. Was looking for Allen, stolen by Brad Hill. Hand passes it across to Marshall, who tried to swing a kick, but it's taken by Frampton, who in the end takes the tackle. And he's locked up right at the top of the goal square for St Kilda. Dan Butler just getting off him now. And they're desperate here, St Kilda, for another one. It's Collingwood leading by 8 points. Still a fair bit of time to go in the third.
As Marshall tries to throw a boot at it once more in the ruck battle, it spills out to Ed Allen of Collingwood. Back to Frampton. Hand pass back to the last line for Josh Dacos. Chips it not 15 to Quaynor. Called to play on. Butler off his chase. Kicks up to Brody Myercheck, who takes the mark at half back. Swings on his right because he's got Bobby Hill free on the wing. He takes the mark, looks up, has Nick Dacos over the back. He's running away from Windhager, but he's out towards the boundary. 55 metres out from home. Originally just had McStay inside the forward 50, but now the numbers come streaming back. He pokes it to Pendlebury, who takes the mark. Webster had half a look for a moment and thought he could have run through him. Decided against that, and Pendlebury takes the mark.
They're the modern-day Cracker brothers, these two. They look for each other all the time. Around the ball, out of contest, out of scrimmage, but certainly in open play too. If it's not Josh who's in vicinity.
I was about to say.
Yeah, it's Pendles. They seem to have a really strong connection. Nick Dacos and Scott Pendlebury look for each other all the time.
37 years of age, Scott Pendlebury, 17 disposals, 6 marks and a goal already. Closing in on course of Brett Harvey's games record of 432. Pendlebury comes in for his second of the night, slams it into the right goal post. You can hear the crowd reaction there. With the right post still shaking. Collingwood leading by 9 points.
Manganine Miller again to bring it in. To go one way and then just stops. He had Tauru calling for it all alone in the pocket. Chose not to use him. So again, he'll finally play on and go down the city wing at Dockland Stadium. It's very close to the boundary line. Up went Keeler and it's just punched over the line for a throw-in.
If I'm Collingwood, there's one lesson that I'm going to learn from this. So after these long kicks to the boundary, they actually don't have a keeper. Most teams have a keeper behind the contest where they catch whoever's flying through. St Kilda, if they're not winning that contest, they've got people running off it like Higgins, so they need to have a keeper at the back. So too many are flying at the moment for Collingwood. But they're not making an impact either.
Sinclair takes the footy, hand passes it to Clark. And he'll kick it towards Owens, but Moore was at the back. And just worked Owens off it to take the intercept mark. So standing at left half back. 62,850 is the average crowd for Collingwood this season. So they're here at their 1 or 2 games at Docklands and perhaps not that in tonight, but they might get excited here as Elliott leads forward and he's on the end of it to mark inside 50 and have a shot at goal.
52nd mark, Jamie Elliott for the night. The first real time we've seen Bobby Hill come up with the footy at one stage this quarter with a really strong lead into good space. Similar scenario on that occasion for Jamie Elliott. First time he's had real flow in the ball movement to get to his area, and he led up really strongly. Nice kick from Mychek.
He hasn't had much of the footy tonight, but Elliott now looking to make a mark on the scoreboard. In the latter stages of this third term, he lets the ball loose towards goals, and the Collingwood fans behind it like it. It's a major for Elliott, his 35th of the season. And Collingwood push ahead by 15 points. 25 minutes played in this third term. 11-9-75. Collingwood, St Kilda 9-6-60.
And we talk about Darcy Moore. That actually started with him again, having an intercept mark. He's had 1 touch at half-time. This quarter he's had 5 touches and 3 or 4 marks that have been game-changing. It's intercept marks, not just the ones that you're just chipping and catching. So for me, it starts there for them. They need to make sure that they're stopping St Kilda getting those contests and then getting at the back and getting shots. So we love, and that's what we're talking about small forwards. You love flow, you love predictability. That's predictable Collingwood. Get an intercept, change the angle, have a leading up the ball. No one better in the game as small forward at leading up the ball than Jamie Elliott. And great finish.
5 marks from all 4 of those intercept marks.
Yep.
Equal leading with Kel Wilkie for the Saints.
Up to 35 goals for the season, Jamie Elliott. His career best is 39. So he's going to break that record, and he might be in the All-Australian side for the first time. Nick Dacos spinning out of traffic, gets a hand pass forward to Sullivan. Dumped in a tackle by Hunter Clark as he kicks inside 50. Caminiti almost run down by Elliott, holding the ball. Just didn't realise how much pressure he was under. And Collingwood's number 5 has started to come to life.
And I tell you what, as a small forward, it doesn't take you much to get in the game. You think about it, he's had a pretty quiet night, same as Bobby Hill. 1 minute, and he's had 2 shots on goal. A chase down tackle inside forward 50.
So did he actually tackle him then? Or did he
strip the ball? I reckon he stripped
the ball out of his hand.
Yeah, and that's just as good. I think so.
8 disposals, 3 marks and a goal for Jamie Elliott. As he'll shoot just off left of centre on a 45-degree angle. Going to try and extend this Collingwood lead once more. Out past 20 points. He comes in. He likes it off the boot. And Collingwood have taken control here. Jamie Elliott with back-to-back goals for Collingwood. Up to 36 now for the season. He's had bags of 6-1, 5-5-1 and now 2. Collingwood's lead is 21 points, 12-9-81 to the Saints, 9-6-60. 28 minutes gone, third quarter and a half, and Chad Wingard, Lex Pescier on the boundary.
Chad, every time you mention a player not doing something, they seem to do it. So I don't know what magic you've come with tonight, but it seems to be working.
So you need to have a real good crack ads. Bobby Hill, he's only had the 3. Billy Frampton, get into him a bit. He's only had the 3.
Jack Steele? Jack Steele?
Jack Steele's only had the 7. Get into him, Chad, for the Saints fans out there.
So it's back in the middle now, and it's Collingwood who have pushed out the margin to 21 points, an equal game high. They had it that high in the second term, and it's back out to it now as Steele gets the footy right in the centre of the field and skies the ball to the top of the 50 for the Saints. Higgins tried to drop back. It was far forward for Howe, who took it and then tapped it towards Frampton. Takes the footy, goes to ground, and that's where it will be holded close to the boundary line, out of sight of the ground, right on the pane of 50. There'll be a ball up.
Just another example of the Pies just being a bit off behind the ball. 100%. Dropped an easy mark there, Jeremy Howe. He'd never drop that.
No. So Nick Dacos chasing after it, close to the boundary line. He's crisp, and he's taken over it by Jack Steele.
Maybe it was too low for him. It needs to be 2 metres above the air. At knee level, nah. It needs to be on someone's shoulders.
So we're boundary throwing just inside the 50 for St Kilda. About 48 metres out from goal. It's 4 goals to 3. Collingwood's way in this term so far. Marshall gets a tap down across to Burns, who has a snap. That goal, it'll get to the goal face. Keeler punches it away. And it'll be another stoppage inside forward 50 for the Saints. This time it's on the broadcast side of the ground. A few metres around from goal, there'll be a throw-in. Collingwood ahead by 21 points, late stages of the third.
Great stoppage craft there from Ryan Marshall to get that to Burns on the wraparound.
Who was on him?
What can they do here?
Thrown in. Cameron wins down the tap against Marshall. Ed Allen gets a hand pass forward to Elliott. Quick hand pass to Lipinski. Missed the target. Butler tries to slide in. Can't take possession. Collingwood have numbers on top, and the umpire will ball it up. Pies by 21 points, having led by 12 points at quarter time and 12 points at half time. Marcus Windhager alongside Nick Dacos once more for this stoppage. Thrown in the air. Marshall tries to clear a path. Got it down to Steele. Kick is smothered. Spills out the way of Jack Higgins. He can't bust his way through. In fact, it was Windhager who had 3 Magpies tackling him. And the umpire will ball it up.
Chris just fell on top of him again as the ball comes back up. Sideboardham gives it to the umpire. Just at the top of the 50 for the Saints. Marshall taps it away. Clark can gather, shoves it on his boot. Only goes as far as Cameron of the Pies. Hand pass to Pendlebury, and he'll clear it away from defence. Although Caminiti intercepts the footy for St Kilda.
Good positioning from Caminiti there. So the chat to the bench to work out how long's to go.
And he goes backwards towards Taru. So there's still about a minute left in this term. Taru will go straight down the centre of the ground towards Steele. So they're on the approach here, St Kilda, to get one late. Hand pass across to Sinclair. Long driving kick to the top of the goal square. Keeler was at the front. Couldn't do anything with it. Steele goes after it. Holds on to it. Higgins tries to take it from him. And in the end, the pair are just happy to hold on to it. And it'll be a stoppage 35 metres out from St Kilda's goal.
Jimmy Jowens was leading to a really good spot there for that kick from Sinclair. Didn't get to him.
Marshall wins down the tap. Spills out the way of Crisp, though. Tackled by Butler. In fact, it was Higgins who was careful not to take him high. Jack Steele gets a hand pass out. Bobby Hill tries to slap it on. Can't get contact. Butler gathers, kicks towards the goal square. And Keeler was worked out of it. And Billy Frampton takes the mark. Up against the behind line. Lex Pescier on the boundary.
It's working, Chad. You mentioned Billy.
The crowd, that's probably the loudest I've heard. The crowd as well for Billy to get him up.
As Wanganeen Miller tried to go for a ride on the back of Darcy Moore. Couldn't hang on to the mark as the siren sounds for three-quarter time. Collingwood hold a 21-point advantage. They put it 4 goals to 3 in that third term, having led by 12 points at quarter time and 12 points at half time. 12-9-81 to the Saints 9-6-60. For the Magpies, 2 goals to Cameron, McStay, Elliott and Lipinski. For the Magpies, individual goal scorers Pendlebury, Perryman and Tim Membry for the Magpies, while for St Kilda, 2 goals to Dan Butler, 2 goals to Darcy Wilson, individuals to Owens, Wood, Hall and Sharman. Collingwood leading by 21 points at three-quarter time. Earlier it was the Kangaroos who defeated Carlton by 11 points. The Sydney Swans were 19-point winners over Port Adelaide. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Chad Wingard will be the judge here. We're asking for nominees of the best snap across their body. Greg in Geelong says Steve Norm Johnson wasn't bad. Snap at goal. Cats could have done with him last night. Great call.
He changed the game, Stevie J, didn't he, with his shots?
Yeah.
Kingsley from WA says best snap across their body from distance I've seen is Matthew Pavlich.
Oh, yeah, the Pavlich.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
Stephen Ballarat says Lockett, Dunstall and Ablett Senior were all magnificent kicks over the shoulder. Lockett and Ablett on either foot. It's probably a different style as to what you're thinking, Chad, but it's not a bad nominee. Marcus in South Melbourne says a young Michael Walters. He's very handy in the pocket. Mark from Upway, cheerio to you, sitting outside next to the open fire on a chilly 4 degrees. The toasted ham and cheese Jaffas are on the way. Sounds pretty appealing. And also, can't help but feel like the Saints might have benefited from having Tim Membry on their list this year and in games like this. That's from Dan from Perth. Keep your thoughts coming, 0437 774 774. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Hello, Patrick Stack here. Do you like sport and good conversation? Then we've got a great podcast for you. One cracking story, in depth, every day, in under 15 minutes. It's called ABC Sport Daily, and you can find it on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Front position came to Allen. He couldn't take the mark over the Pies. Still a chance here for the Saints. Goal square. Owens on the line. Goals for the Saints.
Frampton comes out, can't hang on to the chest bar, spills out the Hall, front and centre, fires on goal, the perfect spot for a crummer. And would you believe it, scores are level.
Cameron.
Got Cameron.
Sorry, Cameron's going to get it. I was just watching him. Sorry, Ross.
He's a little bit geeked
That was not
out
me. I
on
was
Cameron.
watching him. I talked out loud. That was an inside voice. It came outside.
Predicted what was going to happen.
I was just watching
There's a
him
little
moving.
button and your microphone goes on and off, Half.
101.
Yeah, cop that, Halfhead.
So Dan McStay already has a goal tonight.
I like that.
Second.
Settle down, dinosaur. That's what McStay's going to be. Your dinosaur, Wingard.
There's no issue with the snap when you have the finish. So St Kilda were at the footy inside 50. Sharman kicks it down towards Wilson, juggles the mark. For his second goal of the night. And he puts it through. He puts St Kilda back within 2 points.
Running on orders, Wilkie, hand pass to Sinclair, chopped off, spills into the path of Lipinski, who goes for home from 50. Pat Lipinski puts his second of the night.
But they might get excited here as Elliott leads forward. And he's on the end of it to mark inside 50. He lets the ball loose towards goals. And the Collingwood fans behind it like it.
Caminiti almost run down by Elliott, holding the ball. As he comes in, he lights it off the boot, and Collingwood have taken control here.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
2 goals in 4 minutes from Jamie Elliott, who'd had a quiet night, has Collingwood in front by 21 points, 12-9-81 to the Saints 9-6-60. Matt Clinch alongside Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesces down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard are your experts on ABC Sport.
It was a much better quarter from the Saints, but they still lose it on the scoreboard. That's the frustration for Ross Lyon, I reckon, at the moment, Chad. 15-11 inside 50s, the 4-2 centre bounce clearances. Tackles, we talked about that in the first half. They were pretty poor with their tackling, 22-17 in that third term. So they upped the game. They really did control that quarter a lot. They took a lot of the energy out of the game with the way they moved, but they forced Collingwood, whilst St Kilda were going wide, they forced Collingwood wide as well, and they can defend that pretty well with the way Ross Lyon sets up his team. So it wasn't a bad plan in the end, but to cough up those late goals, I reckon Ross had come in really annoyed with that because the game was there to be won. They hit the lead, or they tied the score at one stage through that third term. So they had the game to be won, but they weren't able to land a killer blow. So that's what I'm sure Ross Lyon will be looking to have a chat about to his players at three-quarter time. He's pretty active. He's pretty, at the moment, he's pretty physical with his gesturing down there at the Saints huddle at the moment. So he wants some big lift from something in this last term. I think it's going to have to be to try and get a little bit of energy into the game. I think that's something that they could really benefit from. They've got some talented players out there. They've got some kids who are just looking for some adrenaline, I reckon, and this game hasn't produced any of it. It's probably helped to a degree to get to this point because the Magpies haven't fed off it. Yeah. I reckon for them to win it, they're going to have to rise as a group and rise individually through this last term.
Well, it's going to be hard because they haven't done it all game.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to kick 21 points here. Minimum, they're going to have to kick probably 30, 40 points here when they've kicked 60 for the game. And most of their goals have been not by luck, but pure, like, everything has to go well for them. It has to go exactly right for them to score. Like, they're not going through the corridor. They've gone through the corridor once, I've seen, through this whole game from a defensive chain. The rest is just boundary line, winning at the back, and then just getting it forward. Or they're winning it from the stoppages. For them to score what they need to score to win this game, they're going to have to change their whole game style. And because they haven't done it all game, I don't know how it's going to work. Because, like we said earlier, it was not sustainable to play this way or to win, to kick a high enough score to win against Collingwood. Yes, it stopped Collingwood from scoring, but they've still scored 81 points in 3 quarters, which is above average for Collingwood, what they're averaging this year.
Yep.
Lex Pescier on the boundary.
Here's a fun stat for you, Chad, on that. St Kilda used the boundary 61% of the time. That's the second highest percentage in the competition. So they're doing that.
There you go. Hey, Reece, it's not just a suburb. That's very good from Lex.
I'm going home. Take my spot.
Final quarter about to get underway. Collingwood leading by 21 points. The Pies looking to hold their buffer on top of the AFL ladder. They have a 2-point lead over the Brisbane Lions, looking to extend that to 6. Cameron wins down the tap against Rowan Marshall. Beautifully over the back to side bottom, inside 50. McStay's bumped off it. Running onto it is Member. He can't get boot to ball as he's tackled by Sinclair. Hand pass to Lipinski. Millimetres out from goal. Thought he was taken high by Caminiti. No whistle. Membry's hand pass back towards Elliott. Knocked onto McStay. Down low for Sullivan. Hand pass looking for Lipinski. St Kilda desperate to rush it through. Stocker thought he was taken high. Sinclair's hand pass to Caminiti. Back to Wanganeen Millerer. High kick up towards half-back. Marshall and Cameron. Cameron takes the mark.
And Darcy Cameron will have it, 60 metres out.
Ed Long's all by himself.
He was standing there unmarked, about 45 metres out. Doesn't go there, goes wide to Crisp. Doesn't gain much distance by going to Crisp either. He's still outside defensive 50. He'll chip it towards side bottom. Still at left half forward, and this time side bottom puts it forward. He saw Elliott running. He wanted to go to him. Just went over the top of his head, worked out of it by Hill, and it'll be the Saints emerging with the footy by Wanganeen Millerer, who kicks out. Planer's there to intercept for the Pies. He'll go defensively towards Howe. Collingwood will try and set it up from their defensive line as Howe goes into the middle towards Long. Couldn't take the mark, and it's Hall will recover and grab the footy for St Kilda. Hand pass to Wilson, who goes inside 50, looking for Wood. Takes the chest mark as he's running backwards. And he'll have a shot at goal to put the first to the fourth on the board and keep St Kilda in this one. 1 minute and 30 seconds into the fourth.
Great awareness by Jack Sinclair to get the fist on the ball just behind centre. That was brilliant. Mason Woods having a round the corner snap from 25 metres out directly in front. Look at us dinosaurs. We cannot cope with this. We cannot cope with
Not
this.
25 metres.
Directly in front.
Directly in front.
He's going to snap right in front. Can he finish it off here? He's got it.
We are such dinosaurs we can go.
Woods got 3 for tonight. And now Collingwood's lead just cut back to 15 points. It's 10-6-66 St Kilda, Collingwood 12-9-81. Just a minute and a half gone in the first term.
That is bizarre.
Yeah,
that is. I can't get my head around that, I must admit. It's a funny game, modern footy. But well done, Jack Sinclair. I'll give him some flowers because he hasn't had a great night tonight in terms of impact. He's kept Jamie Elliott pretty quiet, so you take that most nights against Collingwood. Offensively, his threat has been less than what is normally expected from a St Kilda game. But that was brilliant to get involved, read the play, get that fist on the ball, and that's where they got the transition back through the middle of the ground.
Yep.
Chad.
Exactly right. They're going to have to go through there.
He's had 5 shots on goal, Mason Wood. Nick Jones has had 6, so he's played more as a forward tonight, Mason Wood, rather than a winger. Back in the middle of the ground, Collingwood get the clearance. Cameron got it down to Nick Dacos, who kicks it up towards half forward. Sullivan, did he run through the mark? Winhager there? No, 50.
He did, but he's within the 2 metres that they allow.
Sullivan veers out to the right, long towards the goal square. McStay works his way to the front. Caminiti makes the spoil. Stocker's hand pass. Under pressure, Sinclair straight towards the boundary line. Racing after it is Higgins. It goes out of play. Insufficient intent.
So stiff.
He almost got there, Higgins. Quickly taken by Perryman. It goes inboard to Elliott. Just inside the 50 and barely 15.
It's barely 15. It's about 8.
But also insufficient intent when you're getting tackled.
Yeah.
Trying to get a hand pass clear. Otherwise, you're pinned holding the ball.
It's so stiff.
Yeah, it's tough.
It bounced more than 3 times. So how that... Anyway.
You've got to predict the bounces too these days.
Yeah.
Jamie Elliott kicked 2 goals in the third quarter. Looking to answer back here from the Pies. Out to the right, he comes in. It won't quite have the journey to the goal square it goes. Rowan Marshall rushes it through and it bounces into the post. for a minor score. Collingwood by 15, make that 16 points. 4 minutes gone, final term.
Sinclair takes the footy and just chips it across to Wanganeen Millera, and Sinclair keeps running, gets the hand pass across from his teammate, and then puts it right down the broadcast wing. Moore with two hands fists it out of bounds right into the Collingwood bench, and it'll be a throw-in directly in front of our broadcast position.
Again, that was a great double fist spoil there, but at the back, if that goes out the back, St Kilda can really run onto there. Collingwood have got no keeper behind any contest.
Ball tossed in, Cameron taps it out. Elliott's trying to get his way to grab the footy in the centre of the field. Umpire blows his whistle, it's a holding free kick. And it's to the Saints. And it's to Stocker. Stocker just darts the kick directly into the centre of the field towards Windhager. He'll flare it across to the outer side of the ground. Wanganeen Millera marks, plays on immediately, and will just run. He was tripped. Will he get the free kick coming back? He will.
Free kick.
As he was running by McStay. That was certainly a free kick, and Wanganeen Millera limps up, but will take the free from the centre of the field.
He did try to grab the back of his jumper and just slipped down, so it wasn't a deliberate trip.
Nah. But it stopped him from getting an entry side 50 here.
Collingwood by 16 points. Jamie Elliott missed to the other end. If the Saints can get the next one, the game's still alive. Out to Brad Hill at right half forward. Kicks into the pocket. Not a great kick. Now takes the intercepting mark for Collingwood. Chips it out to Crisp at half back. Looks to play on. Runs around the boundary line. Kicks it up to Elliott. He marks just in front of the two benches where Lex Pesher is watching on.
It looks like the Saints are going to make their sub, and it looks like it's Isaac Keeler. He's moved to the back of the bench. So Toby Travalia comes on, and I assume that's tactical.
Thanks, Lex. Bo McCreary was subbed out at quarter time for Collingwood with hamstring awareness. Sullivan came into the match. Collingwood through Ned Long, just kept it alive and then gathered the footy. Hand pass down low for Sidebottom. He stuck a boot in there, trying to kick it forward to Chris. Can't take it cleanly. Brad Hill, tackle by Long, got a hand pass away. Nick Dacos swoops onto it. Hand pass over the top to Hoskin Elliott. Hand pass over his shoulder. Stocker puts the block on Long, allows Windhager to gather. One way then the other. Gives it back to Wilkie in the back pocket for the Saints. Kicks up towards Mason Wood, who takes the mark.
And Wood hands it across to Brad Hill, running on his right side. Hill can flick it across to Owens, who darts around, spins in a circle. He's got Sidebottom and Moore encroaching on him. Can finally get the kick away. Still gets it on the first bounce and then hand passes it to Mason Wood, hard up against the boundary. Curls the footy back inside 50. It'll be a free kick for the Saints. Was it a push coming on Mason Wood after he kicked?
Yeah, after he kicked it. He marked it anyway, Ryan Marshall, so there's no massive issue either way. It was for the free downfield for the push on Mason Wood. Late contact.
I'll tell you what, Darcy Moore almost gave away a 50 there. He's ran right behind the man on the mark. Almost got within his distance. He was 2 metres off Rowan Marshall. Yeah, like that's been given. I've seen that's been given.
Yep.
So Rowan Marshall, 40 metres out, 45-degree angle. Now would be a good time to straighten up his goal kicking. It looks straight coming off the boot, and he gets this one. He delivers the goal St Kilda needed. And that margin that Collingwood holds has just been cut back to 10 points. They are well within this St Kilda. 11-6-72 the Saints. Collingwood just 10 points ahead. 12-10-82. 7 minutes played in the final term. Let's head down to Lex Pesher on the boundary.
Jack Crisp has just come off. He's holding his ribs, and by the way he spoke to the doctor, I reckon he may have copped quite a knock there, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Thanks, Lex. Yeah, he did look sore on the field, so he's come off there to get that checked out. Of course, they have used their sub, so Bo McCreary off in the first quarter with a hammy and Lockie Sullivan onto the field for Collingwood.
See the Docs having a bit of a look on the screen. They have boundary side down there for the Magpies on the bench, so they're having a look at that incident for Jack Crisp. But a big goal, 2 goals. You said they have to kick 4, but probably 5.
Yeah.
That's 2 of them.
Interesting ruck battle. Darcy Cameron's kicked 2. Rowan Marshall the last of the match. Marshall wins down the tap looking for Clark. He's tackled by Pendlebury. Gets a kick forward while laying on his back. Got it to Marshall. Hand pass to Windhager. Drives it inside 50. Frampton takes the mark. Having a nudge. Mason Wood out of it. He didn't really have eyes on the ball, and Frampton is looking more and more like a defender. Came in, of course, in their premiership year. Played the job on Harris Andrews as a forward. Kicks up towards the wing. Tim Membry's in the pack. Taru with support from Caminiti makes the spoil, and it goes out of play. Collingwood by 10 points. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Charlie says no better snap across the body than the great Dustin Martin.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's in play. In play, 100%.
Marcus in South Melbourne says, Collingwood, how much are they missing Braden Maynard tonight? As the umpire circles and will ball it up once more. Side bottom tangling with Winhager, who is often the last player to rise on the very bottom of the pack.
It's an interesting assessment, the Maynard, because everyone's losing players at this stage of the year, but they're such a good plug-and-play team, the Pies, that normally, really, the name on the magnet doesn't impact significantly, but I reckon it has tonight.
So Pendlebury's kick is almost chopped off. It'll be a stoppage now, centre half forward for the Saints. And it's Burns tackling Lipinski to hold the footy up there for St Kilda. So they've got the first 2 goals of this 4th term, 10 points a margin. Ball's tossed up. Brad Hill can just take it, tries to get a kick away. Travalia takes it, hand passes it away. Nick Dacos will collect though. His hand pass goes straight to Marshall. Spiralling a kick inside 50 for the Saints. No mark can be taken. Quaynor there. Hand pass to Moore. Hand pass across to Perryman. And it's Collingwood that will try and exit it from defence via Allen, who chips it across to Myercheck, who was in front of Taru and holds on to the mark. In a tough little battle there against the first game up. It's Myercheck that wins out.
Landed head first into the deck too.
He's able to take his kick, gets checked on by Allen, but he'll take the kick for the Pies.
He's one of a number of Collingwood players 30 years and above who have had a contract at season's end. He said wait until after round 18 and we'll make all these decisions. The kick up towards the wing. Membry gets a hand pass forward, missed side bottom, steals hand pass away to Taru. He gets it away to Brad Hill, drives it inside 50 for the Saints, up towards Cooper Sharman, who gave away the free kick. Butler took the mark behind him. Sharman put the hands on the back of Jeremy Howe, trying to rise above the pack. The Saints are 1 goal away of making this a real game.
Absolutely. No, they're right in this. Collingwood haven't had any forward half ball at all this quarter, really.
No.
Haven't been able to get the ball past halfway, so the Saints are really controlling possession and territory at the moment, making it really difficult for the Pies to get through. Here's another big pack.
Inside 50, 6-4 the way of the Saints. Ed Allen's kicking around the wing, and Darcy Cameron takes the mark. Dacos runs around the back with Winhager in tow. He doesn't receive the hand pass. He's bumping into him at every opportunity he's got, Winhager. Cameron pulls his kick to Myercheck. He's all on his own at half forward. Brad Hill races back to stand the mark. Chips it over the top to Jack Crisp. No one's on the mark here as well, so the left footer can drive them inside 50 in the direction of Lipinski. Walked down by Wilkie. Mason Wood back in defence. Hand pass to Webster. Hand pass to Wilson. Hand pass to Sinclair. He runs away from Hoskin Elliott. Has to kick a long ball up towards the city wing. Looking for Mitch Owens. Frampton makes the spoil. Sharman gathers it off hands. Tackled by Darcy Moore, and the umpire will ball it up. Centre wing. Collingwood leading by 10 points. 12 minutes gone. Final term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
It's not sexy, Chad, but if nothing else, the way that St Kilda move the ball from the back half is incredibly predictable to the guys forward of the ball. So they know, I was just watching them in that situation there, that they know exactly where they need to be when the ball's coming out of their defensive half.
Sinclair kicks it down the wing. Burns picks it up, has to hand pass it back to Owens, who hand passes it to McRae. Still running along the wing, has space for a bounce at left half forward. Will put the kick right into the hot spot inside 50. Butler can get front position because Perryman was there for the Pies and intercepts the footy. It's the applause of the Collingwood fans coming out for the Magpies home game here at Docklands tonight. He just chips across to Howe.
It was a big mark from Perryman because Butler had got rid of Howe in that marking contest 1-on-1, so we floated back in as the extra defender. It was a pretty big play, that.
Collingwood leading by 10 points. Howe's kick towards Allen will be a free kick to Allen after stock up. Chopped the ball from his hands. And will be Allen given the footy at left half back. Of course, St Kilda did win the last meeting between these two sides back in round 2, though, at the MCG last year.
Saints drew level in the third quarter. Haven't led since the 8-minute mark of the opening term. Kick up towards the wing. Taru rises over the pack. Scores it out of play on to boot. How have you seen the game of Alex Taru, Huff?
I like him. I think he's going to be a really exciting player for the Saints going forward. He'll learn an enormous amount from this game tonight, but he's got himself in a really good position to impact the ball aerially. He hasn't taken a lot of marks, but he's got a lot of fish to the balls and just throws himself into those contests. So I think we'll see a lot of him in the Saints colours for many years, hopefully.
18 years of age, 193 centimetres, the nickname of the Flying Viking. His dad was born in Sweden, and 2 other siblings were born there as well. He was born in Australia.
Looks like he's got a big crew with him tonight.
Yep.
There's Viking hats all over the place. It's good.
From Warragul. Here's Wanganeen Miller, who gathers at half back. Gets the hand pass away Tutarui's kick out misses the target, and Ed Allen runs onto it. Hand pass to Lipinski, dribbles the kick to Crisp on the 50. Tries to fend off Wanganeen Miller, just broke away. Chips are looking for Bobby Hill, can't take the mark. Spoiled down by Caminiti. Hill's back onto it. Hand pass to Lipinski. Hand pass looking for Ed Allen. There's also some Kilda jumpers around. McRae tries to get a hand pass out. Brad Hill's hand pass is chopped off. Picked up by Lipinski. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. Kicks in looking for Bobby Hill. Can't mark. Elliott. Hand pass to Nick Dacos, who fires towards goal. The little mark.
There's the crowd.
With Marcus Winhager in tow trying to lay the tackle, Nick Dacos rises to the moment and gives Collingwood some breathing space. His teammates come to lift him off the turf. He's a hard man to stop, and an important goal in the final term as he yells in jubilation. Collingwood by 16 points after the Saints had kicked the first 2 goals of the final term. 13-10-88 to St Kilda 11-6-72. Collingwood leading by 16 points. 15 minutes gone. Final term, Daniel Hufford and Chad Wingard.
I tell you what, you think it's the national anthem, but maybe it is because everyone's out of their seat. Maybe it's the Collingwood national anthem with Nick Dacos kicking a snag, because that was loud as we've heard the crowd all night. That was a tough shot on goal. He's had the tagger on his back in Winhager, and he's still able to have half a metre split and put it on his right boot to chuck that through from 35 metres. That's exactly what Collingwood needed.
That's a big
Exactly what they needed right then.
They had no right to kick that.
It puts Collingwood back out by 16 points. Umpire restarts play. McRae goes in after it. Hand passes it away to Wanganeen Miller. Try and get a hand pass away. He's locked up by Sidebottom and Sullivan down to Lex Pesha on the boundary.
This is the moment the crowd goes bananas. I reckon the stadium shook just then.
They just started chanting the Collingwood thing, didn't they? Just before that. So they're starting to understand their role here, the Collingwood supporters, I reckon.
As Burns takes it out for St Kilda and will put it just inside 50 for the Saints. Sharman punches it away, but Moore also gets a hand to it to put it away. Brad Hill will run onto it. He spins around close to the boundary. Will stick it inside 50 for St Kilda. Owens comes crashing in, can't take the mark. Josh Dacos is at the drop and he can clear it out a defensive 50 for the Pies. Gets to Myercheck, can't take the chest mark. Caminiti's in there and will put the Saints directly inside 50 again. Gets it towards Higgins. Howe does well against the Saints small forward. And it's out of bounds for a boundary throw-in just at the top of the 50 for the Saints. Still in it. Collingwood's lead 16 points, 16 minutes played in the fourth term.
28 disposals for Nick Dacos, 5 clearances, 9 inside 50s and now a goal, 7 score involvements. And he's not an animated player, but when he kicked that goal, he was certainly proud of his endeavour to work his way through the Marcus Winhager tag. As from the stoppage, the umpire will ball it up once more. Jack McRae on the very bottom of the pack.
He's had to work hard, no doubt, Nick Dacos today, and his second half's been much better than his first, I reckon.
McStay wins down the tap to Crisp, kicks Collingwood in the middle of the crowd. Nick Dacos up against Wilkie. It ricochets off Membry. Out towards Jamie Elliott, who leads the foot race. He tries to volley it inside 50. It works on the bounce to Membry. Hand pass back to Nick Dacos into the pocket. Down low for Myercheck. Collingwood are running on top of the ground in the final term. And Nick Dacos is thriving, having gone forward in the last few moments.
Yeah, I reckon they've missed a trick here by not keeping Windhager on him when he goes forward, Chad. He's way too damaging in the front half of the ground to be able to just play on any defender. He's too smart. He's too smart. And he was in that chase for the ball with Jamie Elliott. Had really good wheels to get to it, to get a foot on it. Member is involved there. And watching Myercheck run while all that was happening was super impressive.
10 disposals, 2 behinds for Brodie Myercheck. Looking to try and finish it off for Collingwood from the right forward pocket. He sends it through and might have sent Collingwood to a 12th win for the season. 22-point leaders after the Saints booted the first 2 goals of the final term. Collingwood have now kicked the next. 14-10-94 to St Kilda 11-6-72. Brodie Myercheck with his first goal of the night.
Yeah, and like you just said, with Windhager should follow him around because he's done it previously in Alice Springs in Cosy Pickett and got him done, held him to 9 touches and no goals. So he's one of the taggers that can go everywhere with someone. Like he's proven that he's done it with Bontempelli. Bontempelli's gone forward, gone back, kept him to 13 disposals. And someone who's 190 centimetres, completely different to Cosy Pickett, who's 178 and explosive. So he can play numerous roles.
Now he's doing it.
And now he's doing it.
Goes to the goal square and Windhager goes with him. But I reckon
it's a bit late.
Yeah, the horse might have bolted, I reckon.
Yeah. But geez, he's class. He just shows if he didn't have a tag on him, how dangerous he could be. Every week he gets the hardest tagger.
He's a remarkable player, Nick.
So back in the middle, the ball bounces, then just waits there for Chris to come and pick it up. Hand passes across to Long. Hand pass across to Josh Dacos, who just chips it forward, and Lipinski will mark. He wants to move the ball on quickly, runs left and then runs right, and then we'll put it inside 50 now for the Pies. Towards Elliott, two hands, couldn't take it cleanly, goes back after it, tries to hand pass it across to Long. In the end, it's Steele that picks it up and sends what he thinks is a clearing kick outside of defensive 50, but it's intercepted by Lipinski.
He's been good, Lipinski, I reckon, and he's really fought hard at ground balls inside the forward 50 of the Pies. Chips forward and finds Cameron again, who's just playing that little hit-up roll at the top of the arc.
Marks on one knee, and he goes back here as if he's going to take the shot. He's kicked one from almost this distance tonight, but it would be from about 55 out.
He might stretch him, I reckon.
So Darcy Cameron will stand there as if he is going to have a shot. Chew up some time as well. It's Collingwood's lead back out to 22 points after St Kilda did get it down to 10 a little earlier on in this quarter. But then it was a Nick Dacos and a Brody Myercheck goal that's pushed it back out to 22 points. Sinclair on the mark is 48 metres out. Darcy Cameron absolutely shanks it off his boot. It'll not even go out of bounds on the full.
It'll be a mark.
It'll be a mark. So it'll be a mark to Taru, just next to the right behind post. His kick goes past Caminiti. Elliott will try and pressure him off it, and that means it'll be a stoppage inside forward 50 for the Pies. So the kick just misses its mark.
And that's good by Wilkie then. Wilkie as a leader there, just gone to Taru and said, it's all right, mate, hit the next one. Now he's sprinting forward.
The force of Chad Wingard alongside Daniel Harford, Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesher on the boundary. Marshall wins down the tap and let's let him get down the other end.
Maybe Kel Wilkie's saying, bugger off. Get out of here.
You're not meant to be here.
Get down. First game, mate. Nah, that's it. We've seen enough. You're going forward.
So just for reference, Alex Taru now is the deepest forward for the Saints, playing as the deepest back most of the night.
Marshall wins down the tap. Wanganeen Miller can't clear it. Sinclair tries to get a hand pass away to Chat McRae, who kicks up towards Taru. Darcy Moore in front takes the mark for Collingwood. The captain backpedaling. Billy Frampton in support and takes the mark. Centre wing.
It was the sprint that got me. He sprinted like it was like his life depended on it.
Given his marching orders.
So Moore with a long kick. He'll get it right to the top of the 50 for the Pies. Across the back, Caminiti got a fingertip to it. And then Elliott took it and a couple of Saints players dived on top of him for a ball up at the top of Collingwood's 50. But we have liked the look of Alex Taru across
100%.
Across his first game.
He's made every opposition earn it tonight. Myercheck dug him into the ground. Everyone that's got a touch on him has had to earn it.
McRae tried to soccer it away. Houston took the mark. Hand pass to Lipinski, who hand passed it to Josh Dacos, who dabbed the kick towards Darcy Cameron, again sitting at the top of the 50, and he takes the mark. Good positioning from the tall ruck, who's been playing that role all night. And now we'll have another shot at goal from the opposite side of the ground, just a tougher than 45-degree angle, but again, it'll be a long-range shot. So he's got two tonight, and he's looking for his third. Pies ahead by 22 points, so this would consolidate the game if he can get this one. A lot of the play has been cemented in this forward half for the Pies as he chips it further forward. He was looking for Elliott, couldn't take the mark. It's close against the boundary line. Wanganeen Miller has the footy. He's tackled. Just gets a hand pass away to Steele, who tried to hand pass it out, but then it's taken by Hoskin Elliott, who'll put the Pies back into a hot spot, but Wilkie's there to take the footy off the ground and hand pass it across to Burns. Hand pass it gets across to Brad Hill, who can use the footy on the broadcast side.
He looks up the wing and kicks for Cooper Sharman, who takes the mark. Frampton lost his footing. Hang on. Umpire says it was out of play. He played on
out of bounds.
He was out of bounds.
I reckon that's what's happened, yeah.
It's stiff.
So as he was streaming away from Frampton, who lost his footing, he's the most relieved man on the ground. Sharman can't believe it.
Alex Taru had visions of winning a car.
Yeah.
Just waiting for a long ball in to hover on someone.
Collingwood by 22 points. 23 minutes gone in the final term. Marshall wins down the tap to Steele. His kick is partially smothered by Pendlebury. Cruel bounce for Ed Allen. Onto it is Hall. Hand pass to Brad Hill. Hand pass to Sharman, who goes for goal. This is to the left-hand side. 21-point lead Collingwood's way. Did do a little video for the club with Cal Wilkie, Alex Taru, and like a lot of the fans do, trying to get that inside into him. He said, I'm looking forward to playing alongside you, Cal. I'll put some blocks on so you can take some intercepting marks, and he doesn't mind playing forward as well if he gets a chance.
He's been set there for the last few minutes of this game as Collingwood defenders just use it along the defensive 50. Nick Dacos across to Josh, who moves it outside of defensive 50 in the end. Perryman kicks it down. And there'll be Moore, who holds on to the footy. Right half back for Collingwood. Just chips it forward towards Pendlebury. And he's happy to send it short as well to Pat Lipinski, who holds on to the footy. Centre wing, outer side of the ground. The Pies now with a 21-point lead. A few minutes left in this game, but they're pretty comfortably holding on to the lead as he kicks down towards Long. Long's in no rush to move the footy at all. There's a few kicks from goal. He'll pop it now inside 50, looking for Elliott again, but it was Burns who could just nudge him off it. In comes Cameron. He's trying again. He has a snap at goals. It doesn't get any further than the goal square, but it's okay. Bobby Hill's on the end of it, and Bobby Hill goals and seals the win for the Collingwood Magpies. He was on the end of it and pushed it through like he so often does by crumbing it. It's Collingwood 15-10, 100. They bring up the century. St Kilda 11-7, 73. 25th minute mark of the fourth term, and it looks like Collingwood have finally sealed their 12th win of the season, although they've been challenged by St Kilda across the game.
What a great goal. Such a great talent to bring the ball from hand to foot so quickly. Had no time and space. He's only 3 metres out, but on the outside of the boot, was facing the wrong way and slaps it on the outside of the right boot with players, one up, he's defending him from the back and one coming in from the front. That was quite remarkable, the speed of hand there. Good on him. Had a quiet night, Bobby Hill, but that should be the sealer for the Pies, you'd reckon.
Collingwood by 27 points. Here comes the 11th individual goal kicker, Bobby Hill. It's a relatively quiet night, but certainly played his part. Back in the middle of the ground. Cameron wins down the tap. Crisp is dragged down. McRae picks up the footy. Hand pass to Steele. Kicks St Kilda inside 50. Sharman worked underneath the footy. Running onto it. It's Hall. Fires towards goal. Bounces in, but misses to the right-hand side of the right goalpost. A minor score. Collingwood by 26 points. 27 points. 26, that was right.
26 points as Josh Dacos brings it in, kicks to the right back pocket towards Frampton. And maybe gets a little shove there from Tauru late. And that'll be a 50-metre penalty.
Youthful enthusiasm, that's okay. That's okay.
So it'll be Frampton now, who just lessens the angle as well, brings himself right into the centre half back. We'll chip it across towards Houston, who flares it out wide towards Allen, who marks right at centre wing between the two benches. He can kick it across to Crisp, who'll mark on the paint of 50. We'll just dab it into the forward pocket because McStay was leading and marks 20 metres out from goal. Tight angle against the boundary. So McStay to Bobby Hill. Can he get a second in a minute? No. Snaps towards goal and misses to the near side.
2 3 throws.
Call it back.
They've called it back to McStay, so McStay will have it.
Take that.
Mark was being set still.
That's lucky from Bobby Hill.
Yeah.
They chose to play on.
Anything off his line, just gave a handball.
Yeah.
So now Dan McStay has to take the set shot. Puts it on his left boot and curls it right into the left behind post. Exactly. Same result, one behind, 27 points. Collingwood's advantage. 27 minutes also played in the final term.
As Jack Sinclair brings St Kilda back into play. It's in the back pocket. Toby Travalia takes the mark. The sub into the action in the final term. Kicks up the wing. Who too? Darcy Moore takes the intercepting mark. That's who. He plays on. Hand pass away to Hoskin Elliott into the pocket looking for Bobby Hill. Membry back with the flight. Pinches it. Reeled it in with his left arm. Tim Membry marks hard against the fence in the right forward pocket.
It's a good grab, isn't it? Late in the game when things sometimes seem to peter out, he's pretty keen to do something about it in the last minute or so.
Game 192. He's only 31 years of age.
Yeah.
Tim Membry, so he's not as old as some of the other 30-year-olds for Collingwood. He's going the banana. Membry! What a way to sign off against his former club. Tim Membry bends through the banana and puts through, what's that, his second of the night. Collingwood by 33 points. They are kicking them from everywhere now.
right.
16-11, 107 to St Kilda 11-8-74. 28 minutes gone, final term. Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford with you.
We spoke about the long snap.
Yes.
Who's the best banana?
Banana.
That was a banana. Normally people go on their opposite foot there and he'll bend it around. But I'm talking about the banana.
Yeah, the old check side, yeah.
Check side.
Old school.
That's even
we've got a sample size problem here, haven't we?
Yeah, I reckon it's got to be Jeremy Cameron because he never goes really on his right. You think about guys who are very 1 foot dominant, that will never go on their opposite.
I actually don't know why there's not more bananas.
Yeah.
Which one was it? Was it Peter Dacos who designed the footy with the various check side bananas?
Yep, that's right, yes.
With the instructions where to hold the ball?
What's the name of that?
Well, like the Shane Warne Spin King.
Yes,
Exactly
same concept.
There you go.
Same concept.
Geez, everyone had one of them. They were great.
Well, I had one of the Dacos balls too.
I reckon I did as well.
Yeah, what was that called, Clinchy?
I'm sure someone will text in.
Google that.
Must be a Victorian thing, so I didn't see it.
We're trying to keep you away from it.
Oh, no way.
Goes inside 50. Bobby Hill. Can he bounce it through goals? Oh, no. It's just touched. It's just touched as it goes over the line. It was nearly a little bit more magic from Bobby Hill, but not quite. Collingwood ahead by 34.
The sting as well, truly out as Wanganeen Miller is trying to barrel it into the middle of the crowd. Lipinski takes the mark. Hand pass to Josh Dacos, who goes for home, and it will land short. Collingwood win by 34 points as they turn in the second half of the season, and at last the Saints under the roof of Docklands. The Pies with their 12th win of the season.
They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
The Pies led by 12 points at quarter time, by 12 points at half time, by 22 at three-quarter time, and run out 16-12, 108 to St Kilda 11-8-74. In front of 43,039 fans, the Magpies boot 4 goals to 2 in the final term, and they're still on top of the ladder by 6 points.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
As we turn towards the second half of the season, when you're in the pointy end of the ladder, you don't want any slip-ups, and Collingwood prevail by 34 points over St Kilda, a match in which the Saints drew level in the third quarter, but Collingwood threw once more the Dacos magic in the final term as he stood up when Collingwood needed an answer, prevail by 34 points. 16-12, 108 to St Kilda, 11-8-74. Sets up a clash with the West Coast Eagles back here at Docklands next week, and the Saints take on the Dockers in Perth on Sunday. For the winners, 2 goals to Darcy Cameron, Dan McStay, Jamie Elliott and Pat Lipinski. Individuals to Pendlebury, Perryman, Hill, Chris Membrick 2, I should say, Nick Dacos and Myercheck. While for the Saints, 3 goals to Mason Wood, 2 goals to Darcy Wilson, and 2 goals to Dan Butler. Individuals to Owens, Marshall, Hall and Sharman. Collingwood winners by 34 points. They're still the team on top of the ladder. Their 6th consecutive victory. Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport.
Well, a long way from their best, I reckon, Clinchy, from what we saw from the Magpies tonight, coming off the bye, a venue they're not overly familiar with, and the Saints trying to minimise their energy in the game and their counter-attack brilliance, which we've seen so many times throughout the season. So a bit of a thumbs up to the plan, I suppose, for Ross and his boys to try and minimise or take away the weapons of the Magpies. But I do think they're just a bit off, the Pies tonight, Chad. We've mentioned it a few times in the call, but they just did enough. They got enough class in the end to win the moments, the key moments that mattered. And you mentioned Nick Dacos there, and he had to work really hard through the Windhager tag tonight, and watching him impact the game in that second half after a relatively, in terms of his standards, lacklustre first half was really impressive, and then players feed off him. Pendlebury is brilliant. I really enjoyed the game of Paddy Lipinski tonight. Josh Dacos across half-back was always good. Darcy Cameron pushed forward and caused havoc in that front third of the ground, which is a real asset, I reckon, for the Pies. They just had enough winners across the ground. Without dominating, they just had enough winners to get the job done in a fairly, what would you call, lacklustre affair.
Yeah. And they still won by 34 points, and they did come off a bye, so that's probably the only out I'm going to give them. They come off a bye. They just had, most of them have gone away for a week or a few days, seen home, gone elsewhere, and had a mental refresher. We got to remember, this is their 6th win in a row now, so they're in great form, and they're very good at winning close games. This wasn't a close game, so they've been in this situation plenty of times, and they know that their brand of footy stands the test of time. They've obviously been there to the Holy Grail and winning the premiership in recent years, and Dacos boys both having 30 touches each really tipped off the game for me. They were very in sync again. Yeah, the Windhager tag didn't work today. It wasn't a full-blown tag, which is what we've seen him do. So it was very interesting to see that he didn't go with him all over the ground. We said that it was a couple of times that Nick could just go off and do his own thing. He had some space where I don't think I've ever seen a Windhager tag have 30 metres of space running down the ball, and he could have had 3 bounces. I wouldn't say that's his best job, but like I said, he's done some incredible jobs. Probably still the best tagger, I think, in the game, and a team that's not performing that well. So Collingwood, I think they'd be taking the 4 points, but they've got a bit to work on. But they've also got the runs on the board to know that what they need to work on, and they'll chop into gear pretty quickly. They just come off a bye. St Kilda again. I'm not sure they're playing a brand of footy that's going to win them finals anytime soon, if I'm being honest. Like you said, Lex downstairs, they're the second most boundary use team, and I can't remember any team in the recent memory that's gone boundary for majority of their ball movement and won a flag or been successful in final series. So not sure if it's just their temporary game plan to try and stop the bleeding, possibly. But they've got a lot of work to do.
Possibly. I mean, look at think about boundary usage and premierships and success. You probably have to go back to Mick Malthouse.
Yeah, 2010.
2010.
That style, but the game has evolved so much since then, and it is an interesting question. Craig McRae sort of pondered, what do you value if you get beaten by 70 points and Marcus Bontempelli has 13 disposals? Do you classify that as a win? So how would, Craig McRae said, we've got confidence in Nick Dacos. He finishes with 30 disposals, and I'm not too many sure players could kick that goal he kicked in the final turn.
No.
Chad running full pelt onto his right. Marcus Windhager was able to get the very back of the jumper, and yet he was still able to finish. Like, his work rate, his ability to be able to finish, and just to capitalise on the small opportunity he had.
Yeah, and we talk about we've had about 4 or 5 players today that have set shots that are snaps. They've got no pressure from 25, 30 metres out. And then we've seen, who was it? Mason Wood, who bellied it and it went 30 metres away from goal. And then obviously you see Nick Dacos sprinting at full pelt, Windhager chasing him down, and to go across the body. He's already passed the line of goal, so he's had to whip it around behind him on his right foot. I mean, he's a spectacular player. And like I said, I always wonder, because he gets a tag every single week, he gets the attention. It'd be amazing how he would go if obviously tagging wasn't allowed, just how much impact he could have. He has impact no matter what, but imagine if he didn't have the attention that he has. It just shows that the team that he's in and the environment that he has around, that he just impacts the game. If he has 30 touches or not, it draws everyone else and it makes everyone better. So he's an absolute killer player, and like you did say, having a couple of injuries, it was a bit of a strange game to start I think Collingwood have got a lot to. I still think they're the premiership favourites, and in my opinion, this didn't change my opinion on them.
Oh, I don't think too many people would be jumping off after that. It was just go out there and get the job done, walk away with the 4 points and move on, I reckon, for the Pies tonight. Just come back and feel good about yourselves, get the dub and take on the West Coast Eagles next week at this venue. So that's going to be interesting in itself. But just on the Dacos factor, I just think that he's so loved by his teammates that when they find themselves in situations like they did tonight with a heavy tag and they're being really physical against the opposition, they always come in to support. They always fly the flag for him. They come and give him a chop out physically if they can, but they'll also get in the ball. Sometimes in bad spots, but they just get in the ball to get him in the game to start to feel good about himself. And it's just such a great thing to see as a team, to have. You can rally around one guy. Now, yes, he's a bit special. Like, we all know that. So why wouldn't you if you're a Magpies player, if it's a Magpies teammate? But you've still got to want to do that. and make the effort to do that, because it becomes not about you, it becomes about someone else, and one of your teammates, somebody else in your team that can make you better. So I just think that's a great trait that Collingwood have as well, that even when he is down, they will try and get him in the game because they know the value of the ball in his hands more often than not. So it's just a great thing that he's so loved by his teammates, I reckon.
The Magpies still have players to return. Braden Maynard, Craig McRae said, is probably a couple of sessions away, so eyeing that return against the West Coast Eagles. Jordan DeGoey is coming over that Achilles injury, and Ash Johnson is back playing close to the VFL, with Lockie Schultz still out with a hamstring injury. Let's join the Magpies as they make their way in. Lex Pesher is down there.
I hate this part of the Magpies song. It gets really awkward. You know, where they wait for someone to sing, and now I don't know what to do. So you guys have to wait until I start singing the song.
What about you start the song?
No, I can't. I forget all of a sudden when you put on the spot. It's like, it wouldn't be my karaoke song, put it that way.
No, that's fair.
All right, here we go.
That's fair.
See the barricades shouting as all barricades should.
That wasn't so bad. That wasn't terrible, was it?
They all go silent, and then still Sidebottom gives them the green light that they can sing the song. Somewhere similar to Nathan Lyon, who gets the honour to sing the Australian cricket team song. Collingwood winners by 34 points, 16-12, 108 to the Saints, 11-8, 74 in front of 43,039 fans. Lex Pesher will bring us a reaction from the Collingwood rooms. Looks like they might head into a team meeting potentially before that. They come off the bye, 6 consecutive wins for the Magpies. So at a time in the season where, Chad, a lot of teams maybe just have the odd falter here or there, it is such a long season. So the Pies have managed to keep this gap out in front. They now lead by 6 premiership points ahead of the Brisbane Lions, who moved to second spot. So for the moment, they are looking to, I guess, tick it off as they move towards the back end of the season.
Yeah, and it's amazing how, you know, some teams you say if they're 10% off, you're probably going to lose. But I reckon they were 10% off today and they still win by 34 points, which just shows how they know when they are a little bit off, but they still get the job done. And I just want to go back to, we spoke about the guys that aren't playing, and McCreery, I think that's a big loss. I thought he looked like he was going to tear the game open at that point. Those 2 centre bounce clearances, he looks so potent in there and he looks so explosive. I just hope we saw him walk down on screen, and he looked like he wasn't hobbling at all, so hopefully it is just awareness. But he's another one for me that's really impactful. You think about, obviously he's not, I suppose, one of the top name players that we speak about when we think about Collingwood, but geez, he has an impact, and he did tonight early on.
Do you think that's something Collingwood could look to experiment a little bit, whether it's him, Bobby Hill, just that dash of pace, especially with Jordan DeGoey not in this side at the moment?
Well, honestly, what I was thinking, I think if there was another quarter of footy here, Bobby Hill looked like he was going to tear this game apart. And that's, for me, is a worrying sign, because I'm like, well, let's get him more involved. Like, I feel we're watching the game and he's actually on the far side a lot. So if the ball's on this side of the field, he's actually it is a part of their team system. He's obviously running that pattern, which is obviously a high half forward does. He's always on the far side. But for me, I'd love to get him involved a little bit more, because you can see what happens when he's around the ball. He's so potent, it's so electric, and he moves way faster than anyone else out there. Quaynor's probably the only one down the other side of the ground, which I think is very explosive, but just need to get them involved in and around the ball a little bit more.
Collingwood by 34 points, their 12th win of the season. Back down to Lex Pesher.
Thanks, guys. I have Darcy Moore with me, the captain. Darcy, thank you so much for your time, for joining us on ABC Sport. Firstly, it's a good win, but it was a pretty good test coming back from the bye.
Absolutely. It was a pretty hard-fought one, really. Like, St Kilda really pushed us all the way. Felt like there were moments of the game where we got a bit of momentum and had good control over the game, and then they just found a way to keep kind of putting scoreboard pressure on us, which, is always a bit of a challenge. But, you know, to the guys' credit, felt like we just ground them down in the end, and, it took, 110 minutes really to win the game, but we're up for it.
You said yourself they did challenge you. Initially, you just finished and you just walked in here, but initially, what are those lessons that you guys can take now moving into the back end of the season? Yeah,
I think clearly St Kilda were, got numbers back pretty hard into our forward line, which means we spent a lot of the game, with the ball pretty slow with every player on the field in our front half. So that takes a bit of working through. I thought we worked through that actually quite well. We were well prepared for it. So that as well, I thought around the ball, like a bit of clearance stuff, there were times where they were able to come out the front door from stoppage without a lot of pressure on them, which sort of put our backs under heat. And then, there's always stuff to work on. I thought some of our kick-in defence as well, they looked pretty dangerous from kick-in. Clearly Wanganeen, Malira and Sinclair back there are elite ball users, so, they really challenge you, and tonight they were able to get through from kick-in a little bit too much than we would have liked, so that required some adjustments as the game went on, but largely it was a pretty well-rounded performance.
It's an easy one to ask, but Nick Dacos, he keeps getting the tag and he keeps shaking it. Do you keep marvelling at his ability to just withstand that pressure?
Yeah, it's amazing. He just, he clearly attracts so much attention, and he just handles it so well. Even when he does get tagged, if the opposition are going to pay him that much attention, it allows guys like Pendles, Steele, Ned Long around the ball more time and space, which is, good luck to you against that. So it's, a selfless role at times when you're getting tagged, but yeah, he showed tonight that he can work through it. He's an absolute workhorse, and when he finds his space, he doesn't need a lot of the footy to really punish the opposition. And just so proud of him. He's such a young man, and he carries a lot on his shoulders, but he does it with great energy and great spirit, and we love having him in the team.
Harfen, Chad, over to you.
Daniel Harfen, mate, well done tonight. Just on that, we watch up here from the box, and when he's getting those tags, the level of support and care he gets from you guys as teammates is almost inspiring. How important is it that you show that when those things are happening out on field?
Yeah, man, it's a core part of who we are and what we do. We want to be a team where when you play for us, you put on the black and white stripes and you're out there, you're never alone. So that's what that looks like. And, we do everything as a team. We win together, we lose together. And so, sometimes the outside world tries to point out individuals, but, we're a team. And when we cross that white line, we do everything together.
And when you cross the white line after a break, does it take a bit of effort to restart the engine? Or because we were talking about, it didn't quite seem as cohesive as we've seen so far this year for you guys.
It's a tricky one. I've certainly, it's certainly something that is relevant. I think coming off the bye, it's clearly it's pretty obvious. You've had a week away from that sort of high-end intensity of AFL footy, so you can't really just snap back and be completely ready. But I thought we started quite well. There weren't really any concerns. Clearly, we're sort of managing it throughout the week with the way we're training and the way we're preparing and all that sort of thing. But I thought we got the jump pretty well, and we came to play. You look at things like your tackle numbers, your contest numbers, that sort of stuff, and I thought that stuff was pretty good early, which shows we really did come to play. But so did St Kilda. They're a spirited group and they've got some real talent, so we expected that, and they really showed that early, which definitely tested us off the bye.
And Chad Wingard here, mate. Good to see you, and congrats on the win. Probably the one thing I want to ask is, probably at half-time, I thought the defensive unit, you probably weren't quite on your game. I thought you boys really set the tone in that third quarter. You started getting your intercept games really going. I thought you really set the tone with your double fists. But was anything said at half-time for you as a defensive six? Because I thought you, Howe and Billy didn't get your intercept game mark going, but in the second half you really stepped up there.
100%, yeah. It felt like in the first half, clearly the St Kilda forward line want to get up really high up the ground in our front half and then sort of rip back pretty hard, which can make it hard to set your defence behind that, and you're sort of doing a lot of scrambling. And I just thought we didn't handle that well in the first half. Like, there was a lot of scrambling, loose numbers, a bit of a chaotic game, and we just weren't that organised behind the ball. So, they made us pay, some just kind of basic clumsy errors in front of goal and that sort of stuff. So, there was a bit to tidy up, as you said, but, we're a pretty experienced group. Yeah. We've been through a lot, been through high-pressure moments together, so we've got that trust and, trust in our own ability to wrestle it back. And like you said, in the third quarter, we really did that.
Yeah, and speaking about your culture, from an outsider, it just looks like you guys are obviously one unit, and you do, like I said, step over that line. You're a black and white team, and you love each other as like win or losses. One thing that I suppose stood out to me today was Membry when he kicked that first goal against his old team. Every single player got around him. Can you just, I suppose, talk a little bit how much that meant to him, but also how you guys just understand the moment of each player, what they're going through?
Yeah, 100%. It's anyone that's been through it. I'm sure you've been through it in your career, Chad. Clearly, it's a bit of a funny one when you're coming up against your old side. You don't really know how to feel, and he's played a long time with those guys in the other locker room. So it can be hard and a bit confusing and a bit daunting. Your first one against the old team, and he's had to wait till round 15 to do that. So us getting around him and celebrating his strengths and and celebrating him is our way of just saying that, you're one of us now, and we love what he's doing, and that's sort of a physical way for us to show him, like, you're a Magpie now, and we love what you're doing. And he's been unbelievable, hasn't he? It's just breathed new life into his career, and he looks so dynamic up there with our other forwards. So we're loving what he's doing.
Collingwood captain Darcy Moore is with you on ABC Sport. Darcy, Matt Clinch here. Just a couple of quick ones before we let you go. The physical contact in which Marcus Winhay gave to Nick Dacos. Did you notice that? Was it mentioned before the game? And I mean, how can you protect a player who is receiving that sort of close physical attention?
Yeah, certainly did notice it, particularly early, and it's sort of to be expected, really. I mean, they're trying it on Nick every week, so our job is to just support him physically when we can and make our presence felt out there, and I thought we did that largely as the game went on.
In your sixth straight win, you're in the middle stages of the season. You're on top of the ladder by 6 premiership points over Brisbane, 12 wins and 2 losses. How do you keep the energy and the motivation high before you get to the real pointy end of the season where it all starts to matter a bit more?
Dare I say it, mate? 1 week at a time. Just taking it 1 week at a time. No, I'll give you something more than that. We're pretty, we've already spoken about it in this interview, but we're pretty big on our culture and how we operate and the way we do things, both on game day, like we've spoken about today, but on the Monday to Friday, the way we prepare for games. So when you're pretty locked into that, we're locked into how we're sort of training as a team, how we're preparing as a team, how we're spending time together, getting around each other. We're pretty locked into that, and that gives us energy. So over these next few months, as it gets colder, the games are a bit more low scoring. It is a bit more of a grind. We're going to have to sort of dial in even more to that, to being a team, being a connected team, and get enjoyment out of that, because we know the process to get outcomes, and we've just got to lock into it. So we feel like we've got a really sustainable culture, a really sustainable program. So there's no reason why we can't keep going through July and August and keep getting it done on the weekend.
Did you get some sun on the week off? The coach said he went to Port Douglas.
He did. He's still looking pretty pasty though. So
brutal.
Yeah, he bit too much sunscreen. But yeah, I did. I was away in Byron with my girlfriend for 5 or 6 days. So it was beautiful up there, and good recharge. And then keen to get back into it today though.
We always appreciate your time, Darcy. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you back here at Docklands against the West Coast Eagles next week.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Darcy Moore, the Collingwood captain, joining you on ABC Sport. The Magpies 34-point winners, 16-12, 108 to St Kilda, 11-8, 74. Chad Wingard and Daniel Harford, Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden. Always gives you some good insights, Darcy Moore, and curious as to how they challenge themselves week in, week out, and spoke about some of the different mechanisms they use to try and keep the group motivated, and the professionalism, having obviously been to the promised land, the top of the mountain back in 2023.
Well, I think it goes back to what Craig McRae was talking about in the press conference midweek about what do you value and how you measure success. It's not necessarily always the wins and losses on the scoreboard. It's, how do you treat each other on the field? Are we looking after our teammates when they're getting the heavy tag? Are we identifying those moments? A really good question, Chad, about Tim Embry and how they celebrated that. How to identify that? Like, there's sometimes non-tangible things you measure like that. Are we supporting the players in those roles, in those moments? That can be just as important as the kicks, marks and handballs. So I'm sure they've got little KPIs that they reference that are not on the traditional stat sheet, and I reckon that's been one of the things that Craig McRae's been really strong on. Even when he walked into the job, I remember the press conference when he got the job, he talked about that stuff, the culture he wanted to build outside the stat sheet. And we see it in action. We see it in real life when they play, and they're just such a connected. I've talked about this before. They're just such a connected footy team. And even when it's going pear-shaped, they're always got each other's backs, and it comes to the fore in the moments that matter. And it did tonight. St Kilda got to square. Midway through the third quarter, it was even Stevens.
Yep.
Not even midway, early in the third quarter. But they rallied because they, like Darcy said, they know they've been there, they've done it before, but they come together and get stronger together. It's a very, very powerful thing that they're building.
What he is going to have is some interesting selection dilemmas if everyone's fit and available. So we mentioned Jordan De Goey still to come back in from that Achilles injury. Braden Maynard with the foot is supposedly back next week against the West Coast Eagles. Lockie Schultz with the hamstring injury. And Tom Mitchell is the other one who's just returned back to the VFL in recent weeks, so he'll try and build up a body of work. And he was listed as an emergency tonight, but the challenge to try and force his way in. And will Tim Membry still be there in the best team by the end of the season? That'll be as to how many forward. Mason Cox is another one who's playing the VFL at the moment, so Olive Markov not in their best side anymore, so it's a tough job being senior coach when your side's on top of the ladder.
I'm not sure who's coming out. I mean, Ned Long's obviously made a real name for himself this year and probably plays that Tom Mitchell role that was void at the time. But I'm really impressed by Ed Allen too, a player that sort of come in would be a fringe type play you would think from a selection perspective. But he impressed me again tonight with the way he moves across the ground and used the ball as well. And 17 disposals for Ed Allen. Not that that's the be-all and end-all, but he's really growing week in, week out for the Magpies. So you're right, it's going to be some long selection meetings, I reckon, for the Pies in this back end of the season.
On the SMS 0437 774 774. Steve from Ballarat says, can we get off the Dacos tag thing? Greg Williams, Gary Ablett Jr., Chris Judd, all cop serious attention every time they stepped onto the ground over long careers. Is this a modern football speak? It just sounds a bit whingy. I think the physical contact you receive from Marcus Winhager will be the interesting part as to whether Collingwood sort of clip up a few of them. We're seeing one here where there's a right knee into the back of the hamstring, and then there's a couple of ones where he's literally giving him jumper punches as they run down the ground. That's not the look the AFL wants.
No, but I'm seeing that at the moment on the screens, and whilst it's you prefer it not to be there, it's not exactly life sentence sort of stuff. So
that's a laugh of a forward right there.
I think it'd be fine. Well, that's the other point.
Yeah.
Like forwards get manhandled
these ones
week in, week out. So he's little clips across the arms as he's running.
Yeah, that's not on that one.
He whacked him in the chops there at one stage, which is a little flick as opposed to perhaps a forceful strike. Wouldn't constitute a reportable offence in my Michael Christian language, I wouldn't think. They wouldn't like it necessarily, but I don't think there's too much in that players up the ground don't deal with every week.
The Saints, they're now 5 wins and 9 losses, 14th spot on the ladder. They take on the Fremantle Dockers in Perth next Sunday, having lost to the Bulldogs by 70-odd points last week. It was a improved effort this week. Are you seeing enough signs, Chad, that you can feel like this isn't a club rebuilding, or is there still a lot of questions to be...
Sorry, I didn't hear what team you said.
St Kilda.
Oh,
Kilda
no, I just don't think they have... I know they're talking about the draft, and it's been a big conversation that they've had in...
Free agents.
Last 2-3 years. But you also got to make sure you hit your draft picks. I mean, you think about teams that haven't drafted well. I don't know. For me, I think they're still rebuild. I don't think they're top-end talent besides maybe Wangini Millera. I think he's the only really top-end.
Well, you got to keep him first.
That's what I mean. So if they lose him, it's a full rebuild. I don't think they have enough talent, if I'm being honest. They're top-end talent. Not even going to get to their depth. I don't think they have either, if I'm being honest. But I look at other teams around that level, and I look at North Melbourne, and I could probably name 4, I reckon, top-end talent. I reckon Jiri, Sheasel, Paul Curtis now, and maybe Lucky. I think they're the 4 guys that are top-end talent at the best of their game. I can't name 4 St Kilda players that I would say.
A-graders.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And if you bring in one...
Sinclair's an A-grader for the Saints. They're two
he
halfbacks.
is, yeah.
They're two fantastic.
If they lose Wangini Millera, they've only got 1.
Yeah. No, that's a problem. And you look at the next month, too. You mentioned Freo away next week. It's a rubbish month to be a St Kilda supporter. They've got Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium. Sydney, bad time to get Sydney if they're going to roll and do their thing in the next couple of weeks, and then Geelong down at Kardinia Park. So it's a challenging month on the back of the loss tonight, which I think 99% of football fans that weren't St Kilda supporters would have tipped Collingwood tonight if they were serious. And then you get Freo, Hawthorn, Sydney and Geelong in the next 4 weeks. It's a brutal little run.
Yeah.
They unfortunately lost Mateus Filippo before the bounce was the ball of the bounce to start the match. He was out 2 minutes before the game, and Ryan Burns came in. But we saw the debutant Alex Taru. He had 9 disposals, 6 marks. Mason Wood as a forward booted 3 goals.
He was good.
Had some shots.
He changed the game, I reckon.
Better role than playing him on the wing, and a role in which they desperately need, with unfortunately Max King suffering another setback. So the likelihood of him returning this season looks less likely. And Darcy Wilson with a couple of goals as well, having last played against the Gold Coast Suns, forced his way back in after a couple of games in the VFL.
So if you go through just some of the numbers, and you heard Darcy Moore talk about contested possession and being able to deal with that early in the game. If you look overall numbers, contested possession secured 128 to Collingwood 107, so 21. That's a big number. So they were strong at that, the Saints. So they're building their base around that sort of stuff. Clearances were 40-33. So they won the clearance, they won contested possession, so they're 4 down inside 50s, 56-52. Collingwood's tackle pressure was elite from the start. We talked about that in the first half. Ended up being 65-46. Centre bounce, 13-11 Collingwood. And as you picked up quite beautifully, Chad, with your chat with Darcy Moore, intercept marks, and particularly in the second half, went in the favour of the Magpies, 24-14 overall. And at half-time, I think it was about 11-13 or something. So they really did launch into that in that second half and were able to just get the ball back way too easily against the Saints, and that was the reason probably why they were good enough to win the game.
They're also not missing too many players, the Saints. Mateus Filippo was out before the game. Max King, we mentioned. Paddy Dow is coming back after a long injury layoff. He's playing in the VFL. I think it's this weekend. Zane Cordy's out for 3 weeks, and Dougal Howard is 1 to 2 weeks.
Probably Howard, King, and Filippo. Obviously, he was supposed to play tonight. They're probably the 3 that would come in most weeks, would they not?
Yep.
You'd reckon? It's an interesting phase. I'm with you. It's a new build.
Yeah, I think so.
They don't have enough talent on their list. That's the cold hard fact of this.
And young talent for me is the young talent. Like you think about last week, they had 10 players above 29.
Yep.
And Wilkie's a star. Like he's probably one guy that I did miss out.
That's fair. He's an A-grader.
A lot of these guys are in mid to later part of their 20s. So you think about when they're going to be successful. Is it going to be in the next 4 to 5 years? And I say Sinclair as well because he's one of the guys that I think is in the peak of their career, 27, 28, like around that age group where do you keep him or can you get some draft capital? I don't know. Like it's a hard one for me. And I think the same thing with Richmond, but their backline for us. I think about Vlosten, and I think he's actually critical for them to teach the new. Like, is it? Do you keep him for the culture, or do you try and get draft capital out of him? Like it's a really hard one to toss up for me.
Well, particularly when you're secured and you haven't been able to land a free agent.
Yeah,
a high quality free agent. You have not been able to land them when you've thrown that much cash at so many players in the last couple of years, and no one's come. So you've got to find another way, be that through the draft and sell what you've got to just absolutely start from the bottom again, Richmond-esque.
Yep.
It's a decision they'll have to make. I don't think Saints fans would want to see that or hear about that, but they'll have to make a decision at some stage as to how they approach this next phase because they need more elite talent. They know this. They've been very public about this, so this is not secret. But they need more elite talent to be competitive week in, week out.
When they played in the 2023 elimination final against GWS, they lost it. There weren't that many different players. There were about 6 that were different to tonight. When they played in that final, did you think they'd be here 2 years later? Or how did you see their list then? Chad, you've been kind of strong on St Kilda along this season about probably not seeing them as highly as some people did.
I just don't think they're a good enough side. Like, I really don't. I don't want to whack them anymore, but I think they have to go down a path that's going to be brutal and it's going to be hard. And I think they're going to have to make some tough decisions. But the quicker they do that, because I think the teams that stay mid, which and by mid I mean the teams that are around the 10 to, probably the 10 to 12 to 13 mark. It's really hard to get the top end talent. And I've already mentioned that. There's they've got obviously the NGA academies, you get the father sons. They complained about that. I get that. But also if you're finishing 10, 11, you're not going to get the top picks anyway. And also, we've seen teams that have butchered their first pick, for instance, and we've seen Logan go pick 31 and he's dominating. So it's also the culture that you have within the club to make sure that these players, for one, actually getting opportunity. We see a debut tonight on pick 10. You know what I mean? Like, why are we paying 10 players above 29 every week? Like, we should be actually playing these kids and actually, getting games into them. Because, like you said, if you're going to get talent across from other clubs, you've got to pitch that, in the next 5 years, we're going to be exciting. Hawthorn did that. We were struggling. We finished 16th, 15th, and, but we had some young talent to Will Day. We had Warple that we could look at. You had Mitchie Lewis. You had some guys that you can see, you can see they're going to be potentially the next premiership players. Who would you look at St Kilda and say, okay, I can probably see here, let's put Nazaya because we don't know his future. Let's have a look at the guys that are under 23. Who do you think is going to be in the next premiership for St Kilda? Like, I don't know. I can't answer that question. And for me, that's the problem. Because if you're a player that's coming over that's 24, 25, what if you don't have success in the next 4 or 5 years? Then you're 29. Yeah. That's the part for me. So Tom De Koning, if he's thinking about it, or if that's obviously those kind of players, are they ready to make that kind of splash? Or do they really need to start selling the farm to get some draft capital in before they make that kind of splash?
Well, the kicker on that, I was just thinking again, is that it's a bad time to be a bad team with Tasmania coming in.
Exactly right.
You're talking about draft.
Potentially.
Well, yes, that's true.
If it has a roof.
How good's the roof? We saw that tonight. All our Tasmanian friends, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
And good night.
Yeah, so if they are to come in, it's a bad time to be a bad team because they're going to pinch all those top draft picks in the next couple of years. They'll get the concessions from the headquarters to start up. So you could be really bad. You look at the teams that struggled when the Giants and the Gold Coast Suns came in. The team that struggled have taken a long time to build because they didn't get access to the talent to regenerate quickly enough because of the new team. So that's going to be a problem too if the Tassie Devils come in.
Mm-hmm. Scanning, what have they got? Six players who have played under 50 games tonight. So Jack Higgins is 26 years of age. I hope he would be around for another 5 or 6 years.
He's had a great year largely, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
And that was the question, is that he sort of led the Coleman for the first 4 rounds, and then you spoke a bit, Chad, throughout the call about that role of being a small forward. Jack Higgins finished with 6 disposals, 1 behind. Dan Butler kicked 2 goals tonight. Just about how challenging it can be when you are playing that style of footy.
Yeah, and like you said, not getting flowing and trying to get touches as a small forward when it's a highly dense kind of forward 50 when Collingwood have got their numbers back or St Kilda got their numbers back. It's hard to be a small forward and make an impact. And you see Bobby Hill tonight, the exact same thing, and Jamie Elliott. But as soon as there was a bit of space, that's where they can change the game. And Higgins has done that majority of the year, and he's actually kicked really straight, which is what helped him kick a lot of goals. But again, for him, where does his, I suppose, future lie? Where does he want to be? Is he in a position where he might want to leave? I'm not sure. There's a lot of things up in the air. This is the start of the questions that you have at this time of year when you see teams that are out of the finals contention and you know, like you're looking forward to the future. And St Kilda fans have done this numerous times, but it's going to be another question end of the year. And Ross the boss has got a big questions to ask each week, and I hope he starts playing some kids every week. But that's my honest opinion.
He kicked 36 goals last season, Jack Higgins, and the year before, so he's up to 30 for this season. So he's exceeded the expectations of last year.
Yep.
Let's get a bit of a scene setter. Lex Pesce has made her way to the St Kilda rooms. What's it like down there, Lex?
Hello. Yes, I have. Well, there's lots of flying Vikings. There's the Viking hats flying around the rooms at the moment. The team is in a meeting, so they are obviously for Alex Taru, who's been nicknamed the Flying Viking for his aerial presence. And you guys mentioned just before about, you know, what the future of this team looks like and him obviously being a big part of that. And I guess you can sort of see with the fan base maybe growing around them and their family and friends, but buying into this team, Chad, you mentioned it might be a risk for some, but I don't know, you kind of feel like the vibe and even being there during the week that there is something changing there, but they need to really figure out their identity.
Yep, that'll be the interesting part for St Kilda fans. Thanks, Lex. Collingwood 34-point winners, 16-12, 108 to the Saints, 11-8, 74.
If there is a positive tonight, and there's a few positives. Actually played okay. To push Collingwood like they did, even Stevens midway through the third quarter, they did a good job with their plan tonight. They're just not good enough to last the minutes, which we discussed through the call. So you can wear that as a St Kilda supporter tonight, I reckon. You're just not good enough. Mm-hmm. But you know that coming into this game, and they put up a fight and they gave you a run for your money. So I think you walk away relatively pleased with that from St Kilda's perspective. What else you've got is now fantastic new merchandise. The Viking hats. Now, if St Kilda are fair dinkum, they sell the hell out of this.
Well, when you're not winning premierships, you need to sell merch some other way.
You've got to sell merch somehow. So
you're going to have to play him as a forward. We're trying to get a Viking clap going.
Yeah, the Viking clap is next. The cheer squad are responsible for that. They are the
ones. Might be a little more successful than the all-white we saw from Geelong, attempted at Kardinia Park on a cold night.
But it looked all right. It just didn't work.
No.
But the Viking clap's important. We need to get that in. The St Kilda cheer squad, if you're listening, you need to get that in. We've seen the Wizard hats.
What's the Viking clap?
Oh, the Viking. Oh, come on, Loz.
Where have you been?
This is global sporting phenomenon. The Viking clap.
Huh?
It's the old
your YouTube task.
Slow,
I didn't know that had a name.
Goes slow, and then it goes faster.
Oh, like what you do when there's a pole vaulter. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, sort of.
Yep.
Sort of. Not quite the mark, but it's close. You're in the vicinity. You're in the ballpark. The Viking clap's cool.
Okay.
It's cool. And that's what they should do every time he gets a mark and has a shot at goal.
It would give them something to get excited about.
It would be great. It'd be great energy. So you've got the Wizard with his hats at Hawthorn. Nick Watson, he's got the Wizard hats everywhere. There's great representation of the Viking helmets, I think, from the Warrigal crew tonight that were coming to see Alex play his first game. So that'll catch on. That'll be a bit of fun for the fans as well. And that's the things that engage your fans as well. When things aren't going perfectly, what are you doing? How come you like your footy club? Because I get to wherever I can have.
And he seems like he's very good at taking instructions, Alex Taru, when he was told by Cal Wilkie, you're going forward, and sprinted 150 metres forward. So he did speak before the game about how he spent a bit of his career as a defender, more a defender than a forward, but he's happy to play both ends of the ground. But his trademark has been his intercept marking. So if nothing else, Ross I might have a bit of fun experimenting with that for the last 9 rounds of the season to try and work out where he might be able to play throughout his career. Collingwood winners by 34 votes. The votes for the ABC Football of the Year.
Yes, we need to do that.
Chad Wingard and Daniel Harfer can work that out. I'll tell you that Nick Dacos had 30 disposals, 9 inside 50s, 9 score involvements and a goal. He had 4 frees 4, so he was recognised by the umpires. The question was he recognised enough? His brother Josh had 30 disposals as well. He had 519 metres gained. Pat Lipinski kicked a couple of goals. He had 26 disposals on return from that concussion he had against the Hawks. While for the Saints, Nasai Wanganeen-Miller had 35 disposals, leading possession getter on the ground. He had 6 score involvements, 563 metres gained in his 3 clearances as well. Jack McRae had 29 disposals, 10 clearances, 16 contested, 9 inside 50s, while Brad Hill had 21 disposals, 55% by foot, and 5 inside 50s for him.
Rightio. Well, the votes are as follows.
Really thought through votes, by the way.
Well, in fairness, I did have a bit of a play with this before in my head. I just didn't write them down. I probably should have written them down. We were talking about helmets and stuff. I don't know. Oh, dear. Pole vaulting and all that sort of... One vote was to Callum Wilkie tonight for the Saints. He had, in the end, it was, if you go through the numbers, 20 disposals, 6 marks, 4 of those intercept marks, 7 contested possessions, worked his back, so even at a clearance, and was one of the main reasons why I think behind the ball the Saints were able to repel and get some opportunities inside their forward half. I thought he was magnificent. And it's certainly that A-grader that you were talking about before, Chad. So 1 vote to Cal Wilkie. I gave 2 votes to Pat Lipinski, back into the team tonight. I thought he was brilliant. Had 26 disposals, 9 contested, 8 inside 50s, 10 score involvement, which was a game high, 2 goals as well. Good to see him back in the team, and loved his fight off the ball. His work rate off the ball to pressure and keep the ball inside the forward 50 was just as good as his impact with ball in hand today. And I thought it was a great game from Pat Lipinski. Missed from the Pies last time out. And 3 votes, we decided that Nick Dacos was going to be the dominant game, the force for the game. Ended up being that. Second half, very, very impressive, considering the attention he was getting. First half, he was lacklustre. Not lacklustre, he was just, in terms of the standard that he sets, he wasn't quite at the bar. But in the second half, he became that player, was looked after well by his teammates, and was the difference in the end, probably, many times through the second half of the game. So we'll give him the 3 votes, 30 disposals, 5 clearances, 14 contested, 9 inside 50s, a goal, a match-winning goal in the end. And, as you said, the 9 score involvements before as well. So a pretty big impact from the number 35 for the black and white tonight, Nick Dacos, and 3 votes.
3 to Nick Dacos, 2 to Lipinski, 1 to Cal Wilkie from Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard in the ABC Football of the Year. North Melbourne defeated Carlton by 11 points earlier today. Cam Zurhaar booted 3 goals, the Roos' 3rd win in their past 5 matches, their 4th win of the season. And Sydney were 19-point winners over Port Adelaide, 9-17-71, in which Will Hayward booted 3 goals. Isaac Heaney had 28 and 2 goals, and Joel Amati booted 6 behinds. But the Swans were simply too good for Port Adelaide. It takes us tomorrow, the Sunday of round 15. We'll be on air from midday for AFL Sunday with myself and Cameron Lang. We have the Expansion Cup between the Giants and the Gold Coast Suns. Chad, you're our resident tipster. The Suns are coming off the bye. The Giants are coming off probably their best win of the season against the Brisbane Lions. How did you see that one?
For some reason, I think GWS are going to win, but I don't know why, but I think Gold Coast are a better side. I know that doesn't make sense, but I think it's the bye. Like I said, we saw Collingwood tonight come out a bit sluggish. 10% off, they still get the win. I'm not sure Gold Coast is set up for success this week, just purely from dynamics of the season, with GWS coming off a really good win. And obviously Gold Coast, I think it's NG Stadium?
Yep.
Yeah, and being at NG Stadium, I just think it would be GWS's game to lose, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Giants man tomorrow, yep. That form stacks up after Friday night footy, doesn't it? The win over Brisbane.
Sure does.
It stacks up pretty well. I'm a Giants man tomorrow.
And back here at Docklands, the Western Bulldogs take on the Tigers. So the Bulldogs, with the return of Sam Darcy last week, caused havoc to the Saints. Nick Caulfield comes in, and another debutant for the Tigers tomorrow. It's a tough season for Richmond. They probably exceeded expectations in terms of some of their early wins. What can they do against a Bulldog side who needs to get wins? That's all they need to do.
They'll be chasing backside. Mm-hmm. They'll put a lot of numbers back is what they'll do. They'll press all the numbers back and then try and get some real fast counter-attack against the Doggies. The Doggies are way too good to be worrying about that too much. They'll be convincing victors, I reckon.
Yep.
We've had some upsets this week, but I don't think that'll be one of them.
And they love picking on the small sides, don't they?
Yep.
They love a smashing.
They do love a smashing.
Will they get there? They're in 9th spot at the moment. Do you think the Bulldogs will get there?
I think they get in, GWS fall out.
There you go.
Yep.
Rightio. We're all in agreement. That's far too easy, isn't it?
Well, at this stage.
At this stage.
9 weeks to go. It's very easy.
Yep.
We'll put this in the can and play it 9 weeks' time. see how we
Radio's a beauty for that, isn't it? All right. Thank you, Half. Great to have you a part of the team once more.
Good on your team.
Thank you, Chad. Good to see you back. We have missed you.
Well done, team.
Thank you to Loz. Thanks to Lex Pesce down the boundary. Thanks to Zane Bojack back at base, and to Stu Hollywood-Baker at the very back of the box. Collingwood winners by 34 points over the Saints. 16-12, 108 to the Saints, 11-8, 74. In front of 43,039 fans. The Magpies proved too strong. 2 goals to Pat Lipinski, to Jamie Elliott, to Dan McStay, to Darcy Cameron, and to Tim Membry against his former side, while Mason Wood booted 3 goals for the Saints. Nick Dacos, for his 30 disposals, 9 inside 50s, 5 clearances and a goal. Got the 3 votes from Daniel Harford in the ABC Footballer of the Year. And tonight in the NRL, a win for the Melbourne Storm, who were able to prevail right at the very end. So, of course, coverage available of the NRL season on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the ABC Sport button. Don't forget the cricket gets underway on Wednesday night. Thanks to your company here at Docklands, the Pies, winners by 34.
It's darker, wilder, and much deadlier.
Don't be modest.
I'm Marta Dasarov. Come back with me to Bay of Fires.
The darkly hilarious new season of Bay of Fires. Sunday nights on ABC TV and ABC iView.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
In case you missed it.
Leading the conversation on the global game. This is World Football on the BBC World Service.
Hello and welcome to World Football with me, John Bennett. Imagine having to wait 50 years for your work to be officially recognised. That's what happened to the women of St George women's soccer team, who represented Australia in the 1975 Asian Ladies Football Confederation tournament held in Hong Kong. Now, Football Australia will recognise their efforts in the 1975 Asian Cup as the first Matildas by awarding them cap numbers ahead of Australia's game against South Korea. Our football reporter Manny Jasmi has been following the story. This decision, Manny, has divided the Australian women's football community, hasn't it? Explain why.
Well, the reason is that critics of the policy say that the team in 1975 was no more than a representative side, and the majority of players came from the St George Budapest club in Sydney. They claim that there were no national trials or any of the usual procedures associated with national team call-ups. Football Australia say that the players wore the Aussie colours, they had the national emblem on their jerseys, and they played against national teams. And that is enough criteria to make them into a national team themselves. The 1975 team will all get numbered caps, which will be 0-1, so that the number of the caps of the 200-plus players who have come after them won't have to change. Football Australia have been quite guarded in this. I asked them if I could interview one of the players who's getting a cap, and they said, well, they would do the interview in-house, but that's not really how we do things around here. I did eventually catch up with Kim Coates, who was a defender, and I asked her how she's looking forward to getting her cap.
Oh, it means the world to me. I'm so proud and so chuffed for the rest of my teammates. After 50 years, we're going to finally be recognised as the first Matildas. We put in a lot of effort and a lot of time in trying to get to where we were in our sporting careers to become at that level. And so this means an awful lot. We're all very, very proud.
Why is it important? Is it a question of identity?
No, I don't think it is a question of identity. Any sports person, it doesn't matter what sport you play, if you achieve the highest level in that sport, you want people to know that you've achieved that highest level. You want to be acknowledged.
You played for the Australia women's national team in A internationals. I think you're cap number 6. So you've already got a cap. So now you'll have 2. Which of those will be the most important to you?
That's a very difficult question. My cap is actually number 5, and that was from an A International Games played in 1979, Trans-Tasman Games against New Zealand, played here in Australia. The first Matildas played in the first Women's Asian Cup in 1975. So I guess it depends on how you want to look at it. That's an A International. It's been declared by FIFA as an A International. So for me, it's the first time I put on the green and gold for Australia. Value both of them extremely highly, but you always want to value the first a little bit better, I guess.
What kind of program are you expecting on Friday? Have you had any indication of how your cap will be awarded?
Before the match, we'll be taken into the VIP rooms. We'll be presented our caps in front of Australian soccer dignitaries and guests. Then I believe we will be taken onto the pitch. One of the best things about it as well, we'll be able to watch the games and see them play at the same time. We'll have our caps presented to us, but then we'll be able to sit back and enjoy watching the Matildas play South Korea. Matildas past and present.
What do you remember of the 1975 tour, and what kind of sacrifice did you have to make to be on it?
It was an amazing tour. I met a lot of very, very talented football players from other countries.